Protests continue across the country this evening, and we want you to know, of course, that though there are some individual protesters who are agitated, it is not the norm. These protests are largely peaceful. Many people look back at the demonstrations at Selma and wonder, what would I have done? Would I have marched across that bridge, or would I be standing on the other side? Well, I have an answer for you, and my answer is a question. What are you doing now? Now, Tanya, how would you describe the attitude on the ground there? We go now live to our woman in the field, Tanya Franks. Tanya?
Well, Chris, first I want to say that was inspiring. Not many today have the courage to say what you just did. Your wife is a lucky woman.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, Tanya. And might I say you look positively dishy this evening.
Well, as far as the attitude on the ground, you know, folks are entirely peaceful, but far from happy. Just imagine if every day when you left home, you didn't know whether you'd be coming back.
Black power!
You might be a little upset too.
Well, Tanya, in my line of work, that's always a possibility, but I know that many in the audience might not understand what that's like. No, Tanya, was that a man on fire?
Hard to tell with the flames, Chris. Might have been a really muscular lady.
So, Tanya, what are the people on the ground saying there?
Yeah, we gonna burn this motherfucker down, 313, bitch.
That's right, CVS is open for business, y'all. Take what you need, motherfuckers.
A fitting tribute to the memory of George Floyd, Chris.
Yeah. Yo, who that?
Yo, that's a motherfucker with a grill.
Charged evening, to be certain. Now, some people are asking, why is this happening now? Haven't things gotten better? But there are still persistent and pervasive inequities in this country, and these protests are a reaction to that. And aside from a string of isolated incidents, very small, things have been pretty peaceful, very tame. Any final thoughts, Tanya? Oh, hello, sir. What's your name? I'm sorry, that was unfair. Allow me to reframe the question, good sir. Where, might I ask, is Tanya?
Oh, she dead? Oh. Yo, I got an Apple Watch, dog. Yeah!
The language of the unheard. We'll be right back.
Which marks Louder with Crowder's 5th annual Cultural Appropriation Month, where we take you across the globe to learn about and appreciate all the cultures this world has to offer. This week, we take you to a culture known best for its ancestors' penchant for raping and pillaging, or as they called it, peaceful protest. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Norway!
And we are here. We are with you. I lost my helmet.
I knocked it off
like
2
seconds before. Do you mind going to get my helmet?
I'll get your helmet, but I have tights on. It's a little...
Ooh, look at that.
Gosh.
Look at that.
Hey, not
so
extreme.
there's a social safety net I can get on board with. All right. Thank you very much. Today we're going to have Tim Pool on the program.
That's right.
And a very exciting announcement with Tim Pool. He's not a firearm owner, but we're going to change that after tonight. What's the hashtag tonight?
Hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream.
Crowder Riot Stream. So we did this last Saturday, and we had close to 50,000 of you guys watching. And let me be really clear. What I think is important about this is we are going to be watching CNN live and fact-checking it. We have Reg the Bandit, of course, here on standby.
Yeah.
So this way you can watch CNN, right, with us, and you can go, huh? And then we'll bring up what's actually happening and go, that's the whole purpose to this, is that the coverage, and I will say this, I actually was depressed this week.
Really?
I know. What else is new?
I mean,
it was a new form of.
more?
I was more depressed because I felt like we didn't make a dent. I mean, we had a million people who watched, who tuned in, and then I just thought, well, maybe the coverage from people like us, not just ourselves, will keep the media accountable, and they'll be acknowledging the violence. It's only gotten worse.
Yikes.
It's only gotten worse, where they have been talking about peaceful protests in general. By the way, we do have a promo code. It's promo code Viking. You get $20 off, I believe.
$20 off.
And before we move on, what?
Vikings, man.
Oh, I thought you were.
I'm just hardcore about
You're like a
Vikings,
fan
man.
of
Hardcore about
So
Vikings.
excited.
Lot of rape.
That's
1/8 Viking
true.
as well as.
It's the raison d'etre. If Joe Biden were a Viking, he would be a lone wolf because they'd be like, "Why are you sniffing?
what these
not
days.
just immediately go on.
Why don't you immediately rape?" Well, I don't want the backlash, and why do you care what women say? And I don't know why. I don't know why they sound like Nantuk from the First Nations people.
It sounds about right.
As Cultural Appropriation Month, by the way, send us your tweets.
Yeah.
Let us know. You can tweet me at SCrowder, and we will pick your month. Your country next week throughout the month.
Yeah, we'll figure it
To
out. Yeah.
appropriate.
Looking
To
forward.
appropriate is to appreciate.
That's important, yeah.
And you can also
Remember
send
that.
in your costumes. I think we should have let people know we were doing Norway so they could have dressed up. But
That's true.
I tell you what, if there's someone out there
Forethought? What is
who has the time, we will be streaming for potentially 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
Send in your costume, and we will give away something. I don't
Yeah,
know,
we'll
a
figure
big,
it out.
big
Scramble.
bag of
I mean,
big
any
bag
one
of
of these
Black
helmets,
Rifle
yeah.
coffee.
I mean, if you've got a Viking
idea.
outfit just laying around,
Hit us with some
throw it
fast
on.
facts
I do.
there.
Yeah. We
audio
actually have a
wave.
stinger
Yeah, we
for
do.
Viking facts.
Oh, Viking facts.
Take a
Let's see
look.
what the Viking facts
Just
are.
the facts. Norway facts.
Ooh. Well, I feel like there should be
forgot, yeah.
substantially more to this program
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
just the Viking
I
facts.
forgot that it was Norway facts. But yeah, so Norway is home of the world's longest road tunnel, the Nobel Peace Prize, and 5.3 million impossibly good-looking people.
Wait, hold on a second. The world's longest road tunnel?
Road tunnel, yeah.
Finally, Harriet Tubman had to pay, eh?
wow.
I'll say. And there's a small village in Norway named Hell, which is home to over 1,500 fornicators, adulterers, sodomites, thieves, and drunkards.
Also known as strongmen. Yes.
That's right, yeah, absolutely. And then skiing was invented in Norway. Skiing was invented in Norway by
I thought you
Gregory.
said
I didn't know that.
scheming.
Skiing.
I thought you said scheming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's racist. The skiing was invented in Norway by Gregory Burov, which was an expansion on his first invention, long-ass shoes.
Long-ass shoes.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was
Wow.
intentional or not.
I don't know,
Good
yeah.
for him.
I just
Good for
slid
him.
downhill.
It really is a
Useful.
shame to see what's happened to a once industrious people.
That's true.
By the way, we have a drinking game. Let's bring that up.
do,
Drinking game rules tonight. Anytime they mention the word peaceful protest or imply that people are peaceful, you drink. Anytime they imply that Trump is a racist or that America is racist or that there's systemic racism, you drink. And we highly recommend that you do not drink hard liquor.
No,
Yeah.
unless you're
Take it
Brodigan,
easy-
and then
take
you
it
can
easy,
handle
okay.
it because you've been doing it for a while.
No, Brodigan can't handle it.
Oh, he can't?
No, but it's funny.
No, yeah. That's
Um,
funny.
Then that's okay.
And let me be really clear as we talk about peaceful protests, and I just need to get this out there so that then I don't have to use any papers. We have at least 12 deaths thus far from the protests. At least 12.
That's gonna go way
Over 370 officers who have been severely injured. Over 10,000 arrests. Over $25 million in property damage in Minneapolis alone. So that's over 12 deaths. Nearly probably after tonight, 400 officers injured. Of course, many of them black officers. 1 black officer killed. 2 black officers killed. As far as we know, 25 million in Minneapolis alone in damage. And of course, the Democrat talking point right now is they want to defund the police.
Wow.
That's the conversation. Defund the police, which was echoed by one portion of the squad, the Burt Ward of the squad, Rashida Tlaib.
Really?
Yeah, she's a horrible human being. Before I do have some opening thoughts, but before that, let's see what's going on at CNN so you know exactly what you're in for.
Over 107,000 dead, more than 40 million unemployed. Our economy is in tatters, almost 2 million Americans infected. All of that's an operating system over just 4 months behind this awful moment of the death of George Floyd. And let me just take a moment and offer my deepest condolences to the family and to the community of Minneapolis.
I'm just confused. He
Mr.
said that as though that was
Floyd's
Trump's
passing and
fault.
how,
Yeah.
By the way, is
incredibly
anyone
emotional,
buying this?
that
Is anyone
memorial
out there
service
buying
was
this
today.
shit that Donald Trump is to blame
And
for
so
the economy?
It's a moment.
When the fact is, you guys condemned him for wanting to open it back up.
Or the
Anderson, in
COVID virus
context
is
of,
somehow his fault.
we can take this.
Well,
as
you
an
know,
opportunity
he put a travel ban in the Wuhan
to
and
look at
China. By the way,
those
do we have a travel ban from the Congo?
that have brought
Because Ebola's
hundreds
making
of
a comeback.
thousands
That's
of
true.
Americans
It
Yeah,
is.
on the
Ebola
streets.
said, "COVID, hold my beer."
Oh, gosh. That's all we need.
And I don't know if you know this, guys,
yeah.
but Ebola's a dick.
Yeah, way worse.
It's a real problem.
Yeah.
As much as you like to hate Samaritan's Purse, because of white Christian people, they went into Liberia when Ebola had a 50% death rate. Can you imagine if COVID had a 50% death rate? People wouldn't be on again, off again mask like J-Lo and Ben Affleck for, I couldn't think of who her husband is right now, but it was Bennifer. That's the original Bennifer. The point is it wouldn't be on again, off again mask below the nasal cavity like the airline workers did at Delta when I was traveling. They would be hiding in their house, and of course you would still have a gun shortage because they would be shooting anyone who comes within sneezing distance of their humble abode.
Yeah, it's a really different deal. Watch a movie where they have a documentary where they have doctors going in. They have layer upon layer upon layer upon layer before they go in. They treat it very seriously. This is something completely different.
Yeah, and this point's
you
been made.
You can bring the volume down, Tim from HR, just while we're doing this, so that it doesn't distract folks. What were we about to say?
But the point's been made over and over. But on the left, you have a guy saying something about like COVID, and then on the right you have a bunch of people not standing 6 feet apart.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, but he's not berating them for anything.
And it just goes
to show you. I have a point on that. By the way, I am calling every single church out there, every single church open on Sunday, every single house of worship open on Sunday. People shouldn't be able to go out and roll over cop cars, and you can't go to church unless you're 6 feet apart. If you need to be 6 feet apart at a church and put on a mask, fine. They don't get to commit mass felonies and shoot officers. All churches open. All businesses open. No, is there anything less essential than being an asshole in the street? Anything less essential? Oh, it's essential. Really? Hold on. If I can get the tear gas out of my eyes, I'm kicking this woman because she was wearing a MAGA hat. And it's a part of the American fabric. It's absolutely essential. All churches, all businesses open now, or the left, you support the United States military coming in and kicking ass without mercy. Take your choice. And every single pastor out there who, if you don't open your church, you're a pussy. Go ahead and everyone tell me what it is that you guys want, what you expect tonight, because I have a lot to say.
That is a big statement. Well, I would expect
it's a true statement.
It's a big
true statement. If you don't open your church, you're a pussy.
Well, look, I would say this. Pastors can do whatever they want to do if they want to, but I think they should open their church. Is this what you meant by tell us what you're going to think about tonight? Yeah. I don't think they have
those are different animals.
Holland. I think we're going to see much the same that we've seen here, except I think what we're going to see more of is people like this coming on and saying, U.S. Army generals are against Trump. Can't you see that these people of great credibility are against Donald Trump for what he has been doing? Like, generals don't have an agenda. Like, generals don't have political beliefs that could skew them one way or the other. They're completely, neutral arbiters of truth, and that's not really what's going on. And then we're also going to see more of the black leaders in the community pushing more and more and more. There are some peaceful protests. People walking in the street, that's peaceful. It doesn't tend to stay that way, but didn't I? Come on. I stepped on it, guys.
Is the cigar fan on? I'm hearing a weird hiss. Sorry.
But I think what we're going to see, though, is obviously what we've seen every single other night this has been going on. Every single major city in the United States on fire from peaceful protests.
Yeah. As soon as the sun goes down.
And we're not going to see much reporting on it on CNN.
We won't see it over there.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
And then we're going to go to...
jumping off an earlier point that you made, I think that this probably is the closest thing to a religious sacrament that the left has. Is watching people, again, loot and chaos. Chaos is their only religious sacrament that they have. So, yes, of course, this needs to be protected. But, again, church. Stay far, far away.
And let me be
not worth the risk.
I think we need to, like we do with change... Do you have any thoughts? Sorry, does anyone... I'm going to go.
I'm looking forward to see how they try to spin this into anything positive.
I want you to speak your piece, because then, buddy, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say about the protesters, yo! Go ahead.
No, you got it.
No. So one thing before we go, we were laughing that it's breaking news that protesters are erupting around the country. Go back into
the pussy chicken dance.
That's your finest work.
It is my finest work. It's the work of which I am most proud. Someone turn that into a GIF and let everyone know that he's in tights. A couple of things. I think language really matters because they're going to say peaceful protest. Okay.
Oh, you did it.
Fudge!
Wait!
Don't do it on me.
Protests that are not violent.
Listen, do it on everyone else because it's funny. Don't do it on me because you'll be fired.
And we'll be drunk, I think, too, is the point.
My threats become empty. When was the last time I fired anybody? It's been years.
Twice today for me.
Twice.
Fired, rehired. I mean, does that count?
So, there are no peaceful protesters at this point. What do I mean? Okay, if you are there right now and you are behind the police line, people don't understand this. They go, police line, coppers, and you see, for example, that one example of the police who was still pushing the barricade when people were in front of the barricade. Well, let me explain something to you. How do you think the firefighters get in to put out the bombs that you've set, assholes? Huh? There was a fire, I believe in Minneapolis, with a woman and a child in the house. Yeah. And you know what? The firefighters were coming to save them, and then the protesters, the mobs, peacefully, mind you, because they didn't punch a firefighter right in the head. Yep. And I think that's just because they didn't want the recoil to go to reverberate through their fists because they're wearing helmets. I bet you if they weren't wearing face masks, they probably would have been punched in the face, but thank God for social distancing.
So
let me ask you this. How is that peaceful? And let me ask you this. By the way, I want to be really clear about something. I think everyone needs to protect their stuff. I think you need to protect your house, your family. I am not calling for anyone to go out into the streets and be a vigilante. Okay? Now, not right now. I'll explain where that changes in a second. Hint, it's about defunding the police. So, when the firefighters are trying to, how do you think the firefighters get through?
Right.
The police cars have push bumpers. And so when you block a police barricade, you set up a barricade so police officers can't get through, you are also blocking the subsequent first responders behind them. The heroes. Remember, I know they're not on TikTok shaking their Instagram asses.
Not quite the same.
But I do think that firefighters trying to put out Antifa bombs are kind of heroes. Just consider it one opining here. And by the way, if you're a family member, let's say you have your wife. Let's say you have your wife in that house and a child, and there's a fire, and you can't open up the door because there's a backdraft. Maybe you're up on the roof, and you see the fire trucks coming. You go, oh, thank God we're saved. And then you see a mass of what the media calls peaceful protesters, commonly referred to as assholes. By the way, our rating tonight, because we cannot predict what you will see. There will be a lot of violent footage. I know a lot of kids watch our show.
Cover
I really appreciate it, but I want to make sure that you understand there's some disturbing footage that we will see tonight because we have to do the job that the media won't. But let's go back to that. You're home, your daughter's in the house, and you see the fire trucks, and then you see a swarm of peaceful protesters stop them. I just started doing this. I look like Donald Trump. You see a swarm. You see a swarm like
Come on, the best
swarm. Look. So you see a swarm of people stop.
The biggest ones.
Now, how do you feel? Let me change that scenario.
Yeah.
You're on the roof and you have a sniper rifle. Do you save your family? Do you shoot one into the crowd so they disperse? Now, I ask you that because that's an actual scenario. That's not an extreme scenario. That actually happened. Now, God forbid someone actually ends up taking out people on rooftops, though the Koreans have no problem with it. But when you do that, you have put someone in that situation. And a lot of people think you're only a violent protester if you are currently in the process of punching a cop. No. If the police have set up a perimeter at this point, if they have told you that you cannot be somewhere, that's because they have a job, as do firefighters, to protect the citizens who pay taxes so that they can enjoy the fruits of the rule of law, which, by the way, we now understand they can't. They can't. The police cannot protect you. Thank God for the Second Amendment, which you also wanted to take away. So when they say peaceful protesters, no. If you are in front of a police line or behind a peace line, you are not a peaceful protester. If there's violence erupting and you stay there and you still keep chanting with your fist up, you are not a peaceful protester. If a cop says step back and you do not, you are not a peaceful protester. I want to be as clear as humanly possible. Now, if my car is going through and you swarm my car, and I encourage every American out there, if you swarm a car, guess what? I'm not slowing down. You're now a speed bump. I'm going to run over protesters so it sounds like I'm driving on Braille. My sweetie, are you driving over Stevie Wonder's Playboy? No, it's just them trying to block the firefighting truck behind me. No problem with it because you see too many people being dragged from their cars and beaten. So, what's the first step? Stay home. Avoid these scenarios. Stay safe. But do not let people kick in your windshield and drag you from the car because just like David Dorn, the media is never going to tell your story. You won't be in the news. You won't have a mural. I need to be really clear about that. By the way, the thousands of black people killed in the past few years at the hands of black people will not get a wall or a mural.
No.
George Floyd does, and we'll get into that in a second, which also really pisses me off. What also pisses me off is comparing this to the founding fathers. This is like revolution. Do you have any idea how much the revolutionaries wanted peace? Have you ever actually read any of the founding correspondence, the letters, the documents before the Boston Tea Party, which, by the way, very tame.
Very.
You're putting tea bags in a harbor. Okay? Do you have any idea the kind of torture that people faced under the monarchy? They tried to broker peace because they didn't want taxation without representation. They tried to go a peaceful route, and then they weren't able to. These protests started absolutely violently. It's not close at all.
Speaking of the Revolutionary War, as the commanders actually told their soldiers as they saw the first boats from the British come in, don't shoot first. They said, wait until you hear a shot. So they're saying, wait until one of you either gets shot or you hear somebody else shooting, so that they so nobody could say that this was an offensive war.
And at this point, over 12 people have been shot dead, over 300 officers have been shot at, injured. So guess what? Shots fired.
Very different.
Sorry, shots fired. You don't get to go into Syria, hang out and be like, well, I'm just here behind with ISIS. I'm not doing anything. It doesn't matter if they say ISIS clear out. Well, I'm not doing anything, but that guy's burning a Christian alive in a cage. Well, I don't support that. Well, you could have fooled me because you're wearing the team jersey. Also, let me be really clear about something, speaking from a Christian perspective. If you kneel, I see this going around, and Joe Biden kneeled, and Bill de Blasio kneeled, by the way, who demanded the badge of that one officer. I don't know if you saw it, demanded the badge. It turned out the officer only pulled out his gun after his friend was almost knocked unconscious by a brick. So that's the kind of politicization you're seeing here. If I have a friend who's hit in the head with a brick and I have a gun, I am pulling it out, and if the guy keeps coming forward with another brick, fanning the hammer. Again, not encouraging violence, going out and seeking it, but we cannot disarm our own police officers, and God forbid, like the left wants you to, disarm people in their own homes. Let me be clear about kneeling. This is something that's going on right now. Are you going to kneel for your white privilege? First off, you should never apologize for something that you haven't done. Why? Because then your true apologies ring hollow. Your apologies need to be sincere as a Christian, because I see Jesse Jackson talking about one shepherd and one sheep, and I don't even know that he's read a Bible anytime. He might have an Advent calendar.
The Reverend is an honorary title.
Right, it's an honorary title, and he got it from Phoenix Asshole University, I believe.
Yeah, it was mailing.
Where'd you get it? I got it from DeVry Prick.
It's a special track.
It's a good university.
Special track.
If someone demands that you kneel, and you kneel, again, I don't want kids, you're a pussy. You are a pussy, you do not kneel. Let me explain to you, as a Christian, I only kneel before the kingdom of God. I only kneel at the throne of God. If you don't like it, you can tune out right now. Sorry if it offends you. I'm a Christian. I kneel at the throne of God. And by the way, I want to be really clear, Jesus God. I know everyone says we worship the same God. No, not exactly, because you have Islam where Muhammad basically said that Jesus was a fraud and he didn't actually get crucified, and it was actually people replaced the body. So that's actually blasphemy. So I kneel at the throne of God, Jesus, or as I call him, good guy God, and you punks are absolutely no God. I want to be very clear. I do not kneel for a man, and I do not kneel for someone who wants to intimidate me. Now, finally, let me be really clear about this. Some people got mad that I talked about this on Glenn Beck's show this morning. I think I've been very clear that George Floyd, wrong. Did not deserve and should not have died at the hands of that officer. I think right now they might be trying to put on more harsh charges.
I think they did.
They're upping
so that it gets dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
So that it gets dropped and they can continue the riots.
Yeah.
You can't actually create motive and say that this guy went out and wanted to lynch a black guy. But I did say third-degree murder, manslaughter, absolutely. Negligence, sure.
Absolutely.
Been very clear that should not have happened. Doesn't matter that he had meth and fentanyl in his system. That doesn't matter. He shouldn't have. If you have fentanyl and meth in your system and you have a heart attack, it's the police officer's job to try and keep you alive.
Call the EMS.
Right? To serve and protect, not to control us. Period. Now, separate sentence. Let me explain to you why it matters that George Floyd was a scummy, violent criminal. Didn't deserve to die. Period. End of sentence.
Everybody good?
Yeah,
now, let me explain this. This is a man who, long rap sheet offender. This is a man who personally sought out a pregnant woman, black woman, by the way, invaded her house, jammed a loaded pistol into her gut while his other thug buddies ransacked her house, and he got 5 years for it. This is why it matters. It does not mean that he deserved to die at the hands of police officers, despite, you know what, maybe he only had meth and fentanyl in his system because he's an addict, and I understand it's a disease and he had no control over it. Doesn't mean that he was still a criminal. I'm not necessarily convinced that he was flying on the straight and narrow. Should not have died from the police officers. But here is why it matters. Do you know how many unarmed black men have been killed by cops last year? Anyone have an estimate? Because now they're saying genocide, right?
Right.
What would you think genocide is?
It'd have to be at least 1,000.
Yeah, 10 unarmed black men. 19 white guys, by the way. Down from the low 30s in the Barack Obama years. So we're making progress. And of those 10, most of them deserved it. Doesn't matter if you have a gun or not. If you reach for a cop's gun, if you charge a police officer, there's a strong chance that you get shot. A lower chance, mind you, than white people. That's a statistic that nobody wants to talk about. White people are shot more often with police officers when you actually take into account interactions. Some people say, well, white people are a higher percentage of the population. Doesn't matter about how many interactions you have. If 100 black people have an interaction with a police officer, they are 25% less likely to get shot than if 100 white people have an interaction with a police officer. Why do the crimes matter of George Floyd? Because that's an evil son of a bitch. Anyone here ever had a pregnant wife? Imagine someone jamming a loaded pistol into her gut. Why does that matter? Because that's a bigger problem facing the black community today. That is not atypical. Black people commit crimes, the Hodge twins were talking about this, at a disproportionate rate, both against white people and against members of their black community. If we want reform, that is what we want to reform. George Floyd deserved to die then. If there were a husband, he could have shot George Floyd and been within his rights. Any reform has nothing to do with the police officer. But you know why this matters too? Because this is the emblem. There were 10 people shot last year by police officers. Most officers now are carrying body cam footage. You picked the guy who jammed a loaded pistol into a pregnant woman's belly with 5 guys and pistol whipped her. Hey, if you're gonna pick someone to paint a mural, can you find one who doesn't act like an evil person? Just one. Doesn't deserve to die at the hands of the cops. Really clear. But that is evil. That is premeditated evil. Pick one of the 10 who actually was a law-abiding citizen. Yep. Mike Brown? Nope. Punched a cop, was reaching for his gun. Trayvon Martin? Nope. Was pummeling a guy's head into the ground. Tamir Rice? Nope. Was aiming guns at people in a park. Corin Gaines? Nope. Was holding her daughter as a human shield with a loaded shotgun. My point here is this. You want this to be, when you say George Floyd is all of us, well, why we don't say Jeffrey Dahmer is all of us. No. And by the way, Jeffrey Dahmer should never have been killed by police when being taken into custody. No one should. That's the rule of law. Why can't you pick someone who hasn't assaulted a pregnant woman with a gun? Yeah. That's my point. Yeah. It matters. You want to address the problem. That's a problem that you need to address. Now, what are we talking about? What's the end goal here when they talk about revolution? Well, revolution, there should be a mission statement like we had with the United States.
What's the point?
What's the mission here? Police reform. Well, the only thing we've seen articulated is defunding the police entirely, echoed by Rashida Tlaib. Ooh, really? Because that changes a whole lot. Defund the police? Well, thank God you guys didn't succeed in taking away the Second Amendment. If you defund the police, guess what? You're not going to fare so well, hotshot. Yep. It's not people from urban. You want to go out to the suburbs? It's not going to be some DMS. Yeah, it's going to be a country boy can't survive, Hank Williams Jr. Not only do these people know how to shoot, they know how to skin a deer. They know how to field dress a cat, for all I know. I have no idea. They do all kinds of weird stuff. Country people scare me. I hear the banjo from Deliverance every time I go out there. I'm a suburban kid. But my point is, you guys want to defund the police. Ooh, well, guess what? That changes. Right now, I'm saying, don't go out there, everybody. Stay home, stay safe. If there's no police force, now you have vigilante justice because it's the only justice.
Right, exactly.
Now you do have people roaming the streets and creating block parties and going out to preemptively stop you from invading their house. You want to defund the police? Let me be really clear about this. You defund the police. You know who the most valuable person is at that point? And of course their goal was take away the Second Amendment, then defund the police, profit. It'd be like Arkham Asylum. You know who's most useful if you defund the police? Okay, you could. It's not the strong guy. It's not the guy who's a member of the Crips who needs to take some shooting lessons because he fires like this and couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. It's not the guy who's a strong man. It's not the world champion UFC fighter. It's my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, who's an IDPA shooter who can split a playing card at 100 yards. You line up every single top 10 competitor from World's Strongest Man, he can kill them all within 5 seconds. For me, it might take 16. The guy who's from the country, the stupid little country folk, are half Asian, slightly chubby guy. He's been losing weight. He looks good. He's the one you need to fear the most. Defund the police. Well, guess what? You're going to go out first. It won't even be close.
There's that douchebag. Bring him back up.
Bring it back up.
All right,
bring it up. It was Brian Fallon's tweet.
Well, yeah. So the only kind of change, the only kind of action that
they're gonna put y'all back in chains. Oh, he said change.
Oh, change. Yeah. So the only kind of action that the left allows is top-down change.
Right.
Right. So, but what you're saying is that we need bottom-up change. We need inside-out change, not outside-in. So they're only allowed to change the outside. If you change according to their worldview, if you change your environment, then everything else, then all the morality it just sorts into layers and everything's fine. But they don't want layers. They don't want any kind of real morality.
There's no accountability.
Real change does not happen that way.
And here's the thing. If you want to look at an America where you have a defunded police force, just look at these major cities in the United States when the police have been removed from an area and looting, rioting, beating, breaking into every store, destroying stuff. The very basest thing that we could possibly do as a human population, we do it. When police and authority are gone, when the punishment for our crime is gone, we do that. And when we talk about justice, right, everybody's calling for justice right now. I've seen a few tweets that say this is not, we just want equal justice. And I'm like, well, hold on. I thought that the cop was fired.
I think that girl's justice there is a moon pie.
Everybody has a different definition, Stephen.
She needs her just desserts.
Right, I thought justice meant arresting somebody, trying them, and either convicting them or setting them free if they weren't guilty. Like, I thought justice was a process. And we are right in the middle of it, very quickly in the middle of it. Yeah. So what do you want? I don't honestly know. I can't go to a protester right now and say, tell me what you want. Well, I want justice for Michael Floyd. Well, the only thing that we can do right now, George Floyd, the only thing that we can do right now is try the person who's guilty. We can't go in a DeLorean and change the situation, and we can all get together and say, hey, let's train the police officers better. Let's get rid of the union so that we can fire bad ones and get those guys out of here, and let's all treat cops with respect.
Did you see that when I made the moon pie joke?
Oh, that was like 10
good.
minutes
All right,
ago,
go ahead.
right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah, I was just saying that's where the definition of social justice comes in, right?
Right.
So it's not that they want individual justice; they don't want this particular instance.
They want to
of it
string
be,
him up on the spot, and that's not justice.
They want to defund the police.
Right.
And if Americans knew this, they'll not talk about this on CNN. If Americans knew this, right now you have, 58% support using the National Guard. I think it's only 17% are against it.
Yeah.
If you said, hey, by the way, Rashida Tlaib and the leaders of this movement have openly expressed that their desire, their end game is to defund the police, you would see that number skyrocket to probably 90. And let me reiterate this. If you have a conniption fit when people want to defund Planned Parenthood, but you want to defund the police, you're an asshole. Asshole.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm sorry. I don't really have a whole lot of time for your arguments. You want a welfare state. You want to make sure that people get free health care, free television, free phones, free abortions. But no police, which is one of the very few legitimate purviews of government. Oh my gosh, these people, they don't want guns. By the way, the gun stores are picked clean.
Yeah,
Walther is a sponsor. I highly recommend you go pick up a Walther if you're looking for a handgun. But every place I've gone, they don't have them. So let me tell you what else. SIG is really good if you can find that. Of course, Glock are really good. HK are really good. There are some Rugers that are good.
Axes.
Wesson so much.
Holland.
Kind of so much.
Norway.
That's true,
So
yeah.
it's not about sponsorship.
Yeah.
It's about you being safe right now. I recommend the Walther, but they're clear sold out.
Yeah, they're
Well,
all
you have to
gone.
be able
Hope
to
you
protect
re-up
yourself.
that contract, Walther, because we can't do any more. You can't sell anymore.
We did it all for
We
you.
did
The
our
shelves
best.
are empty.
Well, and anytime you put the military, the United States military, into the U.S. territory to help, you have to be careful, right? There's a reason that we don't typically do this. And that's fine to say, hey, you got to be careful. But everybody's saying, like, this is the end of American democracy. This is the first steps towards it. Like, Gary Kasparov is tweeting things about it, the chess champion who thinks he can write books on what it's like to
what
be.
is that?
You know, yeah, exactly. He's a very smart guy, but not in this. And he's saying this is the end of American democracy. See, they're putting troops in the streets so that they can kind of take away all your freedoms. No. We're the side that wants more freedom. We're the side that wants you to be able to defend yourself and not have to worry about people killing you because you happen to be driving down the wrong street.
Do you notice they pulled all these troops out whenever you started attacking people?
Yes.
They're defending stuff.
This is
It
day
isn't
10,
just a
right? This is
random-
day 10?
Day 10, right?
So it wasn't
They're not
day
just
1
bringing
that
them
they
out
did
just
that.
to
I'm
bring
just
them
being
out.
clear.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the federal government is stepping in because state governments, city governments,
Refuse.
and not only that, but family governments and self-government. We're like, we're not even controlling ourselves.
Right.
So that's why they're stepping in,
No,
because
people
every
who are
level of government has failed.
rather than protecting their stuff, taking up arms to protect their family and their homes, not going out committing acts of violence against crowds, but protecting their stuff, you have people who are kneeling.
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Kneeling to evil, and these people are evil. Anyone who demands that you kneel and is not God is likely an evil person. That's a good litmus test. If someone walks up to you and says, kneel and apologize, and you're like, well, for what? I guess I should do this. He
Kick him
seems
in the
like a
nuts.
nice fella. You're probably about to hear and your wallet's gone.
Well, whatever you think in your head kneeling means, it actually means submission and worship.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Submission and worship.
Yeah.
So,
And
but I did notice your Tupac shirt. So, you know what? Okay, I'll take a knee.
Well, that's a bad one because
Gospel was one hell of a track.
that was actually black on black crime when Tupac died. So that's a bad example.
Right. Yeah, and Biggie.
And
That's
Biggie
right.
as
Yeah.
well.
Let's go to CNN a little bit because that's why we're here. Let's see what they have to say. They're showing peaceful protests.
You know, he was just doing what he thought was right. It's about leadership.
Oh, what's the
As General
hashtag for the
Allen was
stream?
saying earlier in this
Crowder Riot
Riot
Stream.
Tweet the hashtag Crowder Riot Stream. Let us know what you're watching.
on the
Send us in
screen.
your exclusive videos too. Last time we had the exclusive interview with the man who videotaped the person who was beaten in Texas.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
didn't
That's
expect
right.
it. So please, we want to get this out.
Use the
We have a large
hashtag.
platform and an audience. We want to make sure that people are getting accurate information. So tweet me at Crowder. Let's watch some CNN here.
But they know better. The Army taught them better than that, to use a damn helicopter as a weapon of intimidation. That is stupid.
Oh, weapon of intimidation
I
now.
appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
Why?
Up next, new details revealed in court in the Ahmaud Arbery murder case. Another black man whose killing was caught on video. What an investigator said about the last minutes of Mr. Arbery's life.
Yeah, do you guys know this story? They're now saying that one eyewitness said the guy who shot him called him the N-word after he shot him.
Yeah. Somebody somewhere said something.
Well, which is weird because the reason people are outraged is because there was videographic evidence. And no one saw that.
Right.
Right.
By the way, that could not be less relevant if he committed an actual crime and murdered an innocent person.
Right.
Just like when that guy was it Justice for Skurlock, right? This was something. I guess this all happened since we did the last stream. Justice for it James Skurlock or James Spurlock, the filmmaker.
Right. Spurlock is the filmmaker.
Morgan Spurlock is the filmmaker.
Morgan Spurlock. James Skurlock.
Yeah.
Not
Super Size Me guy.
Different.
Yes.
We've got it
different.
So that was a good example where they said, "Oh, he was shot," and there was one witness, of course, a black person said he yelled the N-word. Well, actually, every single other witness who was asked to provide a testimony or an account independently, no one saw that. So there's a reason that eyewitness testimony is considered the least reliable form of evidence. What actually happened, and we might even be able to have this footage. You know what? Let's bring that up, the security camera footage, because this was the #1 trend on Twitter, Justice for James Skurlock, and everyone was protesting and taking a knee. Now he's not trending anymore. Why? Because the footage came out. He was being pummeled repeatedly by 2 or 3 men. He then took his gun that he had on him and full right to use, fired 2 warning shots to scare them off. Then when he got up from his bloody, huddled mess, Skurlock tackled him down and started punching him, and he shot him. So, of course, the videographic evidence was reviewed, and I believe the judge or DA said, okay, you're free to go. And people had a fit. Justice, justice, justice. Well, I understand maybe there was a lack of justice and that the people who ran off from the warning shots should also spend a good amount of time in the drunk tank. But I don't know if you could ask for me to
get shot in the ass.
Let's bring up the footage here. This is Skurlock that was the #1 hashtag for 12 hours. Oh, is that? I only saw the security camera footage.
It's a cell phone.
Does this actually show the altercation right here?
Wow.
Or is this just the altercation beforehand?
It looks like it's beforehand.
It's beforehand. Yeah, there's actual footage from the security camera that shows the guys on him beating him. So find that. That's what the judge actually released.
We'll see if we
and you have every right to defend yourself. I don't know where we got the idea that if you threaten somebody, if you violently attack somebody, if you try to pull somebody out of their car in the midst of a protest when they're with, I don't know where we got the idea that the response should always be calm and it always should be proportional to the threat. Like, if somebody's pulling me out of my car, I don't know what proportional is. I have no idea if they're going to kill me right outside of this or if they're going to hang me from the bridge by my ankles and pull my pants down and make, I don't know what they're going to do.
What's proportional when a man jams a gun into your pregnant wife's stomach?
You have no idea if he's going to pull the trigger and laugh or if he's just using it to keep her there, which are both wrong.
You don't know the end of the story.
You have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so we have this footage. Remember, keep in mind before you run this, this was... do we have audio on it or no? No. This was the trend for several hours, and there were new marches that were starting, Justice for Skurlock, and you can see why it went away pretty quickly. Let's bring this up. Okay, so you'll see here the altercation. Look, they mount him. I believe his name is Gardner. They're both beating him up right there. See, look, they're both beating him up. The man on the bottom, he fires a warning shot, so they get up and run away. Now he gets up, gets tackled again. Oh, and they're choosing not to show the rest of the video because the shameful part in that is where the man shoots the person off of him.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Self-defense.
You know why they don't want to show that? Because he was still punching him while he got shot.
Yeah.
We need to be really clear about that.
Yeah,
and I don't know, have they mentioned the police officer, I just forgot, David Dorn at all on CNN at any point?
I haven't seen it, no.
None at all?
Yeah.
Okay, here they are. They're back. Justice for Ahmaud Arbery rally in Georgia. So many rallies for justice.
I mean, it's really hard to keep track at this point.
He was 25 years old. He was out for a jog, and he was horrifically chased and gunned down.
12
Three white
miles
men
from his
are now
house?
charged in the case.
Out for a
And today
jog,
in a
just a little
Georgia
jog.
courtroom, investigators shared new and sickening details about the killing. It is hard to hear, and we want to warn you, it is hard to watch this, but this happened. The only reason we know about it is because these murderers were so proud of what they did to a fellow human being because of the color of his skin that they videotaped it all.
Yeah, and called the cops. A racist who's committing a hate crime calls the police right away. It says, this is where plausible. I am. I want the whole world to know that I should be fried.
Right, exactly. Doesn't make any sense at all.
3 white men.
Here's the evidence.
A 25-year-old black man running through their neighborhood.
By the way, if we were to say black and white, you'd be racist.
Right.
Of 2020, victim Ahmaud Arbery was chased, hunted down, and ultimately executed at the hands of these men.
The 3 defendants, Gregory McMichael and his son Travis, and William Roddy Bryan Jr.
They knew it was Norway appropriation money.
The McMichaels initially told authorities they thought Arbery was a burglary suspect. The prosecution says Arbery had done nothing wrong.
The fact of the matter
is, he was on private property.
Well, hadn't they had altercations before?
They could think he was a burglary suspect, and the police can say he didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't change that they thought he was, and they called the cops and said they thought he was. 2 things can be true.
Didn't they say they had interacted with him before?
I don't know.
I thought somebody said that. Sorry, I didn't know if that was
this
common
unarmed victim in
information
the middle of the street.
In fact, Arbery was out jogging the day he died. Friends say it's what he loved to do. Prosecutors detailed the
in
events
cargo shorts and
leading up to
Timberlands.
Arbery's death.
He wasn't in Timberlands, but I'm saying it wasn't jogging attire. Not saying he deserved to die, of course not, but I'm saying there's plenty of reason for one to be suspicious, especially in a neighborhood where there have been many break-ins.
Before they finally cornered him, one of the suspects captured Arbery's final moment.
Now see, that's Arbery grabbing his gun, just to be clear. You guys saw that, right?
Yeah.
He was grabbing the man's gun. Now, that's horrible, but he might be grabbing the guy who has his gun, who had maybe no intention of using it, and then the other guy grabs it. You go, oh, shoot, he can take my gun and he can kill me. And then the other guy goes, oh, shoot, I'm grabbing. And then all of a sudden it escalates. Just like we see with these riots, which I said, please don't do this. It's going to escalate. More people are going to die. That is a horrible, unfortunate situation. They did call the cops. They shouldn't have revealed their weapon, period. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But none of this is new evidence.
Well, and that's the kind of vigilante justice. If you think that that's vigilante justice, somebody pulling out a gun to stop a would-be potential burglar or something like that, right? Even if they were completely wrong.
Holy
and if they're
shit, Wayne
racist,
right?
Michael Anderson had
he looks like Hannibal Lecter right there, right above the lips.
A little bit.
You know, that guy that his face got eaten off?
And that the
Whatever that
defense
guy's
attorneys
name
for
was.
all the men have maintained that all they were trying to do that day, even though 2 of the men were armed, was trying to have a conversation with Ahmaud Arbery.
I'm armed always. Is that a crime? Yeah. Everyone here is always armed. They mentioned that. Black suspect, 3 white male suspects, and those men say they weren't doing anything wrong, though they were armed. Do you know that armed citizens with concealed carry permits, are the most law-abiding citizens in the country? Why do you mention that unless you want people to think that being armed is a crime because you want to take away the Second Amendment? Oh, and by the way, coming down the pike, defund the police. Asshole.
This is from constant fear. What it looks like he may have actually been on a jog, even though it's 12 miles from his house, whatever. He's on a jog, but he's been told his whole life, white people hate me, white people hate me. So whenever he sees white people with a gun, he automatically jumps at them and tries to take their gun. Then it escalates.
After these riots, do you think that people are more likely or less likely to train a gun on you if you're simply taking a jog in their neighborhood and running through homes when you don't have the right to be on that private property? When these riots are going on, they're being echoed and gun stores are being cleared out because nobody believes what the media is selling them and that this is largely a peaceful protest across the country, do you think that someone like an Arbery is more likely or less likely to end up a victim of being shot? This is what concerns me so much, and please, everyone out there, Christians, atheists alike, you need to pray and guard your heart against actual racism. My fear right now is that you are going to have a bunch of young people become more racist than we've ever seen because they've grown up in a post-racial America, and you have a media saying, because black, because race, because race. And they're going, well, hold on a second. Over a dozen people shot, over 300 officers killed. My friend's house was burned down. Why is it? And they tune in Anderson Cooper. He goes, because black, because race. No, it's criminal behavior. It's absolute anarchy.
Right.
But when you keep selling it as a black-white thing, and the results are anarchy, chaos, and violence, you're going to have young white kids who weren't here for the progress post-Civil Rights Act. And they're just going to go, well, hold on a second. Why the media is saying that these black people, they're all so violent? Why are they all so violent? Why is Don Lemon, Anderson Cooper, and Chris Cuomo telling me that black people are violent? Not all black people are violent, of course. We need to make sure that folks understand that. But you wouldn't know it if you were to tune into the media. They're telling you it's because race. Sooner or later, you're going to have a generation of kids who go, well, you know what? Because race.
Yeah. Well, let's say none of the 3 guys. I'll assume that none of the 3 guys actually used the N-word in the Ahmaud Arbery case, right? But it doesn't. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter now because somebody said that they did. And so in everybody's head, no matter if somebody, like, let's say we find out that didn't actually happen, it's stuck in people's heads now. So it doesn't matter. There is no
Paula Dean.
Well, there is no coming back from that.
Right.
Because once you put it in people's heads,
especially in this cancel culture like we have, you say something, it doesn't matter if it's true or not, you're going to cancel it anyways.
That's why that's why fake tweets still leave some kind of impression in people's minds. Or if somebody photoshops a bad tweet and it actually does make you think negatively.
Or the Bible.
And by the way, it's why you don't kneel for a violent mob. Because let me ask you this: has anyone had any success with apologizing to the outrage mob? Why?
If you found them, let us know. We'd love to hear the story of the one that did.
Apologize to the torch mob, to the cancel culture torch mob, get devoured. How do you think it works out if you kneel to the actually physically violent mob? It doesn't work. You submit and you become serfs. They're not merciful. They're not they, meaning the mob of people. That includes Antifa. That includes Black Lives Matter. I have to say it every single time because the media keeps saying race, 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 and I'm trying to frame this as good versus evil. But the mob is never merciful. They're incapable of it because they're a mob.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then the people kneeling show that they are afraid.
Yeah,
of these people. Yeah, that there actually is a deep fear inside them. Go ahead.
Is it right to kneel before the Gestapo? Maybe we should ask Soros since he did it.
See what he thinks.
That's a good question. I think, one of the things that really frustrates me about this is people like Al Sharpton. I think you had mentioned Jesse Jackson earlier. Every single
tights, but yes.
well, my tights do offend me, but they're black, so they kind of blend in a little bit.
No, your tights do not offend you. Your tights offend us.
Oh, yes.
Hold on 1 second. I want to see what's happening. Guys talking through a gas mask.
Something better on the other side of
That's for COVID. That's not for anything else.
Those are certainly words
also the tear
to
gas.
lean on 10 days into this. Let's go to Chris right now. Chris?
All right, Anderson, thank you very much. I am Chris Cuomo. Welcome to Prime Time. I want to take you right
I was confused.
By the way,
I'm glad he is.
Follow me on Twitter.
So few people watch his show that he feels he assumes they stumbled across him accidentally.
I am Chris Cuomo, by the way.
I am Chris Cuomo.
Just a few seconds.
I have some stories to get to. Chris is my name.
Chris
Cuomo.
My brother.
I have an Instagram.
I am not Andrew. Neither am I my father. I am my own man whose name is Chris.
Our top story tonight.
Our top story tonight. That my name is Chris Cuomo, and I am a human. All right, let's see what this guy is doing in his space camp helmet.
Energy. Let me pan over here, show you the riot gear worn by the Atlanta officers, a large police presence here. And this is different, Chris, in the sense that the police seem to be just as much in number.
They've been saying all night, peaceful. And
peaceful, firebomb.
If CNN could tune in to any place right now in that city where you were not hearing, they would. Right now, I bet you Chris Cuomo's in his earpiece going like, hi, yeah, this is Chris Cuomo. Is there any way that you can tune into an area of town where you don't hear, is there any way? No, it's Chris Cuomo. Could you tune in any area?
Chris.
Again, still Chris.
Is there any way? Chris Cuomo. Yes, Chris Cuomo. No. Okay, no. All right, well, make the most of it, gas mask.
Get your 15 seconds.
Lieutenant, see if you can get over there and hear what he's saying to them.
Well, I'm scared, Chris.
It's hard for me to get over the sound of domestic terrorist-created bombs.
Yeah. I didn't know I was going to have to walk.
Yikes.
Yeah, hey, Mr. Gas Mask, see if you can walk over to that peaceful mushroom cloud.
Right.
Step over there, please, boy.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it's a lady.
Okay, so this is a perfect example.
Very polite.
Very polite, get behind
Very
the barrier.
nice.
If they don't, they're no longer peaceful.
Right.
Because guess what? A fire truck might need to come through that barrier because we just heard something going off and there could be a woman and child. And that has happened. That's not an extreme example. It happens every day. Or maybe a David Dorn is bleeding out because someone wanted a Westinghouse, and so they need to make sure that they have enough space and they have a perimeter so they can get to save that man's life. When an officer respectfully says, please stay behind the perimeter, and you don't, you're no longer peaceful, and tear gas away.
Well, and the perimeter is also set up because there's a history of violence in that area. So they're setting up this perimeter because of the actions of the past.
History of
violence.
Viggo Mortensen.
Whenever I see him,
that just does it for you.
When I saw that naked fight scene,
and he just strangled that dude with his dog out
steam room. I just get very comfortable. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh.
I think that was the end of my point. Wasn't really thinking about Viggo Mortensen.
Take it away.
Okay, by the way, do you know how
else.
perimeters work, by the way? If you have a compromised position, right? So if you start to have people penetrate your perimeter, I know this sounds really tawdry.
Keep doing it.
Please don't penetrate my perimeter.
Guess what happens?
Keep going.
What's wrong with you?
I saw it in a glint in your eye, sir. How dare you? How dare you?
On this show? Come on.
Right. But think about this. If you have a perimeter and somebody starts to break through that perimeter, all of a sudden everybody who's back
Can you
is
pause? I want to hear what this officer is saying.
Right.
He looks like one of those Donkey Kong, the bigger fat crocodile.
Oh, yeah.
Donkey Kong Country. The one who you couldn't kill unless you were Donkey and you jumped on him. You couldn't cartwheel him with Diddy Kong.
That was more important than my point.
Yeah, it's more important than your point because I want to hear what he's saying. Let's hear what he's saying.
He's asking the people to leave.
Let's hear what the message is and let's hear what the response is.
He basically wants them to shut up.
And Reg the Bandit, have a clip ready of people who assault officers after this so we can contrast it.
Why aren't you leaving when they ask you to obey the curfew? Why won't you obey the curfew?
Black Lives Matter
Is that DMX?
does not stop at 9 p.m.
Oh, he's not angry at all.
Yeah. Slogan.
Sir, that's not a reason.
Wow, he's
What? To decide
cite each and every one of you as individuals. So you can go, or you can stay.
You can't stay.
No, it's a curfew.
You can't stay, asshole.
It's the meaning of a curfew.
Negotiations are still ongoing, Chris.
I got my goggles on.
A lawful order. Reg the Bandit, are you there? Can we bring this down? Let's bring up Reg the Bandit. Reg the Bandit, our brilliant researcher, who's an absolute monster. Reg, are you there, sir?
He is. He's muted.
I am, Steven.
It's the mute.
All right, you were muted. I can't see him. Can we see him at all?
Switch it.
Or can we only hear him? I'd like to see Reg the Bandit. I'd like to see my man Reg the Bandit. Reg the Bandit. Where is Reg the Bandit?
Does he have the little bandit thing on again?
All right, good. Hey, can you do us a favor? Do we have a clip here of any officers being assaulted? Because we know that over 300 officers have been obviously injured seriously or critically, and 12 people have died. He just very kindly and respectfully said, please stay back from the perimeter. Right. Then the response was, we don't end at 9 p.m. Well, guess what? Your violence does. He says it do. And then there's another man. This is a peaceful protester, right? Because he's peaceful, saying you're individuals. You can leave or you can stay. That is a direct bucking of the law that the officer. It doesn't matter if you say it nicely. When the officer says, "Please, we need you to move back from the perimeter."
Well, it's after 9
p.m. Okay, y'all, I'm peaceful. Right. Y'all don't have to do shit. Y'all don't have to do shit. Y'all don't have to. Let's start a chant. We don't have to do shit. He said nicely, "Please leave. If you don't, tear gas ahoy!"
Well, there's this underlying philosophy that these two guys, this egalitarian philosophy that these two guys have the same amount of authority.
Right, exactly.
Right, that's the baseline assumption of this guy with the goggles, is that he thinks that he and this actual officer both belong on this corner.
Well, and it's a lawful order, by the way. The state does have a right to put in place a curfew, and you have to abide by that. Otherwise, you do go to jail.
Yeah. Let's see if we can hear it, and then I want to go to Reg the Bandit if we have him up. Let's see if.
I'm not going to stop you from doing anything, okay?
All right, so Nick.
Want to do that. And want to
It's kind of hard to make out, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, listen. We get this state of.
By the way, don't you love it? This is something that people need to notice too. We heard that officer speak for maybe 4 seconds.
Yeah.
We heard it. It was very respectful and very peaceful.
Yeah.
Then they bring in the sound from the other folks, but they cut in so we can't hear the officer.
Yeah.
Because no one hears the officer saying, "Please listen. I have a wife and kids I want to get home to.
Exactly.
This is a long night. Please just move." But instead, they show the other guy going, "Y'all can leave or y'all can stay." And that shows up as a clip where people go, "Oh, he was nice.
Totally crystal
He said
clear.
y'all can leave or y'all can stay." Really? Yeah. Well,
helpful.
he's a sweetheart.
Very nice guy.
Only they're not allowed to stay. It's closing time because you guys destroyed shit for days. You don't get to. Bedtime is earlier now, boys and girls.
And I believe the mayor of Atlanta isn't this a black woman?
Yes,
she's a racist.
She's a
Let's,
racist
she's part
against
of the
black
system,
women,
man.
Huh.
I'm
Or
waiting
black
for
men and
Killer
women.
Mike to take the reins. All right, Reg the Bandit, are you there? Let's make sure we have this polished up, guys. Reg
There
the Bandit,
we
how are you,
go.
Yeah, I think we're ready to go with the clip, and I think we actually have more than one clip.
Okay, can you? Are we doing? We're not doing the. Are we doing the montage right now or no? No,
We can. I mean, we have other clips.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, there's so many. And can you tell me how many officers? Do I have it right? Is it 373 injuries to officers?
That was the tally as of this afternoon.
Right, I know, and
Yeah.
it's tough to stay abreast, especially, it's tough for you to keep track with your peripheral vision.
Yeah, I have to say that I didn't get the memo about Vikings, so I feel like I'm appropriating Antifa culture right now.
No.
Pretty close.
You are appropriating mid-30s burgling culture.
Yeah.
And that's the best
More like the
culture to
Hamburg.
I thought Ninja Turtle, but no,
Okay, I'm
you're
okay
right.
with that.
Ninja Turtle's
Yeah.
pretty
No,
close,
it's fine. Well, you didn't have to wear the do-rag. I wanted you to wear a, one foot over the cuckoo's nest toque. But you know what? We'll allow it. Okay, show us some footage of what might happen, Reg, when people don't respect the police perimeter. Let's bring that up.
Oh my gosh.
And this was
And that looks like it was a
Chicago,
nice
I think.
vintage moped.
Trying to drag an officer into the crowd.
This is the female officer.
Yeah.
But they were peaceful just a moment ago
Peaceful.
when they said we weren't going. We're not going to respect your perimeter. So they were peaceful, but it seems like maybe maybe it devolved. You said you have another
Happens
clip
to
there. By
everybody.
the way, he took off his mask. Look at this really quickly. Look at Mr. Jimenez or whatever the hell his name is. I forgot. What's his name? Nick something? Nick.
He's like, oh yeah, screw this. This is going off.
He's like, F
I ain't
COVID.
got time for this.
Jeez.
Good for you to cover, but not to be in the way. stay in touch with the control room. If there is movement,
He's in
that we
charge.
need to
He is
show,
very much in charge.
By the way, my name is Chris Cuomo.
Thank you, Chris
I'm
Cuomo.
Chris.
Yeah. Also
Here
notice
for
that
you.
CNN is not obeying the curfew.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, they're also
journalists,
hugging
they
up
can do
against
that,
the
right?
barricade.
Yeah.
Listen, I hate to break ranks with you.
Sure.
Especially since I'm a higher rank, but
That's true. That's a little strange.
if CNN is not deemed essential, I don't know. I don't
know.
recognize
Right.
this America.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I don't want to throw him to the wolves and
that's
make
a-
people get mad at him, but treat him well. But my God, he doesn't understand that CNN doesn't have, I
National
support CNN
treasure.
not under the curfew, if only because I want to see them tear gas.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry for even.
Cuomo
Why do
is
you
a
wanna take
national
this from me?
treasure.
Why do you always do
Wade.
that and naysay everything I do? You know that I want to see CNN get tear gas. We talked
Yeah.
about it. We talked about it over cigar at lunch.
That was the
I
only thing in the
very
pitch
clear.
meeting.
I said, I hope if nothing else happens, I get to see someone from CNN tear gas before the end of my days. You know exactly what you were doing just now. You're taking my dreams, Wade. You're stealing my dreams.
That seems
forgot.
like quite a lot of punishment.
I just
Are you okay,
want to
Wade?
say I'm sorry.
No, you're not. And now the police officers are moving in, right? They're not being violent. They're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
They're
No,
moving
it's
in on them.
Slowly walking.
They're
fast.
slowly walking
Just like
towards
people
you.
with
I almost
rifles
cried
at
there.
the Capitol is
That
scary.
was
Let me
good.
be really
I like
clear
that.
for everyone,
Character
by the way, when you say, "Oh, look, white privilege," because you guys brought rifles to the Capitol, and you know what? And you guys didn't get shot. Well, a couple things. First off, concealed carry holders, people who even open carry, obey the law more than police officers. They know that they're safe as in a baby's arms. As a matter of fact, if a police officer pulls someone over and he sees your concealed carry permit, he knows he's less likely to be shot than somebody who doesn't. Second, comparing that with these riots, of course, we're never going to call them protests.
Right.
The delineating factor there isn't white or black, because there were black people who were in the state capitol, and there are white people over here who are protesting. The delineating factor wasn't even scary rifles or tactical gear. It's crime. It's not a crime to open carry firearms, not even to the state capitol. There were no crimes committed.
they look scary.
It is illegal to burn down a building or even to vandalize a building. So it's not a white-black thing. It's a crime thing. I want to be really clear, because it seems like some people have gotten that mixed up. They try to do the hypocrisy deal. If you just understand the through line, by the way, he's Chris Cuomo, is...
In case there was any question.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Reg the Bandit, because I think he said he had another clip of a police officer. Show us what happens when people don't honor the police officer's perimeter there, Reg.
Well, I've also got an interesting video to show that the violence has even spread to London. So they've had Black Lives Matter protests that have resulted in...
They've got bigger problems than this.
Well, soccer season is out, and they're looking for a reason.
Somebody's got to flop. I mean,
Is there anything that proves they were rioting in Paris, that this is more disingenuous?
Yeah.
By the way, if police are brutal in London and in Paris, you can't say it's systemic racism in the United States. And if they're trying to protest for systemic racism in the United States, by the way, 10 men shot last year, 10 unarmed black men, most of them deserved it. 10 is not genocide. Then they're just looking for a reason to riot, to try and put one over the United States. It's absurd. Someone in Marseille is protesting?
Yeah. So you're saying that more people have died in this week of protests than
More
died
people have
last
died in the
year.
last 2 days than any unarmed black men from police officers.
Wow.
Now, there's still been more white people killed last year.
Well, no, we don't. That doesn't matter.
Right.
Steve.
No,
it really
no.
doesn't matter. If you keep bringing that up, I'm going to say something to HR.
Yeah. Well, you know the hashtag
really
obviously is hashtag.
He's over here.
Yeah, they probably
hashtag, and by the
deserve
way,
it.
like I said, it's an R rating tonight. I want to be very clear, because we're going to be showing some footage. But you know, obviously the hashtag that has been commandeered by black activists who share very little in common with the actual black community. You know, it's Black Lives Matter.
Yeah,
but the hashtag has been given to white people.
Oh, has it?
Fuck 'em.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Let's go to Reg the Bandit. Show us your. Tell us what it is that you have here.
So this is from yesterday in London.
Oh my God.
They ran out of Guinness. That's
Is
really
that John
all it was.
Boyega in there?
I have to say, those police officers look woefully ill-equipped.
Yes.
Please stop.
One of them is hitting him with his hat.
Stop that!
Stop, please.
Stop that!
Nope. Blow the whistle.
If you
Blow.
don't
May
cut it
I?
out,
May I?
I'm
May
going
I?
to bring up my billy club, and we're going to have to make a call to the truancy officers. Seems to me that you're not in your schooling facilities.
That's not nice.
Wow, this doesn't look good.
Wow. So
Jeez.
that's what happens in London when you don't respect the
Peaceful
police
protests. They were actually just happy that the soccer season was going to be restarted.
Yeah.
So
that's
they just got a little out of hand.
because it was a
Yeah.
gay
A
A
pride
little out of
parade
hand.
that went-
And
It's
they had
like the
plastic
NHL,
knives,
you know,
so-
hockey in Canada, something like that. You know.
Hockey night in Canada. Is there anything that we missed here, Reg, while we're watching CNN? Because, again, the real value, of course, last time is we pulled up so much from Twitter, but I know they might not get wild and woolly until the lights go down.
Yeah, so it's been a little more toned down, fortunately, so far this evening. In D.C., there's heavy rain and storms.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty good.
Couldn't possibly. It just goes right out.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's good. At the very least, far left anarchists are lazy and ungrateful.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh man, I really wanted to protest tonight.
Dang it! I can't get wet.
Do you recall the Crowder confronts, where we were going to confront that guy, and then there was a few drops of rain?
Oh yeah. That was the guy at the beer garden, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's right. I remember Johnny Boy. He was the one who set that up, and he said, "Beer garden."
Yeah, beer garden.
No idea what it was.
Nice. The revolution has to be paused, guys. No more anarchy tonight. You might get wet and ruin the sneakers you just stole
Nobody
last
has umbrellas.
night. Nobody wants that.
70% chance. I mean, we can't
risk
play with that.
You just
Don't forget the tear gas. Just go out there with some misters like they have at the Applebee's patio. It's not fine enough a mist. It's ruining my tortilla.
I have suede shoes on.
My
okay,
eyeliner's running.
You can't fix that.
What are you down to? It's not even 6. It's not 6 microns. It's 9. What the fuck? I would go out there.
The most entitled.
Just go out there with super soakers to piss them off.
Yeah, exactly. The most entitled group of rioters that I think we've ever seen.
All right, keep us abreast here, and Reg the Bandit, just bring in at any point whenever you see something that you can let us know. Let's go right now to CNN. That's Chris Cuomo.
I
not
heard
that,
a loud distraction of a sound coming from Mr. Floyd's direction of another officer.
Hey, everyone, Wade is going pee.
Okay, go pee, Wade. Pee in your helmet. Be a man.
Don't. Hey,
there's a hole. There are holes in the morning.
Well, that's what I was hoping he didn't know.
Be a double stream.
At that moment, it started Mr. Floyd, myself, and maybe even the partner of the officer, because he.
By the way, Tim Pool will be coming up later on this evening, and we have a big surprise for him. One that goes bang, bang, bang.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's very nice.
I'm happy about it.
Partner was on my brother's side. I believe using a use of force.
Well, Mo, help me understand the situation. So the officers came up to both sides of the vehicle, asking for ID. What happened on George's side of the vehicle that made the officers run after there? Over there? Do you remember?
I do. I remember hearing a loud, like the object of a blunt force, some large object, whatever the officer had in his hand. Again, I'm turned because I'm taking care of the officer that's on my side. I can only hear this. And once I hear this loud distraction,
I don't know, but she's quite fetching.
Oh, yeah, not too bad.
Then she's
a very good-looking woman.
Very nice hair.
That, by the way, proves that I'm not racist.
No, not at all.
Him to do.
Absolutely.
Very nice hair. Tell him.
So he's asking him.
Get them
So
curls
George
tight.
wasn't saying, "Get away from the car, leave me alone. I'm not going to get out." Nothing like that.
No, not at all. No.
He was
By the way,
complying.
can we check? Has CNN ever brought on any of the officers?
Or their friends?
I doubt
Because
it.
this is a guy who, I mean, his qualification, he's not even a long-time friend.
He's a passenger in the SUV for the stop.
Has him
right?
printed on his shirt.
Yes.
The guy with George Floyd.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, I'm just checking in. Have we seen actual evidence of racism? I know it was a white police officer and a black suspect, but have we actually seen racism?
He was a bad cop.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the problem, is when you focus on an issue that is fabricated by the media, you lose sight of the bigger issue, which is poor police training, which is a militarized police state, which is one that frankly is supposed to serve and protect, but a lot of police officers, not all, think that they are there to control us. That is an issue that every person, black, white, could be on board with. If these were the chants right now at the riots, you would have rednecks out there with you who want their stuff to not be disturbed by police officers.
Right, exactly.
Who don't want to submit themselves to unwarranted search and seizures. Instead, they turned it into a racial issue, just like they did with Mike Brown. Now, in the different scenario there, you know, this guy wasn't actually reaching and punching a cop in the face. But the cop could be a bad cop.
Right.
Yeah,
He may
that's
not
in the cards.
be a racist.
Not every single action of black on white anything is racism. It's not.
Not every
Maxine
single
Waters
bad
says,
thing
"I'm going to
that
go out and
happens to
get
you."
me one today."
Yeah.
Well, Maxine, what information do you have that the rest of the country seems not to have that makes you think that that's true?
No, it was
that this
National
person-
Donut Day. She was talking about Dunkin'.
Oh,
Don't make it out of
I thought it was the coffee.
She likes herself a mean bear claw.
I miss National Donut Day again.
You miss National
Again? I think you can
Every
have it
year.
any day. They
Every
say it's every
year.
day.
Well,
if it's in your heart.
Well, yeah, it's in the bottom of your claw.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Look, not if you eat the donut holes.
I ate a donut hole.
They're better.
And now my heart's a hole. So
It filled
I
in
guess
all
fair
my
is fair.
heart holes.
Fine.
I got,
All right.
I got stints and shit. By the way, I talked to
That's
Dr.
positive.
Choi. What's up, Doc?
That's not like
We're
street
gonna have him
cred.
on the show more.
Yeah.
I sent him the video of the Korean shopkeeper, which we're going to bring up in a
Yes.
little bit.
Yeah.
And he was laughing so hard, so hard because his dad was his dad had experienced that in I think his dad was in Los Angeles, but his dad was in the war, but didn't want to have a gun.
Yeah.
And he talked about this was the meme rooftop Koreans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he talked
Coming
about
back.
how the leader in Koreatown in Los Angeles during the Los Angeles riots actually went out on his homemade radio. It was very difficult, very expensive. It was on for 24 hours. He went out and said, hey, the police will come to protect you. Do not purchase firearms. Don't go out there and be a hero. And then the next day he said, well, no police are showing up. So it's time to... So the guy who created that movement of rooftop Koreans initially got on the radio to tell people all is well, wait for the cops. And it was only when they were getting ransacked and abused. And by the way, hate crimes committed. Hate crimes.
Yeah. They were blaming them for a lot of the economic problems that they were having, that Koreans had moved into their neighborhoods and stolen jobs and started businesses. And it's like, well, they showed a little initiative and now you're pissed off at them.
Or Korea.
that's racist.
They can't get a fair
They really
race.
can't.
You have all the Kim Jongs, and then you have the Los Angeles riots, and then they make Falling Down where the Korean shopkeeper is he's the villain right off the bat because he's overcharging for Coke, which, by the way, is not entirely inaccurate. I will say Korean shopkeepers, they tend to upcharge when it comes to soda, but I'll pay it.
Yeah.
I will pay it because it's good business.
He's a South Korean, not a North Korean. Be nice to him.
Yeah,
Come
well,
on.
I don't care. Either way, someone's getting an Uzi in the face.
Wow. They make those?
No, not from me, from the Korean.
Oh. Well, where'd he get the Uzi?
He's Korean.
Oh.
Korean, that's what they do.
Are you kidding? They have their ways?
At
I thought that was a given.
moment, a Korean shop owner can just like Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Do we have just
Hold
that
on.
isolated clip? All right, let's show this clip because then I want to be clear. Later we have a montage of all the worst crimes that have been committed, and then
we have the isolated song. I got it.
Yeah,
soundbite.
and you know it's going to
playing
get
it over
crazy
here.
once the sun goes down on the rest of the country.
But
here,
we'll show
for
that
now.
later. Later on in the show, I want to be very clear too. We have a reel, I guess you would say not a highlight, a low light reel of all the violence that's been committed here during these riots as they continue to try and say that this is peaceful. Then after that, though, stay with us because after that, we have a highlight reel of all the hipsters and protesters getting their asses beat.
Oh.
So,
I like that.
Little
It's a
sweet
better
and
highlight.
salty.
Right, yeah.
You take the good with
little
the bad.
low, little high.
And I think we have a palate cleanser in there of a 7+1. 7+1 excuses for, what is it? Later
When
we have
caught
7+1.
looting.
Yeah.
For looting. When
Most
you're
heard
caught looting.
excuses when
7+1
caught looting.
excuses for looting.
It's like a fine sorbet.
What is going on here? Chris Cuomo
like a
looks like
palate
he's
cleanser,
just
yeah.
waiting for an opportunity to say his name.
He leaned in.
Chris, are you talking about before they cross the street?
Yeah.
Chris, what you talking about?
She's an
Remember-
interpreter.
Yeah, that's what Chris Cuomo was talking about. Yeah.
digested at this point, but one of the questions here,
I'm Chris Cuomo.
Counselor, is why it took so long.
Now, question for you, Miss Sideshow.
Mrs. Sideshow.
When you made your way to becoming president of the NAACP, were you afraid that they would find out about your race and actuality? Are you thinking of Dolezal? I'm Chris Cuomo.
No, but I'm asking. I said I'm Chris Cuomo.
But they didn't.
That's right. That's right.
They corralled me, and then they was only focused on George.
They
Mr.
put me
George,
in a rodeo.
which he was doing a peaceful protest. He was in his humblest form. He's on the ground.
And Chris,
Humblest form.
from what Mr. Hall has told me from the beginning.
Did he just say he was doing a peaceful
as-
protest?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah.
Mr. Floyd was
Hey,
shot.
also, by the way,
I'm already
sorry,
empty.
Garcon, I started with
So he's
Topo
trying to
Chico.
gather what-
I think I'm actually a lot funnier when I have a beer in me. So,
hit
Two.
the
Let's
hard
get
stuff.
two.
Continue to tell them,
Make that
Yikes.
different.
that he was
did Tim just say yeah?
not.
Yeah. You're awful.
Jeez. Was that a joke?
You always
check
have
from
a
Tim?
beer in you.
Man.
You saw within seconds, really, of approaching the car, they put him in handcuffs, and then led him across.
Right.
My client will tell you. He said, I've been hurt before. Please, what is this about?
Right. So, Counselor, we're
So here's
showing
my
right now,
question.
just so you understand.
We always have footage there, and then we have
Yeah.
footage of him on the ground. Why don't we have footage
Of
of
him
between the
doing
car
in
and the
between,
ground?
Are the officers have body cams, right? So where's
They
that
do.
footage?
Yeah, and that could either be a problem with police acting more brutally and taking off their body cam,
Right.
Oh, thank you.
or it could be something that they don't necessarily want to show us because
Thank you,
maybe
Bear
it was
Wench.
an arrest, which is what was reported. We can't know. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
it looks like the cameras do have that angle.
It's hard for me with these amulets to move.
Reg knows if there's spotty cameras.
What are these for? Is it swords, like so you don't get like cut?
Yeah, bow.
It's to intimidate.
Or is it to block the rain if you're a protester and it rains?
Thank
It's
you very
also
much.
hard.
With
You know what
hair
I'm saying?
like this, you don't want condensation.
So there
Yeah,
he
there's
is
so
on
much
the ground.
product in there.
So
You
there
don't
he is
wanna
on
get
the
that
ground.
one.
Now they show them lifting him up.
Right.
Okay.
He's up.
So I am interested. So then he went into the police car, right? George Floyd went into the police car. And by the way, everyone who's watching, they just set up the perimeters. So God forbid it gets, well, we know it's going to get violent.
only a
I
matter
hope it's
of
a
time.
lower level of violence than we've seen the last few nights. But,
Well, and we're hitting curfew times too.
we're
And
about
that's
to hit
typically when
curfew
people are starting to get a little more frisky.
And that's why they're doing pieces with, George qualifications, CNN, longtime contributors. Friend. Okay, there you go. That's him. What? That's him.
They're pulling him out
Pulling
of the
him out of
car.
Out of the car.
Right. They don't have him cuffed. They don't have him cuffed here.
Showing
I don't
them
think,
move,
right? Maybe they do.
George
Maybe they have his other arm.
SUV over to the wall. And now he's on the ground sitting.
Now he's cuffed.
It's a flash.
We
shot,
have
so
all
we
this.
don't know
Has
how he
anyone?
got down there.
It's
Now
just
we
me.
see
Has
them
anyone
pull
seen the
him
footage
up by
of
his arms,
between him and the
obviously
car
behind
to out on the ground?
No.
Because that's the
And
portion of
now
the
they
report
start
where they said he was getting unruly.
Right.
Not saying it's true, but it is a piece of information that I would like
Yeah.
to know. I'm
Well,
always
it's-
curious as to why we have 12 different angles of one part and
But
we don't
not
have
that.
any angle of the most pivotal part.
Right.
I found the body cam footage, but it's heavily redacted.
Oh, okay.
So
Heavily redacted.
Never mind then. If
Nobody
it's
wants
redacted.
heavily redacted.
And that movie sucked.
It did.
Redacted, rendition, Lions for Lambs. Those were all the films
they
where
were
they
all
tried to, vilify our troops. And right now we're vilifying our police officers. By the way, to everyone out there, I stopped today and I just thanked the police officer right near, where that new 7-Eleven is.
Yeah.
I just pulled over. I said, and I'm always very careful because I pull over and I went, hey, hands. I said,
Not a
"Hey,
threat.
I
Not
just know you
Antifa."
guys have been getting a lot of flack, and I just want to thank you. And he said, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. He kind of got choked up and asked him if he was paying attention at all to the media, and he said, you know what? I've just shut it all off. I don't watch any
You
of
have
it
to.
anymore on any side. And you know what? You don't want that. You don't want a cop who can't watch any media because of the constant vilification.
Right.
You want an officer like a Darren Wilson who asked to serve in Ferguson. You want an officer who is in tune with his community, who's in touch, who is as informed as possible. You don't want them to isolate themselves. But what choice do they have when? How do you think if you right now tuned into the television, Chris Cuomo, he is Chris Cuomo. You tuned into Chris Cuomo and you knew that without fail they would be vilifying you directly or by proxy every hour of the day. You personally, you think you'd shut off the news? That's what police officers are doing. You want this? You want some kind of a feedback capability here? Well, don't make it to the point where police officers can't even tune into television, and police officers can't even peacefully request that people acknowledge a police perimeter line so that they can save women and children in burning buildings. You do that, you shut off the dialogue. Just like Seth Rogen, if you don't think Black Lives Matter, you should stop following me. You don't deserve my movies. I'm not waiting on the interview too, but
no, I don't think so.
You know what happens? I want the opposite of that. We talked about that on Good Morning Mug Club. If I say something you disagree with, let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can help correct me. I know a lot of people didn't like the fact that I talked about George Floyd's crime of jamming a loaded pistol into a pregnant woman's belly and pistol whipping her. And I don't think that changes the fact that he should not have died at the hands of the officer.
Right.
But I do think when you're using him as an emblem and painting him on walls, I do think that you should. In other words, if Hitler
that should be information
were
known.
wrongfully killed by a police officer in the bunker, and I'm not saying George Floyd was Hitler, but you know what? I'd put it on a level of evil, putting a loaded pistol in the belly of a pregnant woman. That's pretty evil. You know what? I think it's actually compares. As far as evil, Hitler evil, putting a pistol. Anyone who's ever had a kid, anyone who's ever had a pregnant wife, just imagine someone putting a loaded pistol with 5 other guys to your wife's belly. Do we really think that's someone who should be representative of George Floyd is all of us? Really?
No.
All of you have
hope
put
not.
loaded pistols into women's bellies? And dear God, I hope it wasn't a Walther.
Oh no, it wouldn't have been.
I don't think so.
It would have been.
It would have been a Taurus.
Probably something like that. A Taurus.
Probably a Beretta.
Yeah, it would have been a High Point. Or Keltec. Let's have 3 lawsuits while we're discussing.
Let's just
bring it on. Keep it
all of them. Yes, at the same.
But seriously, when it comes to I want to be very clear about this. If you care about the people around you, while we're talking about these violent crimes and boundaries that you should respect, friends, do not let friends buy high points. You don't.
They don't.
You cannot count on them.
Yeah, let's be
unreliable.
clear. If we're only clear about one thing tonight, it's going to be that. Yes. Well, and you know,
Platt Richmond Cheatma. That's the law firm.
Well, and I don't think this really. I mean, facts are always relevant, right? In this case, like the facts of who the people are, right? Is the officer somebody who's had complaints against him or not? Have a stellar record, right? It's tough. Yeah, you can't grab your beer. You have to get it off then, right? Or you know, is this person somebody who's been violent towards police before? Have they interacted before? All of these things are relevant. I don't think that we would be focusing quite as much on the fact that this guy has a rap sheet that it's terribly long, unless everybody else in the media was trying to make him out to be a saint.
Right.
Right? This guy, and I tweeted this out earlier today because people were saying like he was known as a man who would stand up for his friends and family. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. His death was a crime, right? I think we all agree on that. His death was a crime. His life was much the same, a series of crimes that he committed. Right? Let's not make him out to be a saint just because his death was a crime.
Right.
You can admit that this was a generally bad guy who ended up getting killed in an illegal way.
Well, and
that's fine.
And we're going to go to some more some highlights here. And Reg, the bandit, please do let us know if we're missing anything. But here is something that is important. Should not have died from that police officer. Want to be really clear.
Not at all.
To reiterate that every single time. However, they did work at the same club, right? We know that they worked at the same club.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they work at the same nightclub as security. We don't necessarily know that they know each other.
One on the inside, one on the outside.
He did do 5 years for that crime, and he did some other crimes that he committed.
Right.
So there's a good chance that this guy knows who George Floyd was. Right? There's a good chance of that. And then for sure, if he runs the plates, that's why they run the plates. What's waiting for me in this car?
Right.
So let me ask you this. If you're a police officer, and I'm not saying that he should have kept his knee on the neck, I cannot be more clear, but can you understand how you might handle a scenario differently when you run the plates and go, oh my God, 6'5", 250, how tall was this guy? 6'5", 250, was something like that?
I don't know.
Big dude.
Big dude. At least 2 1/4, at least 6'4". I've seen
Yeah.
as high as 6'6". I've seen as low as 6'4". You can see it in the tape. Let's say 6'5", 230. You run the plates and go, oh my gosh, 6'5", 230, did 5 years for jamming a loaded gun into a pregnant woman's stomach and has had offenses since then.
Armed assault,
I'm not going to take any chances as a police officer. And my point is that can escalate a scenario that had wrongfully so, because the officer should know how to de-escalate it, but it may not have anything to do with race. Do you think that officer, if he pulls over a toothless meth head from Salem's Lot and he's 2 trailer homes over from M&M, do you think if he goes, oh my gosh, this guy knocked up a liquor store and pistol whipped a small child and beat his wife, and he's had drug offenses since then, I'm going to handle this differently than I'm going to handle, let's say, your wife in a pullover. It doesn't mean the cop is racist. Cops get scared too.
They want to go home at the end of the day. Right?
Every
they
situation they go
kids.
into, they have no clue what's going on, what's going to happen, and they have to think about that all the time. So think about being on edge like that every situation.
Do you know how many times police officers have walked up to the side of a car to give somebody a speeding ticket and have been blown away?
Right.
Right? It is ingrained in them that your life is on the line every single time you interact with somebody, and that's a different thing than me sitting here going, oh, well, I probably wouldn't have done that. Well, no, my life wasn't on the line. Right?
Let's
you work at a department store.
So people know that CNN is up there, even though they're doing puff pieces that no one cares about. Let's try and keep the boxing.
I think he's really mad right now that his name is not being said more, Chris Cuomo. I can see it in his eyes. He's like, if I could just work in a way. Oh, there it is. That's better, guys. Better.
Wrong. He just pooped. Is Reg the bandit there? And if he is there, is there anything that we've missed or anything going on, Reg, that we should on which we should stay abreast?
So I do have an update on Twitter's handling of fact-checking in regards to the Black Lives Matter
Should be
protest.
interesting.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because someone, just to be clear, by the way, someone repeatedly attempted to dox us these last couple of days.
That's right.
Really?
Posted the wrong address, but it still pissed me off.
Well, yeah.
6 times in a row. It took over 30 hours for Twitter to do anything.
Look, the taste freeze.
But they did verify my tweet saying that if you kneel, you're a pussy within 14 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So doxing, not that big of a concern over there on Twitter, because I don't want, even though it's not our address, I don't want the person in that address to have someone show up and try and blow them away. So, sorry, go ahead and update us there, Reg.
So a day or two ago, there was this claim just spreading like wildfire on Twitter that the New York police had shot a 13-year-old boy 19 times. And, you know, it turned out, now we know it was a 34-year-old man who had a gun and had already shot somebody. Now, I just
you could say that's
today,
different.
And there are many blue checks that still have the tweets up.
Are they fact-checked by Twitter at all, verified?
No fact check at all. And I mean, I think that really stokes violence toward the police, because, I mean, if you actually thought police were out shooting 13-year-olds 19 times, I mean, yeah, you'd be angry.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, of course, because that would be morally reprehensible, and those police officers, if they were shooting an unarmed 13-year-old 19 times who wasn't doing anything wrong, they should receive the same penalty as a perpetrator. If the state allows the death penalty, that's what they should get.
So that's the context. Now, the breaking news that I have here is that Trump had posted a tribute to George Floyd, right? The Trump campaign had posted a video, saying that there should be justice for him. Twitter has just taken it down on the basis of copyright complaints.
Oh,
wow.
Now, they've been asked for comment, and, who claimed copyright on any of this video? They said they can't comment on it. They'd have to have the lawyers there. Several media organizations contacted them. No feedback on it. Seems completely arbitrary.
Bull.
Do we have the ability to find the clip, Reg the Bandit? Do you think you can find it somewhere else on some type of contraband website? I know you sometimes use
Silk Road or something.
the Proton dark web.
Yeah, we won't
because
talk
God,
about
who
that.
knows? Maybe there was a Nickelback song.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
In which case,
could be.
the rights of the music from Nickelback supersedes the justice for George Floyd, provided that Donald Trump is the one tweeting it. I don't think I've seen a single George Floyd tribute that wasn't a gross copyright infringement made on Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was still around.
I just feel like every single tribute I've seen is, either Tupac or Tattoo singing with like that little star transition of his headshot.
Yeah. Well, just a nice screen printed T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
somebody's making money on the shirts.
Yeah. Well, listen,
capitalism.
Hey,
capitalists among you. I see how this goes.
They want a socialist revolution, but until defunding the police, socialist revolution, but until that happens, you put a little MS Paint to work, and Uncle Sam's none the wiser.
You make a little cash.
All right, let us know. What were we about to say?
Yeah, I was just going to. Earlier, we were talking about sort of like reputations, and I think that the media has every incentive to call all of their.
I was just feeling to see if my helmet was still
great. Yeah.
I took it.
Oh, okay, sorry. Because I was saying yours looks good.
Well, thank you.
I was like, where's mine?
Thank you. I'll wear it every day now.
No, hold on. It's missing something. Wait, I can't.
What is it?
Quite,
Yeah, what is it?
I don't.
Yeah.
Wait, do me a favor and lift it up.
It's
and
a
then put it
mystery.
back on,
Yeah. So, but the media has every incentive to call all of the friends and say, "Would you describe him as a great father?" Or like, would you describe him as a wonderful friend and man? Like, no, they're not going to go out and find the people who say negative things about these guys. They have to find positive things so that you can paint this guy as bad, this guy
I'm
as
Chris
good.
Cuomo. Right. Jesus Christ might be too far. But do you think that Floyd is comparable to Gandhi?
Could you
By the way,
close
take your helmet off, because I don't know what's going on. What is it?
You have to take it off.
Take it off.
You gotta take it off. Come on, let's go.
Take it off.
There you go. There we go.
You tried to hide.
You gotta have
let
that
your
on.
braid flag.
Come on, put it on.
If you want the braids, I'll be back here.
No,
There
come
we go.
on. Don't be a pansy.
Why can't you? What's wrong?
I've
with the
dressed
braid?
as a
Draw
full woman.
Yeah, look at me. What is this?
What I'm wondering is why.
There you go.
If I saw a boat full of these guys, I wouldn't be very intimidated.
Yeah, you wouldn't honor their perimeter.
Yeah.
I think we'd be looking at him going, he looks really scary. The axe, the muscles, but what about the braids? I don't.
And why does he keep singing
way.
high notes and pointy tits?
Yeah, but I think the axe is they balance out.
I think it just makes you pause
Don't
long
comment
enough.
back.
Yeah, he is. He's very scared of this.
Don't
Yeah.
comment on my pointy tits. Please, I don't appreciate that.
It's too late. I'm seeing him coming in right now.
I watched a guy.
Beyond the pale.
I watched a guy have his
Whatever the pale is.
self-esteem destroyed. He was kind of a bully in our
Sure.
youth group.
Was it me? Oh, no,
it wasn't you. I believe you.
A bully.
Over your embroidered pants. Okay. So right now, this is just to be clear for people who are just tuning in. Again, the hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream.
Crowder
the
Riot
promo
Stream.
code is Viking. You get $20 off. But just to update people who are tuning in, Donald Trump posted a tribute to George Floyd. Twitter removed it for copyright, even though they're not fact-checking any of the misinformation regarding the
not real
NYPD
stuff.
or attempted doxing, however inaccurate it may be against ourselves. They did remove this tribute to George Floyd posted by Donald Trump. All right, Reg the Beast, take it away, sir.
Do it.
I understand the pain that people are feeling. The death of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy. It should never have happened. It has filled Americans all over the country with horror, anger, and grief. We We support the right of peaceful protesters, and we hear their pleas. The voices of law-abiding citizens must be heard, and heard very loudly. We will stand with the family of George Floyd, with the peaceful protesters, and with every law-abiding citizen who wants decency, civility, safety.
Is it the music?
And security.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
But what we are
So
now
it goes
seeing
on
on
for
the
quite a
streets of
while.
our cities
Hold on a second, Reg.
has nothing to do with justice or with peace. The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists.
True.
The
It's a
violence
good message.
and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs.
Did this for no reason.
The mobs are devastating the life's work of good people and destroying their dreams.
This is as presidential as one can get.
Yeah.
Sword. It harms those who have the least. We cannot and must not allow a small group of criminals and vandals to wreck our cities and lay waste to our communities. We must defend the rights of every citizen to live without violence, prejudice, or fear. Healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos, are the mission at hand. I stand before you as a friend and ally to every American seeking justice and peace. No one is more upset than fellow law enforcement officers by the small handful who fail to
There's a
abide
lot
by
here
their
that people
oath
need to hear.
to
It's
serve
not
and
just
protect.
bluster and
We support
campaigning.
the overwhelming majority of police officers who are incredible in every way and devoted public servants. We must all work together as a society to expand opportunity and to create a future of greater dignity and promise for all of our people. Every citizen in every community has the right to be safe in their workplace, safe in their homes, and safe in our city streets. We are working toward a more just society, but that means building up, not tearing down, joining hands, not hurling fists, standing in solidarity, not surrendering to hostility. This is the sacred right of all Americans that I am totally determined to defend and will defend.
Okay, pause real quick. Wow. Reg, I want to go back to you. Chris Cuomo looks like he's on a rant being shitty. Let's see what he's saying.
Takes so long. George Floyd was a big guy. He wasn't Shaq, okay? You know, the idea that he can't fit in a car doesn't make sense. He was in a car. He was in a
mid-size. How he picks like the only
Mercedes
person who would be clearly bigger, because most people are like, he makes you look small.
Why
He does. Yeah, which is
Why
weird.
back up? Why on the ground? Why in the cruiser? Why back on the ground? Why so much time? This is what has to be answered in this prosecution.
Bring on
That
an
is
officer
what
to
fairness
answer it.
under the law demands.
Where's your booker, Chris
How about the
Cuomo?
rest of the video, though?
So extreme.
Probably have that.
What about the rest of the
For
video?
so long.
Where's your? Why don't we have answers? I didn't hear you ask for any answers. I didn't hear you bring anyone on who would be qualified to give answers. I heard you bring somebody on who claims he was in the SUV and was a longtime friend of George Floyd. Why don't you bring on people who can answer? Why don't you demand footage that would provide answers? But we understand he's not Shaq. No, he's more the size of a Hakeem Olajuwon if he had a little bit more weight on him.
A little bit, yeah.
More or less.
So what was the reason they banned that for Trump, Reg the Bandit? That we just saw that video. What was their reasoning?
So again, they haven't given any reasoning. They've been reached for comment by several news organizations, and they said they wouldn't discuss it without a group of lawyers there. But I think it's worth noting that it hasn't been hit for a copy strike on YouTube.
Right.
And
banned it
I
from
think
Twitter.
you can sort of see why Twitter might want to take down this message calling for peace and cooperation, and then leave up something saying that the NYPD is shooting 13-year-olds 19 times.
Right,
They may have a vested interest in, Jack
bastards.
Dorsey is very good friends with Ray McKesson and other members of the Black Lives Matter movement that have a vested interest in seeing these continue
DeRay McKesson, the guy who is so racist, keep in mind, that when he watched Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Apes, and he saw one of the apes, all of whom were in human clothing, and one of them had a blue vest, he sued for trademark infringement because he assumed that it was meant to look like him.
He saw himself.
And by the way, if you don't remember the story, just go out and Google DeRay Planet of the Apes. I would never in my wildest dreams have made that connection. But before I only went to see the movie because DeRay complained, where he was like, clearly, look, they put an ape in a blue vest and it looks like me. That's what he's like, it looks like me. And I was like, what are you talking, what? Are you saying that black people look like apes? This isn't, DeRay is saying this? Like, this must be a joke.
DeRay
and I went into the theater.
DeRay.
DeRay.
Not DeRay.
Well, derailed is his career since he hitched his wagon.
Where is he, by the way? Oh,
I go to Planet of the Apes and I'm sitting there, you know, and it's stupid and it's this whole social justice message. So you know that they're sympathetic, obviously, to people like DeRay. And then I see this one sort of thin, less strong ape in a blue vest.
Less strong.
And if I'd have known about ventilators back then, I would have requested one. I was like, oh, DeRay saw this and he was like, wait, that's me.
he looks effeminate and weak.
Wait,
and he has a
like,
vest.
That's my brand.
Seeing in a film, seeing someone dressed in a giant actual sphincter asshole costume, and me being like, "I am that is the
copyright.
Uncanny. You do not have the rights to my likeness.
I own my likeness. Please.
I own my likeness. No one can have a balloon knot without my saying so." So that is
Stephen,
yes, go ahead.
I think
Reg.
we have a shot of DeRay seeing himself in the Planet of the Apes movie.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's bring this up.
He's bringing it up.
All right, yeah. Let's bring it up when you have it because the reason he's doing this is because Stephen can get in trouble if he's saying DeRay apes. It's him who brought up the story.
That was him.
I'm saying
DeRay said it.
DeRay. I think he threatened
hard on the D.
Too. So let me know when Reg has the clip. It was so funny when I watched it because I'm going, oh my god.
Oh, we got the image.
You got it?
The image?
Okay,
all right. Let's bring this up. Oh, okay.
I see what you did.
I see what you did.
No, I do have the actual image as well.
Oh, okay.
All right. Fine.
That was my attempt at a joke.
No, it's very funny.
You're about as funny as I am.
You can show Gerald a thing or two.
Yeah. Maybe we should stay in our lane, bro.
All right, let's see the actual image of DeRay.
Side by side.
Side by side. Do we have it?
Oh, yes. He drew the parallel.
Yeah, he
was
the parallel.
one. Yeah.
DeRay was the one. To be very clear. I didn't know about it. I had no intention of seeing the film
from the 60s.
until DeRay said, hey, the movie stole my vest. I'm an ape.
Like in retrospect,
it's a member's jacket, okay? It's limited edition.
It's just so funny to picture DeRay, at the local Cinemark or Lowe's, and he's sitting there watching it, and he sees a skinny, unattractive ape in a blue vest, and he goes full teeth. He's like, "God damn you, filthy ape!" How dare you?
I like to think that he gets a check every month from the Funko Pop that has the blue vest on. He's like, all right. Somebody's paying rent.
But here's the thing, and I'm just through apologizing because we all feel like we have to clarify. No, he's saying, DeRay said it. If someone wants to take this out of context, please do. Send it to Anna Kasparian. Make sure she, gets her reading glasses on above that new honker that she purchased. And I am more than happy to go to arms with people who want to take this out of context. I think it's so funny that DeRay made the assumption that the ape was him. Because for crying out loud, one of you just go to REI. Is every mannequin DeRay?
Yeah,
exactly.
There's tons of North Faces out there just like that.
Exactly. By the way, so I will say this, Reg, that was I don't know about what you guys think, but that was one of the most powerful videos that I have seen.
Of course, they couldn't let that.
Not from Donald Trump, from anyone.
Makes me wish I
saying this, right? That's one of the most powerful videos. Why in the world? Because what it made me think was like, okay, maybe we can get through this. Maybe we can unify. Maybe we can get past rioting and looting.
And it's banned.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like,
they couldn't leave that up.
Why would you want to? Hey, Twitter, why? You have to answer this question. Why?
Yeah. Everybody should take that clip.
Answer. Don't wait for your lawyers. Really have some balls and answer.
Let's see what Chris Cuomo has to say real quick.
Imagined to have been that he was
pursued. Where it gets serious.
That he was run down.
Oh, this is the
Then,
Aubrey.
as he lay dying, his accused killer reportedly spewed hate that takes this directly to what it was most feared to be about. Even the investigation.
Oh, gosh. Timing.
I love that our show is this varied
tonight, along with family attorney.
So dynamic.
We heard a report from someone, I'm Chris Cuomo, that
thank you for being
the person who committed murder, worst of all, perhaps used the N-word, black people. What do you think about a man using the N-word who killed a black guy? I think it's bad. I'm Chris Cuomo. We'll be back after this. It is remarkable.
That's breaking
Very
news.
poignant.
And I don't know about you, but I would also hope that black people who have children, who have wives, who have husbands, who want them to come home, probably more upset about, if it's murder, with the murdering.
Yeah. Then the name calling afterwards.
But this is what they feel, because
it's part of the systemic problem.
This is why this matters, okay? Because they tried to justify that footage that we showed earlier with Scurlock. They tried to justify the man being mounted and beaten repeatedly because they said he said the N-word. Now, all independent eyewitnesses, aside from one person, said no, that wasn't the case. They also claim, and I don't know if this is true or not.
Even if,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You don't get to pummel someone.
The woman who was beaten with 2x4s while they made her husband watch, those guys, while they gang beat a woman with 2x4s, they claim that after the first strike with the 2x4, she called them the N-word. Well, then what do you...
Well, then 5 more lashes if you didn't get it after the first one.
I guess he dies now.
I mean, I didn't have a Louisville Slugger, so I grabbed what I could find, and I'd try to put a nail in it. But what am I? She said a mean word. It doesn't matter. You don't get to commit violent crimes. I get that no one should say the N-word. I've heard the N-word one time in my life used unironically. Everyone knows the story. It was at a Bob Evans restaurant, and my heart stopped. That's where people go to use the N-word.
Jeez.
If you guys are investigating white
far from any
just
black
go
person.
there.
Bob
They
Evans.
always go for the breakfast.
And also to get
special.
some decently priced pancakes. I mean,
it's
Dead
not
giveaway.
Dead giveaway.
That's a dog
You
whistle,
won't
guys.
even wear the ponytail thingies, whatever those are.
all right. Okay.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Reg. And here's something that also really matters with Donald Trump, them removing that on Twitter. Again, they removed that.
That's incredible.
It's not about
Absolutely
truth because
incredible.
they kept up hate mongering about the NYPD firing on a 13-year-old who was 19 years old indiscriminately. We know that's not true. They didn't fact check it. They didn't remove people attempting to dox us. But they did remove Donald Trump's video that touched on love, not hate, hugs, not clenched fists. Nobody is more upset than our police officers, and we need to support our good police officers. A call for unity. They removed it for copyright. Now, that may or may not be true. Maybe one of those images, like I'm not sure if Donald Trump is really adept at Getty or Shutterstock. Like, what's Getty? Is it Shutterstock? I never shutter, okay?
I'm getting the image.
My hands are steady as a rock.
And stock, I'm more of a Bond guy.
Shutterstock? Have you ever heard of steady hedge fund? So that may or may not be true, but right now you can find thousands of profiles that have the same footage, and some of them are using completely, blatantly copyrighted music, and they are not being taken down. So this is what matters with social media when people say, "Well, you know, Donald Trump said voting ballots when it's ballot submissions." That's incorrect. It's not about there being a rule on Twitter or on YouTube or on Facebook. It's about the rule or the law being applied equally.
Oh, equal justice. It seems like this is a trend right now. I don't know why, but I think I've heard that before.
Yeah.
It's a trend until the rioting starts.
Well, that's now.
And then that's
I don't know if it's going on right now. But let me, I do have to take a potty break, and I know that we have Tim Pool and Not Super. How long is that first montage of all the violence and destruction?
The first
one is 1 minute and 40 seconds.
1 minute and 40
Second
seconds.
one's 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. So then let me do this. I want to warn everybody out there. Again, the promo code is Viking. You get $20 off. The hashtag. What are you doing on your phone?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just checking.
Don't do it.
I will put an X in you.
Okay.
The hashtag is Crowder Riot
Walk
Stream.
over in your tights. Put it over there right now.
No.
Please.
Okay.
That's Reg's job. He's trying to take Reg's job from him. This is a union shop.
You see that, Reg?
Get that long shot of his tights. Get that long shot of his tights.
Yeah.
Oh, I got him walking away. I got him walking away.
I got the chainmail.
Okay, don't feel bad. You got a nice big penis there. So,
thank you.
Again with the knife
on thick.
I want to show everyone this, and I want you to stay with us because what you're about to watch is very difficult to watch because the media is going to be talking about how these protests are peaceful. And we just saw them refusing to honor, the police perimeter line.
Yeah.
But I want you to see what's been going on since last Saturday.
Yep.
Just since we last streamed, while there was violence going on that night. But stay with us because after this, I know it's hard to stomach, we will have a highlight reel of people and police officers fighting back. So before that, just remember this, when they say these have been largely peaceful protests. You're talking single-digit percentages of cities that haven't erupted in violence, namely very, very small protests in the suburbs, like places in Frisco where they did a march, and Frisco doesn't play like that. Outside of that, violence has erupted everywhere. What kind of violence? Well, watch for yourself.
Over some TVs, cuz. Come on, cuz. Come on, man. We better than this, cuz. Over a TV, cuz. Over a TV, pop them, cuz. He gone, bro. He gone, bro. Over some TVs, cuz.
رأس العساكر أنا أنيكم
Get out of there! 12! Get out of there! 12! Hey! 12! Sucker 12!
Was that guy yelling, "I've got your dog"?
That's what it sounded like he meant to say, yeah.
It wasn't his dog.
Didn't sound.
It didn't look like it was his dog. Either way, someone should take that dog away from him.
Yeah. Yes. Was that the footage of the guy that was abusing a dog on the news? Did you see that?
No.
I don't want to see
Yeah,
that.
he was holding the dog by. Oh, I mean, you can do it by its scruff.
Yeah.
But he was like shaking it around and stuff.
Well, that was just. Or did you not see it?
No,
you couldn't see.
We
Yeah,
looking
that
at
was
Twitter
literally
too?
the last clip.
You
right?
take your
it
phone
was
and
blurry,
you put
I couldn't tell.
So,
Oh,
a couple of things really quickly. We're going to show the highlight clip because let not your heart be troubled.
Right.
But something that I've noticed that obviously important. Chris Cuomo has spent no time on the ground.
Zero.
The one time he went
Zero.
to the ground, we heard. Everyone here heard what sounded like mortar shells going off, right? Everyone
And
heard
the sun
it.
was going down.
Right, everyone heard it. The sun was going down. Then we heard the police saying, "Please honor this perimeter." And the one guy saying, "Black Lives Matter, don't curfew at 9 o'clock." And then they got into each other's faces.
Right.
They have not gone back to the street at all. So if this stream seems a little less dynamic, it's because for some reason CNN doesn't want us to know what is going on in the street. How long
They're
has it
on
been?
break
28
right
minutes now? 28 minutes where they haven't gone to the street at all?
At least that, yeah.
That's what's going on in the street. Now, we are going to show you really quickly a highlight reel, and then we're going to go into a quick break so that I can go drop the kids off at the pool.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of people
Vikings have
who have
food,
fought
too.
back, and police officers, and I don't mean vigilantism, I mean people who have, of course, defended themselves, defended their property, and yes, police officers who have had enough of watching their, let me make sure I get this number right, 373 fellow officers being taken to the ICU, or over 400 now?
Probably over.
Wow.
I mean,
Probably
tonight's
over
count
400
probably takes it
serious
over 400.
injuries to police officers. Of course, over a dozen people dead from last night. We don't know what the numbers are. So, even though I know it's upsetting, I would like you to enjoy the highlight of everything good that's happened.
He had an ice pick and he was feeling brave. World's permission to misbehave. He didn't think he turned into a cop's driveway. I hope he's doing alright. Yeah, he stood in the middle of a traffic loop, swinging that slugger like he's Babe Ruth. I hope he doesn't miss that tooth, no, I hope he's doing alright. 'Cause it's a great day to be alive. I saw a hipster pepper sprayed in his eyes. You know that you might be gone for good if you try that in my neighborhood. The queers are losing all gaining sympathy from Don Lemon. Release the tear gas and get Trump on the phone. Then I watch him give up the fight. I turn on the news and what do I see? Antifa assholes staring at me. They think they're hard, but they're as soft as can be. Lord, they're getting lit up tonight.
The Antifa guys are not doing well here. They're all getting the shit kicked out of them.
Watching scumbag looters get more sky. How about trying that crap in my neighborhood? My Walker's gonna treat you like a Walker should.
Guys are just you can't come to Ukaipa with this shit.
You rock my door. You think I can play with you? Huh? You motherfucker. All that coming out. You motherfucker. You break my window, right?
You must choose. Bimbo, bimbo. My name is Mr. Susan. You must choose, and now it is time for you to do the choosing.
Black Rifle Cafefe.
No, sir, it's actually just how it is in the prompter. It's coffee.
Okay. Cafefe. Okay, folks, frankly, it's the best coffee out there. AR-15 coffee. M16 coffee. It's a coffee with Bazooka Joe. The coffee, look at the bread. Can we get the hero shot? Do they still make Bazooka Joe? It used to be a penny. Rifle of Color coffee. This coffee should be dating a Kardashian, right? This coffee is the best coffee. Black Rifle coffee. And unlike other companies who claim small batch or premium, Black Rifle coffee isn't roasted, frankly, until you place your order, making sure it's the freshest coffee. Many people don't know it's a bean. It goes bad coffee. Go to blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder. Enter the promo code Crowder to receive 20% off your first order of Black Rifle coffee.
Yeah, I think that's the best we're going to get. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. President.
great. Someone give me a Diet Coke.
LouderWithCrowderShop.com is now selling baseball tees in red, blue, and ash. Get yours at LouderWithCrowderShop.com today.
There's no point in wondering where your pockets are. Tasting smooth, creamy milk.
All right, welcome back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So well, he goes back, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well, we have some costumes. So it turns out some of you actually did have Viking costumes.
That's right.
laying
Yeah,
around
you pulled it
at
together.
the ready,
And some
we
good
do
ones.
appreciate that. So yeah, bring up one of the
let's pull it up.
costumes here. We can only see the horns,
scroll
all right?
down. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right, a little
nice.
That's pretty good.
axe and stuff.
That
Well, the
is.
beard
What's
is
the name on that
extra
one?
points for the
would
beard.
work. Yeah, that's very nice.
There we go.
Viking
Norway
costume
has
submittal.
trolls.
Norway. Hey, I know Norway. I've seen
Norway,
that.
that's even in their name. Well,
Steven
Steven's
will be-
over
yeah.
here. He'll be back in a
He's
second.
lighting
He's
up a
doing
cigar.
Viking
I'd
things.
show him,
Do
but
we
I
have
don't
another
want
one
to.
here? Do we have
Yeah.
another costume? Is
The
this-
winner.
Pulling
The
up
winner
against
of the
winner.
costume contest from
Brad
Oklahoma.
Ingram.
Brad Ingram.
Oh,
Brad
come
Ingram.
on.
Nice.
Really? That's the winner?
Well, it's such short notice. I mean, come on. It's,
he
it's
had
really.
a finger puppet Viking.
It's on us.
It's 3D
This one
printed.
right here, look, this guy
It's
right
3D
Scroll
printed.
down,
He put
please.
some
Scroll,
time
there we
into
go.
that.
There we
Well,
go.
He also has a nice.
Contraband shirt. We're gonna
Yeah,
get
don't show that. Get that off the
It just
screen.
says
Get that off the
socialism.
screen.
That's
You
it.
guys
That's
keep
all.
talking
Get that away,
because I'm
get that
going to
away,
like
get that away,
this.
get
I think
otherwise
that's pretty
can't deal with-
creative,
yeah.
but I don't know if that's the winner.
Hey, let's see what Dead Johnny Mathis
Come
is
on.
saying on
Maybe
it.
the tinfoil hat guy would win.
He's grieved.
To hear
Dead
her
Johnny
talking
Mathis.
to friends about the George Floyd case, and it's not like we're some hypersensitive
thing
news.
good, huh?
I don't even. My kids don't even watch what I do 90% of the time.
They're watching now.
But it's so
Can't even get his kids to watch
penetrating.
It is.
It was so long. It's so wrong.
So long and wrong.
It's so frightening
Wrong and
that
long.
this is who we
Cuomo
are.
can't even go
This
for the
is
full
who we are.
Windsor.
No.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on.
Cigar
Here goes
fan,
Cass.
very low
What's
if
up
you
with
guys
that?
can.
Called the other day.
Yeah.
I got a call from
We have a
friend
cigar
and
fan in the
as
office.
soon as
Oh.
I said hello,
No big
he
deal.
says,
I
Don,
overburned
what
that.
would you have me do? What do you
Did you?
want? And I mean, just immediately, not hello, how you doing? Nothing. I have so many of those phone calls
my hair needs to be pulled back. Hold on.
I think we
I can't do this.
Productive way for all of us to
get
all of this out. And I don't know if that's in
Don't do the long shot on him when he's fixing his hair.
Probably if we had better leadership.
Might ruin the illusion that that's Steven's real hair.
It's like a drag queen. A person
They
who's
might
dressing-
believe already.
I don't know what I
real.
can say anymore about that, but when they
Sure.
pull their wig off,
Hey,
not good.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Oh wow.
We have a
Black
riot officer. Oh, okay.
Protest
Is that
in
what's going
Wow,
on?
yeah.
studio.
Why?
What's
It seems
Okay.
peaceful.
Oh, no.
Oh, there's
Oh,
the
okay.
knee. There's the kneeling.
Yeah.
that's not.
And,
Someone please put a
doesn't
pistol
look-
in her stomach.
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
geez.
there we go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, all right, let's cut away from that. I don't want to
Yikes,
see
this
that.
is uncomfortable.
Wow.
That's enough.
You know,
Oh my God.
Oh,
It's
there's
getting
more.
Stop,
There's
getting
more.
worse.
Okay.
This is enough. This
All
is
right.
enough.
Yeah,
Another
that's-
character.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. Beat him
Oh
with
my
the helmet,
goodness.
maybe?
There.
Oh,
I
just
appreciate
don't
that.
know.
0%.
That's
Yeah.
why
So-
females shouldn't be
It was
cops.
like a little drama.
You know, I say
like a
0.01%.
little play.
Don't
That's why you shouldn't have lady cops.
Well, I
It's
just
not
don't like.
safe.
I don't want to see female cops.
Right.
Looks
Right.
like dark helmet.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Again, the
She knows
promo
well.
code is Crowder Riot Stream Viking. You get $20 off. We're gonna have Tim Pool on
Promo
here in
code
10 minutes.
is Viking.
What did I say?
Promo code is
You
Viking.
said it was the hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream.
What? Yeah.
Promo
You said-
code
what
is
did you
Viking.
say? Why'd I stop?
What?
Huh?
$20 off.
Cuomo is now happy because somebody probably said his name.
This is now everyone. It's all.
Ooh, Don Lemon. Okay. That's right. We do have one more thing because the last clip in that was the rooftop Korean.
Yes,
correct?
yes. The yeah, I don't want to say that.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: a lot of people, rooftop Koreans are a meme.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously,
Certainly.
because
It's a
they
true
protect
meme.
their stuff. They were abandoned by the LAPD, and they're often the victim of hate crimes.
They've got true grit.
And everyone was obviously laughing at him. You know, you motherfucker. Right, but here,
Whoa. Yes.
Yeah. He's here. We have him on Skype.
I can't.
on
so
Skype
funny, I
Live.
can't even do it. But the thing is,
This'll piss you off.
You also hear when he was doing it, he's like, you have all this shit coming out. You hear he said it like,
Yeah.
So the thing is, good American protecting his stuff. Doesn't necessarily have a mastery of the English language. Is
Especially when
everything okay over there? Do we have it? So that clip actually continued. What's that going on, Tim? Do you have it?
We have the audio bump. We don't have the actual clip.
Oh.
We don't have the follow-up clip of.
So we
Asian-
have the extended version with the extra on it, I believe.
Well, maybe not.
You do not.
Oh,
We'll have to get that.
I
later
misunderstood.
for everybody.
Okay. Well, then we'll have to get.
Well, that's
that
why your
later.
name is Audio Wade and not Video Wade.
Right.
So,
I'm the
you know,
worst.
What happened?
stay
All
safe.
right. So that's okay. So someone will be suspended with pay, which really isn't that much of a punishment.
That's like a vacation.
You know, it's almost like with the rioters. At some point, one of you guys is getting tear gassed. Let's bring up
I
the
volunteer
volume
Wade.
and see what's going on. And then Reg the Bandit, I hope you have something for us because it looks like things are getting wild and woolly. Again, largely
Starting.
peaceful protest. Largely peaceful
And of course, it's New York doing
White
it.
police officers.
Of course.
Knee on his neck. He died.
Don't you love how that
Calling
black
out,
guy
"I can't
in
breathe."
Deep Ellum said, like, you know, when they call in a crime and they say in the news, they say black. They
say black people.
They don't say white. I've heard Don Lemon say white more times than he could take a single breath.
50 times.
Well, because they want division, right? I
Right,
mean,
of
anytime
course.
they use that as
It
a
sells.
descriptor, it is breeding division, and that's what they want.
Yeah,
Because that's what they
absolutely.
think some kind of progress comes from is
Right.
dissension and chaos.
Also, he says the fantasy parts out loud.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't
get
realize
your monologue.
he's not supposed to
So-
say. So let's listen to Don Lemon.
Against people of color. The president apparently couldn't even be bothered to tweet about it.
It was removed.
What?
Yeah.
Even as he seems
Wow.
Yikes.
This is okay.
Can't be bothered.
I'm sorry,
ass.
but all right. Everyone
Yeah,
drink.
it's
Drinking
drink.
game.
This-
President racist. All right.
This is not even for the game. This is for me.
This is why we need the executive order on social media.
Yes.
This is why we need to have some clear-cut boundaries because guess what? I guarantee you Jack Dorsey has spoken with Zucker and Cuomo and Don Lemon. I guarantee you he has more of an in than certainly Donald Trump or any conservative with social media. So either Don Lemon, with his many, many tens of millions of dollars in budget, I don't even know what his salary is, but there's at least 50 producers and staff, probably over 100,
minimum.
either couldn't be bothered to know that Donald Trump posted that tribute that we just talked about, which was, was truthfully very beautiful. I keep saying frankly and truthfully because we did a Trump sketch and now it's in my vernacular and I hate myself for it. But you pulled it off really
You're
well,
not
Mr.
wrong.
Trump. President Trump, thank you. Sorry, I said Mr. Please don't have me audited. Okay, I meant to say President. I was just speaking really quickly and Don Lemon has me all wee-weed up, to quote Barack Obama. he either doesn't have the ability to do research, and we're supposed to believe that he doesn't know Donald Trump put that out there, that long video that took a lot of work to put together, or he knows and he's complicit and he's saying that Donald Trump couldn't take any time out of his day.
Right.
That is a lie. When we talk about fake news media, that's an absolute lie. Because Donald Trump has commented from the get-go on George Floyd. From the get-go, and has gone to great lengths to make sure that we know where he stands. You don't care, Don. You don't care. Johnny Mathis don't care. He doesn't want to tell the truth. How do you think the story would work if he said, and the president, to his credit, of course, condemned the senseless killing of George Floyd and did upload this video that was very long where he called for hugs and not clenched fists and said that we are stronger together, but it was removed for copyright. That might change the story. Now, take that and times it every minute of every hour of every day, and that's what you get with CNN. Are you guys watching? Is everyone out there watching? Don Lemon just said that Donald Trump didn't have enough time to take out of his day to comment on George Floyd. We just showed you the video tribute that was taken down from Twitter. They're like raptors communicating and coordinating and triangulating to try and take people out. Twitter says, all right, listen, we're not going to fact check the vicious rumor that NYPD officers killed a 13-year-old by shooting him 19 times. Turns out he was actually a 30-something-year-old, and they actually didn't shoot some crazy unarmed suspect. That's not true. We're not going to fact check that. We're going to leave that up on every single celebrity profile, but we are going to move Donald Trump's video tribute to George Floyd, where he calls it senseless and calls for better training of police officers and unity, and then you guys just run the stories at will.
Yeah, and the only thing they're going to say right now in Don's take is something about Trump and paint it as him not responding to a question.
They're saying right here, Trump's answers to questions about police violence.
Yeah. Exactly.
Will it include that video?
No, it probably won't.
Bring it up.
All he said before
Bring
was,
it up.
I want to hear him. I want to hear him.
Volume.
Audio.
Then made a speech, and it was a speech about the rocket, and I devoted 25% of the speech probably to what happened, or more, to what happened with respect to George Floyd.
Speech about a rocket.
Are you mad, Don?
Wasn't a speech about George Floyd or
Did you miss that one?
racism or how African Americans are treated by police.
Definitely missed that one. Totally missed it.
By the way, drink.
Rocket.
African Americans treated by police.
So,
Again,
yeah.
19 white guys shot last year, unarmed white guys by police, 10 unarmed black men. Just to be really clear, and most of them, both the white and black guys deserved it. Not exactly genocide when you add it all up, all races, 29. Go ahead, Wade.
Yeah, so why is CNN reporting on every other Trump tweet?
Right.
Isn't that their entire programming plan is Trump tweets? But we can't do that one
Except
because
for
it was
That
taken
one
down
looks really
for
good
copyright.
because he said it. Yeah.
And keep in mind, let's assume maybe they couldn't get it because it was removed.
Oh. Yeah.
We have a guy in a Burt Ward mask who got it within 30 seconds. You can't be bothered with that, Don Lemon?
But by the way, do you guys understand how unifying the SpaceX launch was to people? How much hope it gave people?
And totally overlooked.
A leader can go and say, "Hey guys, this is a really great event that we came together and did. Look at this. We're going back into space with this public-private partnership, and it's fantastic." And he said, "I devoted 25% of my speech to George Floyd. What else do you want?"
And is Don Lemon mad at Walter Cronkite for not commenting on all the racial injustice when the man landed on the moon?
Yeah.
A rocket.
Just a rocket.
What is a rocket? He
rocket
shouldn't be
speech.
commenting on it.
And why is he looking increasingly like an old lady who would pay you in quarters to rake her yard?
It looks like age makeup.
That happened to you, Steve?
Like
it
does.
looks like age makeup.
It does.
I mean, there's probably an AIDS component. I'm not saying, but
age or AIDS, or both.
A little bit of both.
Okay. Open for interpretation.
AIDS
Let's hear
makeup.
what he's saying, because this guy is just. I used to say that he seemed more reasonable,
No,
and Chris
not-
Cuomo was the
no.
worst. Now Don Lemon. Oh, here we go. Apparently, he has the Whitmer sign language artist without his wig on.
And we were coming up 57th Street. We were coming up and down. We were walking around. And then for whatever reason, yes, we're 2 hours past the curfew. For whatever reason.
Skim past that.
This group of protesters moved north on Fifth Avenue. Officers just started moving in and making arrests.
For no reason.
Because they're breaking curfew.
Now, could this be related to earlier when they said, please stay back? Because keep in mind, look at when you see the mobs in a street. No, there have been women and children caught in fires who couldn't be saved by fire departments.
Innocent people have been shot.
Because of
Innocent
peaceful
people.
protest.
A reason that a police car has a push bumper is to clear a path because they are not the only first responders. Remember, our heroes, but I know it only applies to furloughed nurses in South Africa.
Right. Well, if we were actually in a fascist nation, the CNN guy couldn't stand in front of a bunch of cops and lie about them.
They'd be beating the crap out of him.
He thinks that Mussolini would be like, hey, please stop. We do good things too.
Come on.
We do some things that are good. Don't only tell the bad. You're making a Mussolini very sad.
By the way, you don't get to pick and choose which laws you follow. Yeah. This is a rule. You have a curfew for a reason. Oh, other than just, like breaking the curfew. I don't know why they moved in and started arresting people. I don't know. Maybe because they were breaking the curfew.
I want to listen to this reporter, by the way.
Go for it.
No announcement saying that they were going to make arrests. I've seen in certain situations where they
Well, do you think Don Lemon only hires reporters who also suck dick?
It stays in the family.
Like I said, R-rated. But it's just interesting because
keeping it together.
These people. Let's mute that. Let's mute that until we have. Is that Tim Pool calling in?
I think he's coming.
First, let me. Well, hold on, guys. Guys, let me know what's going on. Let me know when we have him, and then we can bring him on. We were going to do a commercial break before we brought Tim Pool on. I'm sorry, Audio Wade. You're so good on air, but then I forget that sometimes you're also good off air with the sound.
I'm happy to be here.
I mean, he's
so he's not here able to. He's not able to help us there.
It's all good.
Let's go back to the.
He's not Audio Tim.
Hey, look, two gays.
Let's bring that volume up a little bit.
This is two guys, one perimeter line.
From everywhere.
All right. Shimon, we'll check back. We got to check in. We have a lot of places in the States tonight that we need to check on. New York City is one of them. The other one is Washington, D.C. That's where we'll find Alex Marquardt for us. Alex, boy,
watch. They're going to bitch about Donald Trump's wall.
Was erected,
maybe if you didn't break down barriers and try and storm the White House, they wouldn't need a wall.
Build a wall.
They try and say it's symbolic.
We have Tim Pool.
Okay, well, let's hold him for 1 second because I want to hear what this guy says. And I also want to see if he has a preference for the D.
Now is a bit of a thinner situation than it has been, but that can be forgiven because we just had this huge downpour that swept through downtown D.C., and I have to really be in admiration of the resilience of these protesters. They really weathered it.
Resilience.
Protests all across D.C.
Well, there was a spritz.
I marched with some young people from the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial.
Hey, is that Tim Pool in the beanie?
On his phone? Shut up, Stephen. Don't out me.
He can't be at two places at once.
There were no arrests last night. And the Metropolitan Police Department said that they were not going to enforce that curfew as long as people stayed peaceful. Don, I do want to point out this fence that you were mentioning. They had erected this several days ago.
Oh, that's right. Drink. Peaceful, everybody. Quarter black Aaron, bring up the drinking rules again.
Another half block away. And the reason why, if you look
every time they mention peaceful protest or imply that Trump is a racist or America is systemically racist.
To reinforce this.
By the way, I love that there were no arrests made last night because they couldn't push down the fence.
Yeah. A little too weak.
When it was a barricade, they were just shoving it through and, of course, harming officers in the process. And I'm like, well, there haven't been as many arrests. Turns out, walls work.
Yes, they do. Maybe they should do some more CrossFit and they can maybe scale those walls or push them down.
Yeah, but they blow out their shoulders before they get past.
That's true. The swing.
By the time they get to the other side.
I am going to be the resistance. And, my rhabdomyolysis. Get the dialysis machine. Get the dialysis machine.
Isn't that for your blood or kidneys?
It's for your kidneys. But rhabdomyolysis is where you get creationine in the blood, and so you can actually.
I really shouldn't have.
Yeah, you should have known he already had some backstory on that. I should have known
you had that.
You dumb bag of shit. No, I only know it because CrossFit.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
CrossFit
all right?
made that their mascot, Uncle Rhabdo, and it's a clown hooked up to a dialysis machine.
Really?
Because they're like, I train so hard that my blood breaks down and tissue gets into my blood and toxifies it. Isn't that fun? No, you're weak and now you're sick.
Yeah, it's dialysis. That's not fun.
All right, we have Tim Pool. Am I not mistaken? All right, Mr. Pool, are you there, sir?
I am indeed. Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on a second. We're showing. Yes, we can hear you. We just saw someone who looked a little bit like you there. He had your beanie on. Can you confirm, in fact, this is not green screen trickery? You are not at the White House?
I am not actually at the White House, but, some people try to do what I do and report.
Right.
The greatest form of flattery, It
is the greatest form of flattery. Also, if your calling card is going to be an item that can be procured for $6 at Target, it's not necessarily copyright material.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me.
Doesn't cover.
Though it can be looted.
That's true.
There is that.
That's free.
You just had a stream going on, right, Tim Pool?
I did, yes.
And what were you guys talking about in the stream? We've been watching CNN, and it's been remarkable that they have been trying to avoid going to the ground tonight at all costs. They're not showing the ground. The one time they cut to the ground, we heard what sounded like mortars going off. The police respectfully asking folks to honor the perimeter. They said no, and then we hadn't gone back until just now. So what have you guys been covering?
Minneapolis is talking about disbanding their police department. And the defunding of police. Yeah, totally disbanding it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. And we just had some conversations about what that would mean. I mean, it sounds crazy, but there's actually some arguments for why it might work if you consider what Black Lives Matter activists have been talking about. This guy, Hank Newsom, is having armed community patrols. So they are responsible for their own community and their own policing. There's an argument for it, a conversation to be had. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I was thinking about it, and I'm like, all the 2A people would probably be happy to see all of these liberals now defending the right to bear arms.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And taking responsibility for their own safety, and stop putting the responsibility on police to come and rescue them when crime is happening.
Right. But they don't But they don't want to defend the Second Amendment. They really just want it to go to a federal level where they can indict people who disagree with them. That's the problem. They literally want gulags.
The crazy ones.
Well, I don't know. I mean, has Rashida Tlaib suggested that, hey, we expand the Second Amendment? Because this is, the most vocal legislator that I know. In other words, if someone said, hey, defund the police and let's have a robust defense of the Second Amendment, I would listen to them. I've only heard defund the police from people who also say strip the Second Amendment. Am I mistaken? Because I want to be corrected.
Mostly correct.
Okay.
It's just Hank Newsom. He's a Black Lives Matter leader, I think based out of New York, who said, we need to arm ourselves and be responsible for our communities, and that solves the problem. I think it's an interesting argument.
Yeah.
Minneapolis isn't saying that. They're saying we're discussing disbanding the police because it's irredeemably broken, and they don't know what the alternative is.
Right.
So maybe start with a transition or an alternative before you talk about just getting rid of the police. Because ultimately what we talked about is maybe city living has become untenable. It's just you've got too many problems.
Right.
You can't afford it. It smells like sour milk. Maybe it's time to move out of these cities.
That's being very generous. When I walk through New York City, I smell human shit.
Yeah.
Wherever I go,
you don't just see
human shit.
You don't
That's
just smell,
not dog.
you see.
It is human, and you see.
Yeah.
I once saw a
Visually.
man taking a human shit.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't shitting a human.
That's not
he was
even
actually
surprising.
taking shit.
Wow.
Not
And then he
surprised at
also,
all.
this was in Tompkins Square Park. Not a joke. Took a shit. And then he reached into his pocket. I swear to you, this is true.
No.
He reached into his pocket, took out, there was a syringe in his finger, and rather than using his other hand to pull it out, he just went like this. Like it was so casual. He reaches into his pockets and dirty syringes. So he took a shit, pulled up his pants, reached into his pocket, and there was a syringe like it was a fly.
That was in the San Francisco tourist ad, right?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. And they were just
pure San Francisco.
Wait, is Tompkins Square Park San Francisco?
I don't know.
No, I'm thinking of. Anyways, it was in Manhattan.
I'm a fool. Excuse me.
What was that, Tim Pool?
That's New York, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But then Audio Wade stepped on me. Jeez.
I wasn't listening.
He makes a horrible fat lady singing. Something else, too, I want to know for people who don't, if you're very confused, Cultural Appropriation Month.
Yes.
We're doing Norway today. Tim Pool, we talked about this earlier today, you and I off air. So you obviously are more of a moderate, and you've never owned a firearm before, correct?
Nope, never.
Now, it seems like your opinion has changed in that you would like... Okay, first off, explain to me, and welcome Tim Pool's audience, explain to me when your flash of genius was, when that moment was that you wanted to get a firearm.
It wasn't a flash of genius. It was a couple of years ago. I was still very much like... I respect people's right to own firearms, but I think there's some reasonable arguments for control measures. And then someone messaged me on my YouTube channel saying... if we can have reasonable controls on the Second Amendment, then I want controls on your First Amendment. And I immediately was like, that's actually a really great argument. I concede. So while I think, there have been issues in big cities and stuff.
That's a very odd white flag. I concede.
I guess you're
he was
right.
probably ready with his beer and he had his vape and he's like, all right, I'm going to war with Tim Pool. You're like, you're right. He's like, oh.
Now what do I do?
What am I going to do with my night
I got like the whole night left.
Can I go barge a police perimeter?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a fair point.
It's logic. It's me saying, honestly, I haven't had real sit-down conversations with people who were talking about how this functions, and there was a gap in my sight, but I still didn't buy one. When COVID started escalating, actually, no, I'm sorry, I got to walk this back. It was when the pedophile showed up to my house at 4 a.m. and tried breaking in, when the police instructed me to go buy a gun.
Right.
In a manner of speaking, they said, If it were me, I'd open the door with a shotgun. So I tried going through the hoops.
I like
and
those
it was,
cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good cops.
Yeah.
Dude, it's tough. It's tough in New Jersey to get a gun.
Well, that's what we were talking about. So let people know,
imagine.
because listen, you're in New Jersey, and obviously, Manhattan itself was like a war zone for several days, and some of the protests have been peaceful, where it's only a couple hundred people in smaller areas where they march. But obviously, New Jersey can turn on a dime. So you were telling me it's hard to buy a gun. Can you tell me exactly what it is? First off, there are no firearms to find right now. They're picked clean.
Right.
But what the process would be like there, for example, like for a handgun.
So the first thing I did was I called some administration. I can't remember. They said, go to the police department. I go to the police department. They gave me conflicting instructions, told me to fill out a form, then go online. The website didn't exist.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
It's like the DMV with exit wounds.
Yeah.
Yep. So they told me I would have to fill out write an essay. I'm not kidding. They said I have to write an essay explaining why I need one. And,
What?
I'm not kidding. It's totally serious.
Oh my.
So at that point, I was just like, this is nuts. I got to move out of the state or something, because they've given me no clear instructions. They couldn't tell me what I was supposed to do, where I was supposed to go. So more recently with COVID and everyone rushing to the stores, I started looking into it again, but didn't get serious until the full-blown riots nationwide. And that's when I was like, I'm going to actually spend the time and do the hard digging. And I found some path towards getting a gun in New Jersey.
Right.
That had me fill out a form with a bunch of numbers. I didn't know what they meant. It told me to find case compliant numbers, which weren't included in anything. No instructions at all.
Right.
And I really do believe they try to make it as hard as possible for a regular person who's never bought a gun before to go through the hoops of actually buying one.
Yeah.
Right.
Finally, I got to the point where I could fill out the federal ID or whatever, went and dealt with fingerprinting and things like that, and it's...
And it was during this. It was during this in-between period that you were raped, correct?
By a very large evil monster came out of my closet.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Named Don Lemon.
You gotta hate those, man.
So first off, a couple of things, because I understand. I know that you have some compound bows, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's kind of what you're using right now.
I got a bunch. Oh no! I got
Whoa! Hey,
regular
having
green
more
arrow.
doesn't help. You still have to string
choose
it.
one at a time. Yeah.
I've got like 4 compound bows, 4 recurves, 2 Hungarian traditionals.
This is Robin.
And this is more because it's fun. We weren't thinking that we were going to be like ninja warriors with bows or whatever.
No.
Good.
We're actually like, we want to go range shooting and have a good time.
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
just have fun.
No, I agree.
We actually want to get guns for security.
Yeah, no, sticking a broadhead in a looter can be a good time fun for the whole family. Well, let me explain something to you. So we talked about this earlier today. I want everyone to know, full disclosure, I talked about it with Tim, and my heart went out to him, because I come from a place in Canada where you can't protect your stuff. It's rely on the government. And then, we're going to disband the police force. So first off, a big thanks to obviously our sponsor, Walther, but they specialize in handguns. And I want to thank Sig Sauer, who they're actually sending us, since we can't find any here, a whole lot of SIG 365 V-Crown, their jacketed hollow points, because we only have some range ammo, and even then we're almost out in 9mm. Yeah. And here's the thing.
It's been out for a while.
We obviously wanted to send our sponsor, Walther, but I don't even know if they have anything compliant with New Jersey, and handguns are a lot harder to get in New Jersey. Long guns are a little bit different. So we will be sending you, now courtesy of SIG, I have to say this legally, but we will be the ones sending you, actually, a brand new Sig Sauer M400 Tread. It's a sporting semi-auto rifle in the AR-15 family or platform. Again, it's from me, compliments of SIG, because we told them about your scenario. They're actually we're going to send it directly to your FFL, and they will immediately make the adjustments needed to make it New Jersey compliant, which typically means shittier. But we understand
unfortunately,
that you getting it is better than nothing. And when we're done with this hit, we'll probably talk tomorrow, and we'll expedite that to you, because I know how hard it is.
Thanks, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
It won't fire.
Yeah.
But you can use it as a club or something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
No, actually, I'm kind of mad because I want one of these.
Yeah,
I know. Right. I want one.
Can I use it?
Am I allowed to? Are you allowed to come to New Jersey?
I don't know if I'm allowed to come to New Jersey.
Well, if you can't go to Pakistan,
at the very least, I'm going to get a serious ass whooping. And here's one thing I want to show you. I don't know if can Tim see program, or he just sees me?
He sees you.
He sees me. So right now, again, Don Lemon is showing two black guys from the Floyd family. He showed attorneys from the Floyd family, showed a friend from Floyd, and now they're showing attorneys here for the Floyd family. They are not going to the ground, which is remarkable to me. I don't know if you've been following this, and something else. Were you aware of, we just had Reg the Bandit bring this up. I'm sure you were aware of Donald Trump posting that very heartfelt tribute to George Floyd, where he called for unity, where he said we need more hugs and fewer clenched fists. And that was removed from Twitter for copyright. They still have information up there, by the way, that's false about the NYPD unloading on a 19-year-old boy unarmed. It was actually a 30-something-year-old who was, I believe, shooting at the cops. So no fact check on that, but they removed Donald Trump's video, and then CNN, Don Lemon just said, and Donald Trump couldn't take a minute out of his day to honor George Floyd.
Yeah.
Have you been following it, and are you aware of that copyright video that was taken down from Trump?
No, I'm hearing about it just now. I knew he put it up, but
yeah,
the things Twitter is doing. If you search racist on Twitter, Donald Trump is the first thing that pops up.
Really?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Dude. The things I've been seeing in the news and on social media are getting freaky. If you think it was bad last year, like you heard about the New York Times. They're having an internal revolt. Their staff want an opinion piece from Tom Cotton removed because he was supporting Trump's call for military action.
Oh yeah.
The New York Times is bending over backwards for these people.
Right. Now, to be clear to people just calling it, the New York Times are bending over for people who are not Don Lemon.
Well,
yes.
They wouldn't be back
on the ground reporters
at the moment.
But yeah, so you weren't aware that it was taken down. And let me ask you this: do you think, as someone who specializes in this, you look at that sort of trail? I think I told you someone attempted to dox us, posted the wrong address. So but I don't want anyone to be
nobody.
harmed.
Yes.
6 times. It took over 30 hours for Twitter to get to it. But right away when I tweeted out today, if you kneel before a mob, you're a pussy. That was reviewed, and to Twitter's credit, wasn't removed, but that was reviewed within minutes. Wow. Doxing isn't quite on their priority. They let me know. Twitter sent a message because of COVID, we're backlogged. So let me ask you this: do you think that there is like triangulation, almost like picture, Velociraptors in Jurassic Park 2 in the cornfield scene?
They can open doors.
Do you think that there's a concerted effort where they go, okay, we're not going to fact check this verifiably false information on the NYPD. We're going to remove Donald Trump's video on a copyright bogus claim, even though other videos that have way more egregious copyright violations are still allowed. And then the media works with them and says, oh, now we can go out there and say that Donald Trump hasn't commented on it. Do you think it's just all happenstance, that they don't have researchers, or do they have a direct line of communication? Because those 3 things change if people watch CNN, would change the entire public perception of reality.
Well, what we can say definitively, Twitter has admitted they're only basically fact-checking Trump and some conservatives. Their official response was, we don't intend to correct every bit of misinformation. That being so, the response to this was that Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Schumer have put out false information that has gone completely ignored.
Right.
And then when Trump gets flagged, Twitter's response is, well, we don't flag everything, so it's just Trump.
Wow.
Right. By the way, is that Felonious Floyd? Do you see his name?
Did they say Felonious?
Felonious?
It's Felonious, I think, Floyd, but it's just a weird coincidence.
I knew someone who was once named Gonorrhea.
Really?
What?
That's horrible.
Wow. I don't think that's true. I think that's a lie.
I feel bad for that person.
So let me ask this, Tim. What is it that you think is the most dangerous, I guess, right now in this coverage? My biggest concern, and I talked about this early on, is
your wig is way
on. And now I have the Nicolas Cage. Tim, are you excited about your AR-15? My biggest concern, Tim, and how old are you, Mr. Poole?
34.
Okay, so you're 2 years older than me, but 1 year younger than Brian Stelter.
That's true.
No, wait, you're a year older than Brian Stelter. Wow. Brian Stelter is our age, Tim Poole.
Oh, he's going to be around a while.
And this is new and improved Brian Stelter with caps.
Jeez.
My worry is, having been raised in a post-racial America, that when you have the media saying, this is because of race. It's black. Black Lives Matter. And people are watching and they're going, my city's destroyed. And by the way, I want to be very clear. There are black officers and there are white looters. But the media is saying black. My worry is that you have an entire generation of people more racist because they go, why is my town destroyed? And they flip on the TV and go, black. That being said, that's my biggest concern. What's your biggest concern with the coverage of all of this, which is, I think we would all agree, is worse than it's ever been in our lifetime?
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So one of the things that's been mind-numbing for me and it's become a meme where I mention that I come from a mixed race family, is that I'm in the worst position between these two groups because I either bend the knee, I have no privilege amongst them because they say I'm white.
Right.
If I disagree, then everything I say is wrong. So my only choice is to agree with them, otherwise I'm the other. But I literally don't even have the privilege of being white, literally like to how they describe it, because my family doesn't. The way I'm trying to put it is, their ideology puts me in the most awkward position where I have no racial identity like they do.
Yeah. Right.
These weird white liberals talk about their experiences in the suburbs. I'm from the south side of Chicago. But then because of the way they perceive me, I don't get the benefits of their ideology, just the detriment.
Right.
So I'm basically trying to agree with you, to say the least.
You're screwed in a number of ways here.
Well, he's not screwed because he is half Korean.
Oh.
Let's play that. Let's play that audio. Hold on a second. You can pull a little bit of this.
You motherfucker!
You can pull that and be a rooftop Korean, especially now with your M400 tread, courtesy of us. But thank you, Sig, for helping supply it.
Let me reiterate this in a better way. I have interviewed white supremacists, nationalists, and they have disdain for me and my family, and they say awful things.
Yeah.
I don't care though; it rolls off my back. If the left wins,
your hairless Korean back,
Korean back. Steve King loses his primary because he said things that Americans didn't want to hear, right? Things that were considered either white nationalist or racist. The left is emboldened by their racists and these weird things that freak out me and my family. So my hope is that American as the identity survives, and that's what wins, because that's the only thing I have. Right. There's no outcome with these weird identitarian on the left or the right where I win and my family wins.
Right.
If people in my position are going to do better, it's going to be Americans recognizing they're just American first and foremost. But if we end up with white identitarianism, I'm screwed. And if we end up with left identitarianism, I'm screwed. So I'd rather we all be Americans and agree on our civil rights.
I agree. I think that's very well said. Let me ask you this, because I know that you said in the past, you were moderate. I think you voted for Obama, correct?
The first time.
The first time. And the second time, did you not vote, or did you vote?
Did
for
not
Romney?
vote.
Okay, I was going to say Romney's pretty tough if you're a moderate.
It's difficult. Yeah.
The Mormon who puts his dog on his roof is a tough sell.
It's for air.
I understand. I think he's a decent man. I think he's wrong politically. It's a tough sell. But let me ask you this.
Be fair.
You've said before, like, obviously you're not necessarily a big fan of Donald Trump, but do you now take into account after these riots that a vote for anyone other than Donald Trump is a vote for someone who wants you to have only a double-barreled shotgun or revolver with more extensive paperwork than you're talking about now? There's no two ways about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do this show, the Tim Guest IRL show, with my buddy Adam and Lydia. Adam is a skateboarding hippie liberal guy, grew up Chicago, lives in New York, and he just comes out and he's like, after seeing all this, I'm voting for Trump. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
I was talking to someone recently, someone I've known for a really, really long time, diehard Democrat, as long as I've known them, messaging me saying the only way this ends is if Trump wins re-election and the Republicans take all, the House and the Senate. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
For real. I was talking to a local in my area, a contractor, and I was asking them how they felt about all this. They said to me they don't care for politics. It was this guy who was in his mid-20s, did construction work, and he said, honestly, man, I don't know anything about this stuff, but I'm going to vote for Trump because I'm sick and tired of the attacks. I just don't understand why they're always yelling and complaining, so I'm just going to vote for this guy now. So this was somebody telling me he didn't vote for Trump the first time. He is now. I combine these things with everything I see with what's going on with Biden falling asleep and just being out of his mind, the progressives ragging on the Democrats, and I can't envision a future where Trump loses. So
right. And by the way, he did say diehard Democrats was the worst sequel of the Die Hards.
It was.
It's Don McClane taking a knee saying, I'm sorry, mother. I'm sorry, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I shouldn't have said it.
Never apologize.
Let me ask you, Tim, not to put, and if you believe in a secret ballot, has this changed? Do you think that where you are now, would you cast a vote, and has it changed?
I'm not definitively confirmed for Trump, but I have stated leaning in that direction.
All right.
But there's reasons for this. So Democrats are done for me. I donated to them recently, Yang, Tulsi, but with what they've done with impeachment, with what they did with rigging the DNC, with how they shut out the candidates that I wanted to hear from, I just said, you know what, man, These moderate Democrats in Congress ran on kitchen table issues, and then as soon as they were given the one ring, they laughed and went right for impeachment.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
not worth supporting.
Right.
So I still get text messages from these people, and I said, listen, man, I know that if I support you, you're telling me you're whispering sweet nothings into my ear about the policies you want to enact, and then you're going to go and scream about Trump for 20 years, and I don't want to hear it, so it's not happening.
Right.
But when it comes to the president, I'll tell you what scared me is Joe Biden. They've lost their minds.
Yeah. Yes, they have
It's
lost
like,
their minds. And he kneeled. He kneeled, which to me is just
knelt.
That is so. Well, is knelt the word?
I do believe it's knelt.
Man, these beers are strong.
Knelt.
They are pretty
What? Who stopped?
12%? What?
Well, a couple of things there. You know, Andrew Yang. I'm sure you saw his tweets where he was encouraging like insurrection. Has that changed your opinion on? I know.
I didn't see those.
Oh yeah. Kind of a dick move.
Just a little bit.
And then I have to tell you, I know you're kind of, obviously, I appreciate your journalistic integrity, but if you don't vote for Trump, you don't get your SIG. I'm sorry.
There's strings
We'll need to
attached
see your
now?
ballot, please, before.
a picture, post it on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
right, yeah.
Just a picture of an illegal picture of you in the voting booth.
Right, yeah.
All right, Tim. Well, Tim, hey, we do have to get going. Where's the best place for people to find you and watch your new show?
YouTube.com/TimcastIRL, on Twitter @Timcast. I mean, honestly, if you search YouTube for Twitter, I have like 3 or 4 channels, all under the same thing.
Oh, you're still showing up in search. Well, that's cute.
So good for you.
It is the Sig Sauer M400 Shred, and like we said, we couldn't send you a handgun. So at this point, Walther's been a wonderful sponsor to the show.
Yeah.
But it's more important that people are able to protect themselves.
Yeah.
They don't sell any rifles, and I've had great experience with. I've always said this. It's like BMW, Mercedes at a certain point.
Yeah.
They're all very good once you get beyond, the Saturday night specials or Taurus.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't do that because I don't want you to actually be raped. I wouldn't send you a Taurus.
yeah.
That's the SIG M400. You need to, you'll be in touch with us, and there do need to be some modifications there in New Jersey for us to send it out. But thank you so much, brother. Stay safe. I appreciate it. Thanks for making the time.
Likewise. Take care, man.
All right. Take care.
All right.
I think he's happy about that.
I do too.
I think he's happy.
Very,
about
very
that.
nice gesture. Right?
Someone take the mic real quick while I read.
I wanted to bring up something. So
have
Al Sharpton, when he was at the George Floyd Memorial, said one of the lines that just kind of scrolled across there on the lower third said, "We couldn't be who we wanted to be because you wouldn't take your knee off our neck, or you had your knee on our neck." This is a problem, I think. Every single time people see the only reason you're a failure, the only reason you're having trouble, that you're not where you want to be in life is because you're black and because the system is rigged against you, right?
Fat.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Everything is being blamed on the system being racist against you instead of the fact that maybe you didn't study very hard, that you didn't apply yourself, that you didn't work hard at what you wanted to be. Instead of taking personal responsibility, it boils it down to one issue. There's so many things that determine, because I see black people that are very successful.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams, right there. Don Lemon. There's another one. There's 2 on the screen right now that are successful, right?
Fight against
she
that
said
by
she would
doing
step
better.
down from being governor to run as vice president.
Really?
Nobody wants any
She's
of
not
that.
actually governor.
I hope
though.
it's a
That was a
reinforced
Babylon
step.
B. That was a Babylon B headline. I got to give credit where credit's due. I loved it.
Hopefully she'll be forklift down.
Well,
Yeah.
well, it said use 2 or
Gilbert
more
Grape
people.
style.
Hey, y'all, I have an announcement to make regarding Vice President. Beep, beep. Hold on.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
It takes a minute.
Well,
but that kind of mentality for me is what drives this.
Yeah, exactly.
home. Everything is because you're black. That's the only reason. And so what do? You feel hopeless.
Yeah.
I can't
You go,
change
well,
being
why-
black.
why try? Because I'm not gonna be able to surpass it.
There's no personal responsibility. There's no me trying to make it out.
Right.
Nothing like that. It's all because you're black. You can't change that, so you might as well overthrow the system, and we'll just see what comes from the ashes. We have no plan, just anarchy. Let's try that.
Right.
That's what they want.
Well,
Let's see what can you hold that thought? And
Please,
let's see what
yeah, go
Stacey
ahead.
Abrams has to say. I
Big
want
thought,
to hear how
no
she
problem.
pronounces her bleeze. Bleeze.
Atlanta.
This has been going on for too long. The police brutality.
They're going to be tedious and they're going to be inadequate, but they're progress, and progress matters. Progress is how we get to the change we ultimately
Depends what you're
need.
progressing toward.
And so I don't want to
If
be
it's
disingenuous.
defunding police and anarchy, that's shitty.
Yeah. It's not good.
Silence damns us all, because our silence gives evil carte blanche to continue, and we
Like the
see what
rioters?
evil will do.
Look at Donald. Look at Don Lemon's little smirk.
Thank you so much.
I'm so
I
glad you said
appreciate,
that. That way my boyfriend didn't have to.
He looks a little like Ghost
your
E.
presence.
Yeah, he looks kind of.
Is he alive still,
Using your
or is this like an
platform.
astro
Thank you so
projection?
much, Stacey Abrams. I'll see you soon.
I don't know. He looks like an old lady.
across the country. There's also outrage tonight in Sacramento after a 22-year-old was shot by police in a nearby city. An investigation is underway, and with police under the microscope right now, there are more. We're going to take a look at those investigations next.
How about the rioters and looters being under a microscope as well? That's one thing that bothers me. They say the protests, which are largely peaceful. You saw the highlight reel. They're not largely peaceful.
Right.
If I have a party tonight, okay, and I understand that some are peaceful for a period. If I invite us all everyone here to a dinner party, and the first hour is a lovely dinner party. We play Mad Gaps, and the last 5 hours are an orgy.
Well,
is it still a party or is it an orgy? If I'm like, I'm glad. How was the tri-tip? Good. Why don't you drop your keys in the jar over there and I'll go home with your wife. The point is, it is no longer a party. If you meet and you plan on being peaceful, or at least just allow yourselves to be peaceful for the amount of time that the sun is up and the cameras are running, and then 12 deaths, over 370 officers killed, harmed, over $25 million in property damage to Minneapolis. These are just estimates, by the way. Many, many, many thousands of arrests. At what point do you say, well, maybe it's just an orgy?
Yeah.
What were you about to say there, Audio Wade?
I was just saying that, we were talking about the Al Sharpton quote where he said something about like you had your knee on our neck or something.
So we couldn't be what we dreamt of being.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to find his neck with a map and compass.
Now it's very thin, but he looks
It's true.
sick.
Yeah,
He used to be a little bigger.
but evidently that doesn't apply to all the success that black people have had in music, or all the success that black people have had in sports. The majority of the NFL.
How dare you?
Hootie. The majority of the NFL, the majority of the NBA,
or the Blowfish.
I do believe we had a black president as well, if I remember correctly.
Well,
I don't remember
Piss off,
for sure.
you blonde-haired Aryan son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah. But you dressed me as a Viking.
Right.
What do you want?
But yeah, if you...
I don't know what. I do naughty things. Go ahead.
Yeah, and just to echo the point Gerald made, if you are preached to your entire life that everything that you do, there's always going to be some kind of ceiling that you cannot get past because you're black, then of course you're going to feel hopeless. That's a recipe for depression. It's a recipe for... again,
you know another group. You know another group that has faced racism their entire existence in the United States. The Asians.
Oh yeah,
right. Asian people have been
also
absolutely
Irish people
hammered the entire time with racism, and yet they teach.
The Druids also have had a rough shake.
I thought you were going to say they were hammered and Asian.
Yeah,
but
well, all
it doesn't
Asians are
hold it
hammered
very
if they
well.
have a
But
sip. Yeah.
but you know what they told their kids? Go out and work hard.
Right.
It's just a different mentality.
That's
I'm not
how
saying
you
all
beat
Asians
that
are like
system.
that. I'm
They
saying
told their
mostly.
kids.
Well,
They said, "Go and work hard, motherfucker."
oh yeah, he probably
if you believe
said that. Yeah.
if you believe you live in a system that is against you, fight the system by doing better than that system.
Yeah.
Succeed inside that system so you can say,
Right.
I won despite all these things.
And I
don't
just
show
give
people
up.
the way. Be a forerunner, a
And I get
trendsetter,
this
whatever you
white
want to
privilege,
be.
because if the system was actually against somebody, that would be a problem. And yes, it would be incumbent upon white people to change
it,
the system,
which we've done
Name
before,
me
by the
one
way.
example right now of systemic discrimination, systemic racism in this country. 1, police brutality. 10 unarmed black men, most of whom deserved it, shot last year. 19 white guys, again, most of whom deserved it. I'm an equal opportunity offender here.
Yeah.
Most of the white
That's
guys
almost double,
deserved it,
though.
charged
Criminal
the
gonna be
cops
shot.
for being unruly, attacked the cops. Most black guys did as well. On any given year, there are more white guys, unarmed white guys, shot by police officers than black people. And that's not genocide. So that doesn't work. Name me any systemic discrimination. Is it the halls of government? Well, no. We had a black president. We have plenty of black senators. We have plenty of black congressmen. Is it the halls of education? No. Black people right now can get lower test scores, lower SAT results than white people or Asians. Asians at Brown are pretty pissed off. Is it in hiring? No, that's not the case. What is it? Is it in public schools? No, there's more per pupil funding in these public schools. Unfortunately, it's funneled through corrupt school boards like in Detroit where it doesn't actually get to the students. Name me one area where there is systemic discrimination against black people, and then, if you can even find one, which you can't, so I'm being redundant here, then show me that it's because of white people.
Yeah.
I can tell you one area where black people really are suffering, and I would like to see it fixed, and that's why I think the crimes of George Floyd matter, is dying in record numbers at the hands of black people.
Yeah.
I think that, and I really encourage black citizens to exercise their Second Amendment rights. So, for example, that woman who George Floyd jammed a pistol into her pregnant belly, I really would prefer if that headline read, "Man chased off front porch by armed black woman." People say, you're afraid of strong black men or strong black women. Really? Then why am I encouraging you to purchase firearms?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of strong, but I actually, I want strong black men.
Yeah.
I want strong black women because weak men, black, white, red, yellow, join mobs. Weak men join misinformation campaigns. Strong men, white or black, defend the pregnant woman. We had 5 guys, if I'm not mistaken, 5 guys in George Floyd's posse who rammed their way through this woman's door. And by the way, we just went through a miscarriage in my family, and that is somewhat devastating, okay?
Yeah.
You don't think that you're more likely to have that happen when you have a 45 jammed into your stomach? Doesn't mean you deserve to be killed by the officers.
Right.
Not at all. But the problem in the black community right now, the problem that is far more pervasive, is that it is a much more common occurrence for a George Floyd type to rob a fellow black American in their neighborhood than it is for a police officer to shoot an unarmed black man. Yeah. And it's not even close. Statistically, you can't make an argument, period. And one point I would like to make, Quarter Black Garrett, you're a perfect example. We thought you were Mexican.
That's true.
So
that is true. Just like Tim Pool said, like I don't have either one, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I can't do good in either way. Like if I live in that situation.
Well, if you believe that, the difference is, as far as I'm concerned, you can do good on both sides of the fence.
Right.
But when you were here, we had no idea. And then you told me, like, no, I'm black, I'm biracial, my dad's half black. So I said, you're quarter black. That was the nickname. But in other words, you weren't brought in. Imagine if we hired you, you said you were quarter black, and then we hired you that day, and then immediately we called you quarter black. You'd probably feel like a token.
Like, right. Why? That's weird.
But the fact that we had no idea, and we all acknowledged that it was funny that no one ever knows you're black, it's very clear that we weren't using you for the first 6 months.
I was the one that said, hey, I'm a quarter black.
Wow. I think we were asking you, like, do you know, can you translate that? You're like, I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, I'm not.
I was like, what
are you talking about?
But you also, to be fair, you put it on. You put it on because you would talk about tacos and shit.
That's right. I love tacos.
He's doing it now.
Come on,
he's doing it now.
Right now.
Who don't like tacos?
Trying to take
He'd
advantage
ask us if we saw Lopez tonight.
He's trying to take advantage of that Mexican privilege, man.
I'm trying to ride the line. Trying to ride the line.
Well, and again, if the Black Lives Matter movement really cares about Black lives, just getting back to the point you were making, what about the 100,000 babies that were aborted last year that were black? There were 100,000. So again, 10 black people were killed last year by police officers. 100,000 black babies were aborted. If you care about proportionally responding, that's the thing you should be focusing on. But they don't care.
Well,
it's not about Black lives.
I hate to do this. Everything you said, but I hate because someone will take it out of context and fact check you. Not 10 people total killed by black people killed by officers. 10 unarmed men were shot by officers.
Okay, right.
But your point was entirely valid. But here's the thing: people looking for a race war like CNN, they'll try and catch you on that, even though the spirit of what you just said was very important.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So I hope you know I'm not admonishing you.
Please.
I just don't want you to get in trouble. Someone goes, oh, he thinks only 10 people. Because I know Wade doesn't think that.
No, he doesn't.
But we're doing a 4-hour broadcast.
I was imprecise. My apologies.
No, you don't be imprecise. I'm saying this is what my life has been forever.
Right.
You get one of those things wrong. It doesn't matter that Don Lemon said Donald Trump hasn't taken time out of his day to discuss George Floyd, even though he uploaded, a 4-minute video and at least several dozen statements. They don't care. But someone like you or me might be fact-checked if we say, only 10 black men were shot by officers. And they go, what are you talking about? We meant to say, and you could see at least 40 times throughout the show, we said only 10 unarmed black men were shot by officers.
Exactly.
I don't bring it up to at all admonish you. I bring it up so that people can see the real live double standard. So please, here's what I do encourage people out there. And we know, Young Turks, we know that you're watching.
You are.
Looking for tips?
Because we know that, no one's watching you.
You've got nothing else to do.
Take it out of context. I beg you.
I dare
Take it out of context. Please, Candace Owens us. They never do.
Yeah,
They never.
They never do. 50,000 people watching right now.
Yep.
They will not.
Wow.
Nope.
That's a
we do have that extended clip, by the way.
The Korean.
The
Korean.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, let me be really clear about this. So for people who don't, do we have the original clip by itself or no?
No, I just have the extended.
So the original clip was a man saying, "You motherfucker, this shit coming out." This Korean who was holding a guy, and everyone thought it was really funny because like, what are you saying? Shit coming out.
Kind of funny.
Yeah, it doesn't have really command of the language.
He's passionate,
but he doesn't have great command of the language.
Yeah.
But like we were just talking about with you and the statistic, it doesn't mean that the spirit was wrong.
Right, in his heart.
Wade also doesn't have great command of facts.
Yes,
but nonetheless,
it's a good parallel.
That's only because he can't have command of the audio tonight. People know that he's the star of the show. So he doesn't have great command of the language, and I just want to make sure that we're transparent about this because we have exclusive footage that was extended showing that he doesn't fully have command of the language. But I still think the spirit is the same.
You motherfucker! You f*** my mother! You tender rubber! You treat her right? Yeah, motherfucker! Put her knees before yours? Yeah, who your daddy? We both have same daddy. Rugrats brother, motherfucker.
See, I don't think he understands that it's usually about someone else's mother.
Right.
Well, it's interesting too that
tensions were high.
Yeah. He turned that rifle
dump.
sideways.
Yeah. Right.
That's a gangster move, right
Yeah.
there. That really
there was a
is.
whole arc of the insults. Yeah. Right. We have the same dad. I think
He was doing it in a way
He
so
seems very
he would
concerned
understand.
with the man, less so with the looting and more so with him being an unselfish lover. That's
true.
Which tells you how much he loves his mom.
Yeah. It's touching.
It's kind. He's a kind, a kind rooftop Korean.
Oh my god.
Hey.
Well, look, the single greatest thing
That was an ad for
out of this,
sandals.
exactly, is the unselfish lover out of that. That's
I
really
wonder
what
the
we should
looters
take
are
away.
thinking. If they could have a monitor right now,
Yeah.
and they see this, they're like, let's go to Sandals!
Where is Sandals?
That's
How did we
where
get
the real
there?
stuff
The
is.
black guy was dressed like Mr. French. The black guy was dressed like Mr. French.
And it's all white guys in jail.
That's where the real injustice is.
Welcome to Sandals.
not justice.
I am your servant.
Lee Daniels, the guy from Sandals.
Give us free, right? None of you got that. Amistad. There we go.
No, I remember Amistad. I always get it confused with Amadeus, and then I have to
it's
remember
different.
one of them includes
It's
a
Rock
requiem.
Me Amadeus.
Yeah.
There you go.
Amadeus.
That's
Totally different.
It's totally.
Oh my
You know what?
gosh.
So let me just say this: the single greatest thing that you can do to help the black community or any community that's struggling right now is to tell them that they have personal responsibility, to tell them that they can affect change for themselves and for their families, not to tell them that everything is out of their control and I'm sorry, it's because you're black or it's because you're whatever, white, Asian, whatever. You can't achieve something because of who you are. Everybody can achieve. We've seen it throughout the entire country. Tell them that.
Yeah.
Tell them the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. Just be honest. And doing it in a loving way is fine. Saying, look, I know it's tough. Here's the thing. You can have a tough life and be a victim your entire life, or you can realize it's tough,
pull yourself
you can buck
out.
up, and you can try your hardest to do your best.
I just see the articles of people saying white guys say this. Let me,
That's what my dad did.
I grew up lower middle class. I moved 13 times before I graduated from high school. I could have gone, oh crap, life is just going to be tough. We're going to be poor the rest of our lives. Or I could say, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to study hard. I'm going to practice hard. I'm going to try to do everything I can with this 6'4" frame and make it. Or I can just sit there and say, well, that's just them's the breaks.
That's what my dad did. My dad lived.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad lived in the hood. He was poor his whole life.
Yeah.
Pulled himself out of there and then made himself better. He went to college. He got a degree. You can do it. If you live in the hood, you can do it.
When I met Gerald, he was missing half his teeth.
I mean, look at that guy.
I looked at him and I said, that's a mighty humble bumble. All right, let's go.
Can you bring up CNN? The only reason I have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, and then I want to go to
See the
Reg
Drew
the
Brees?
Bandit. Reg, show us what's going on the ground. Let's see, Don Lemon.
I recognize that I am part of the solution and can be a leader for the black community in this
part of the problem.
I am sick about the way my comments were perceived yesterday, but I take full responsibility and accountability.
He apologized
I
to the
recognize
rage
that I
mob.
should do less talking and more listening. And when the black community is talking about their pain, we all need to listen. For that, I am very sorry, and I ask your forgiveness. Well,
All right, do you guys know what he said?
Does he not count as a black community?
Do you know what Drew Brees said?
He's reading from Drew Brees.
No, he's not the shit.
I
He's
missed
the
that
quarterback for the New Orleans Saints.
He's reading.
He probably
Okay.
works. He probably works in the community more than anybody in the NFL. Right? He spends a lot of his time and a lot of his money helping people out. He said, "I would never disrespect the flag." I think he even said by kneeling or just disrespect the flag in general. He goes, but here's the thing, the full quote. When I think of the flag, I think of the men and women who served this country in World War II and World War I.
Yeah.
I think of the men and women who fought for equal rights during the 60s. And he said all of these things. And he said, and I would never do anything to disrespect that. And everybody blew up at him and said, how dare you say that?
Because they took one part.
In that one part, he was 100% right.
Totally correct.
If we go out there, listen, so Taylor Swift, I think she put on cornrows and ate watermelon in a music video, and they said, whoa, that's offensive to us. And she said, okay, hey, I'm sorry. These guys knelt during knelt during the national anthem, and we said, whoa, that's offensive to millions of Americans.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Including
we understand you're protesting.
Don't do that. They said, do it on your own time.
Do it on your own time.
Because people are paying to watch football.
Exactly, right?
If right now, you tuned in to watch the CNN fact check, and instead I had the guy from Fat Albert who pulled up his face mask, because I guess that's what they have going
pretty
on.
much, right?
Hey, but
That's
I guess
smart.
his
Tell
was
us
like the
purple.
stuttering
Right?
guy.
Yeah, Well, no, instead of
Mushmouth.
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 Oh my gosh! You heard Bill Cosby's bit on that?
Mushmouth.
I understand why they turned it into a cartoon.
When I was out in my neighborhood, we had an apple, he was fat. There was one guy who always had the mask and had the mush mouth. We say, hey, what's going on with mush mouth? And he say, blah, 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 blah. We say, oh, we don't understand what you're saying. And then I raped 36 women with the coffee.
You're like, that's nuts. And then he had Jello. He had Jello.
Should be at the Apollo.
How did that get on the album? Yeah.
You think they'd get cut?
They didn't have the warnings. That came with Tipper Gore.
Yeah.
Well, and when Bill Cosby saw it and it said, warning, rated E for everyone, like,
What the hell is this? You ruling my album art? I got the Fat Albert, now you got the white with the black lines going,
Terrible.
Is that a real chicken?
I think it is.
That's a real chicken.
If you're hungry, you can
if you
find
want to
out.
dig in.
Yeah, because there's nothing better
that's for
than
the
room
feast.
temperature poultry 3 hours into a
It
street.
is very cold.
Hey, don't judge. You know, keep
put
it
it in
in
the
mind.
toaster oven.
With an
Let's
open heart.
go to Reg. By the way, the hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream. The promo code is Viking because it's cultural appropriation month. You will get $20 off if you join Mug Club. We're not doing this to just promote Mug Club, but keep in mind, none of this is paid. We have 15 people here who are paid. We have a lot of security. Probably going to get some hounds to patrol this area when we're no longer here.
Hounds are good. The hounds.
Betty's useless.
Hounds
But
Very
so
cute,
if you
though.
want us to continue doing the work that journalists refuse to do, we would appreciate if you join Mug Club. Reg the Bandit, if you are there, make sure you unmute your microphone. Hopefully you're not falling asleep because of Don Lemon. Anything that we're missing, because right now we have seen nothing from the ground at all on CNN.
So I don't have anything on ground. Actually, I have a clip that we can go to in a minute. But I thought it might be interesting to follow up on Tim Pool's note about the Minneapolis Police Department being disbanded. I've got an overlay. If you pull up the council member who's doing this, see if he looks a little familiar.
Oh, was that the guy who was out there earlier? That was.
No.
That's got to be him.
Guy?
Was that the guy who said you can leave or stay?
Right.
And the truth is they cannot stay because it's law? Oh, I think
he's muted again.
Muted
You muted yourself again.
So this is Keith Ellison's son. And the Minnesota Attorney General, who famously posted a picture of himself with an Antifa handbook.
Huh.
Now,
That's
if
awkward.
we just connect the dots a little bit here, we'll see that in the last week, Jeremiah Ellison also declared that he officially supported Antifa.
He did. I saw that.
Genius move.
But do we know?
There's a little bit of a pattern there.
Yeah.
Do we know if he really supports Antifa? Oh, hold on. Let me read this.
He says it.
I hereby declare officially my support for Antifa unless someone can prove to me Antifa is behind the burning of black and immigrant-owned businesses in my ward.
Only those.
I
I don't know the
people
people with the
stopping
patches,
white
maybe?
power terrorists that are actually attacking us. Well, hold on a second. Is there any proof that white power terrorists are actually attacking them?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are about as many white power activists in the country as there are members of the Westboro Baptist Church, and the same amount of them have flippers.
Yes.
And very easy to see.
Extra
with gills
fingers.
and
And isn't it
stuff,
funny when they say Antifa is an idea? It's not an official organization, but then he pledges his support
for that organization.
I pledge
By
to
the way,
an
what
idea.
if they burn? What if they burn like a white business? He said if they burn a person of color's business, in my community.
Well,
or
white's a
minority,
shade.
I mean, I don't think he
That's
cares.
why all paint starts
white
off
don't
as
count.
white, except for the toxic fumes that are added. That's what creates the color.
Oh, well, that's helpful to know.
It is helpful to know because I was going to whitewash that Vandals mural over there in Dallas, but everyone here pussed out.
Not everyone.
Not
Hey, speak
Gibbon.
for yourself.
Not Gibbon and Tim
I
from
was
HR.
down,
You're
bro.
always a game.
I'm down.
I have to
Never
rein you
called.
back.
Sometimes.
Never called.
Because
Yeah,
you're
I am.
street.
I
You're
am.
not quarter street. You're all street.
all
You would have
street.
lost street
But you're
cred,
more
though.
street than I think your firepower can allow. So
That's
I have
true.
to be careful.
Hey, you got to hold me back.
Yeah.
It's still in the trunk. Whenever
Yeah,
you're ready.
exactly.
It's ready
All
to go.
those supplies. We still have the supplies.
Yeah, we
carrying
do.
paint around in your
Audio
trunk.
weight is entirely silent.
Oh no.
I don't know, guys.
I have no thoughts on
I
this.
knew I should have stayed home today.
I wasn't going to go.
I'll hide out with my braids.
Still tight.
And just hide them.
Yeah, still
As a
hide
matter of
away.
fact, I think I'll hide my braids.
Yeah. But can we address this whole concept that maybe disbanding the police is not a terrible
Well,
idea?
let me. Hold on, Reg the
It's
Bandit.
a
hasn't been able
terrible
to talk a
idea.
whole lot.
Oh, I didn't know if
You've
he's
been
still with
stealing
us.
the-
There he is.
I cut Gerald out.
All of
Reg.
a sudden, you get some amulets on him, and he's Mr. Tough Guy.
I'll get my hair over my face.
What the hell was that?
Let's
No
go
idea.
to 11.
That was more uncomfortable than the riots. Reg the Bandit, you said you had a clip you wanted to go to. First off, so it seems like it is definitively, and it's not, the night is young, more peaceful tonight than, let's say, 2 nights ago, which tells me that upping the police and sending in the military may work a little bit.
Yeah, so I do think that is the takeaway. Trump pushed to have the National Guard and military forces help out the police departments, and I think what we're seeing is that happen.
Shit!
So,
Hold on.
so I think overall that's positive.
What? Oh no, he burned.
He
himself.
always ashes himself.
Carry on.
Go ahead, Reg.
Okay.
No, Steven's not burning on the floor.
He's used to it by
fine.
now.
Go ahead, Rich.
I think the studio might have been having a little bit of trouble with this clip, but I was just looking at this clip that I thought, to be fair, we have some footage of some police officers having a little bit of an altercation with the old man, and so we might get cut to that. I'm not sure. I'd like to get you guys input on.
Yeah, Reg. It says it's not available for us.
It's no longer available. Is that like with another copyright?
Yeah. It says
Can you
there's a
describe the
page-
clips to us there, Reg?
Yeah, I'm watching it live on a few different Twitter accounts. It could be because it's set as potentially sensitive content.
Oh, okay.
But essentially you have a line of riot police trying to block off an area. And an older man comes up to them, sort of pushes back against them a little bit, and they push back against him. He stumbles backwards and hits his head and starts bleeding.
Oh, there we go. We got the clip playing right now. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So they shove the old man back.
Ow.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Trying to help him. And that guy he got on his radio. He was
I
calling
think
somebody
to be
over.
fair, that might have been a little too heavy-handed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was.
Absolutely. And I think those police officers should be held accountable.
Yep. Yeah. Didn't have to do that.
Yeah, so I think that just goes to show, there are two sides. I don't think as conservatives wanting some huge police state.
No, of course not.
Right.
But I do think it's important to call on law enforcement when you do have riots everywhere. So, just to show both sides of the story.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's also why, like I've said, people out there, don't be a hero and go down to these protests, because you saw that guy on, I'm trying to remember now, was it Tuesday morning? When we went down to Dallas?
So many.
Yes, it was.
Okay, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday morning. Wednesday morning was the morning I wanted to go back with the paint roller, and you guys were pussed out, correct?
Yeah. Right, that was the puss out.
So,
that was the
Tuesday morning, and we interviewed that guy, black gentleman, who Tokunawan had to describe to the police, and he went to great lengths to try and avoid saying that he was a black gentleman. And he said, "Y'all white people in the penthouses, we sparing you."
Yeah.
Right? As
That's
though
why
he
not
feels
everything's
entitled to
burned
take
down.
our lives.
Yeah.
And he insulted me saying, "Clean haircut, Clark Kent looking mother." I was like, "Oh, no, not the Superman insult."
Gotcha.
It really stings.
Don't call me a hero.
Deep down. I have superpowers.
That's like when your parents can spank you, but they send you to your room. You're like, you know what, Dad? The worst part of all this is your disappointment.
No, don't send me to my Sega Genesis.
So we went, what was the point? What was it Reg said? In other words, picture that person who was saying, "We're sparing y'all." And I said, "What would justice be?" Remember?
Yeah.
You can go back and watch that segment. He didn't have an answer. I said, "No, well, what would justice be?" I said, "Would third-degree murder? Now it's second-degree murder." He said, "No, that's not enough." There was no logic at all.
Yeah.
Picture that person times 10,000, times 20,000. Yeah. There's no reasoning with them. And so there's no sense in going down to these protests to try and de-escalate if you're not a police officer, because you can get caught in the crossfire. And keep in mind, that police officer may not be a bad guy, may be a good cop, but right now you're in a pressure cooker where everyone is on edge, and they are trying to establish a perimeter so that you don't firebomb the White House or a building, whatever it is. And they shove you, and that's wrong. Police officer shouldn't have done it. But the point is, this really, I just go back to that Thursday last week, 1 week ago. Do you guys remember? What are there's a Guess Who character on this?
Wow. The up angle's not flattering, bro. Not for you.
Emotional and painful memorials for black men.
It's like Gretchen from Recess.
I keep hearing people say
It is.
this time is different.
But
She lost her hair.
The point that I'm making here is Thursday, I remember saying, just please stop. No matter which side you line up, more people are going to die. This is not going to help. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. And then we had the David Dorn situation that we talked about on Wednesday. And I always try, I try not to be one of those broadcasters like a Don Lemon who just goes out there and cries. But I think you guys, and I appreciate you guys helping me. It was really hard for me to take that.
It was tough to watch that.
Afterward, I'm not gonna lie, I went home and I was upset, and my wife was asking. I cried. I did. I cried in my wife's arms, which is why wives are wonderful, because you can be vulnerable. And I just said, listen, what's so sad is life isn't a movie, and that was a good man who lost his life to evil.
Yeah.
The bad guy won that day. The bandit, the guy with the bad guy, the villain, shot a good guy and ran off with the TV. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any justice. And even worse, That guy doesn't get a mural, David Dorn.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't get a march, even though not only is he black, not only was his killing far more senseless and conscious from the person who did the killing. It wasn't an accident. That person killed him to get a TV, but it is also, David Dorn is far more indicative of the problem plaguing the black community right now that we would like to address. Black people, if you want to save black lives, you should use an example. First off, David Dorn, as far as I know, didn't rob a pregnant woman and stick a 1911 into her gut. As far as I know, he was a police officer. He was 70-something years old at this point. He was helping to protect another business. I believe it was a black-owned business. Yeah. This was a good man who was trying to help the community, and he was gunned down by a senseless piece of garbage thug. And that happens a whole lot more than 10 times a year.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart because this was a man who didn't have to die. It wasn't an accident. It was over a TV, and it happens every single day. We've been watching now for over 3 hours. Any mention?
No.
Any mention at all of David Dorn? What was the other guy's name? Reg, the bandit. Patrick, the other police officer who was black. Patrick
Underwood was
yeah.
the federal officer in Oakland, California, who was opened fire upon and was killed by these anti-cop riots.
Yeah. No mention of any of them thus far tonight. So
not at all.
So we talked about how Trump sends in the National Guard and everything seems to at least subside somewhat, or at least a little more peaceful.
Right.
CNN has already gotten ahead of that point by saying that, well, Trump's sending in the National Guard even though things are relatively peaceful.
Right.
So one thing follows the other. I don't think CNN is not allowed to even interpret things in that way. That there's a cause and effect relationship there.
Right. Well, it used to be, and I want to go to a break here because I do have to pee. But hold on a second. Talk for 1 second.
1 second. Nope. Dang it.
No.
I thought he literally meant 1 second. Right.
Mississippi.
Well, no. I'm glad you brought that up, Reg, because there are moments in time, like police officers. If you're out there, if you're watching this and you're a cop, just be careful. Right. The lens is focused on you right now, and every single action that you take is under the microscope. So be very careful. Pushing an elderly man like that, you didn't have to do that. Now, the guy has some responsibility for being there and pushing back on the police officers. He didn't deserve to be pushed down. Like, he just seemed like he couldn't catch his balance. He was very old.
And that's also the danger
right?
of having a street fight. People don't understand this.
Yeah.
If you're the most trained
Something can
individual,
happen.
you can hit your head in the concrete, as we saw.
Yeah.
Do not get into a street. First off, as someone who has trained in combat, and I'm not doing the Sean Hannity, my kung fu and eskrima and Filipino striking arts, we've all done this here. We have a jiu-jitsu club in the office, and we do some boxing. I'm going to use my gun. Because if I'm in a street altercation, I either avoid it at all costs, I'm not going to fight over ego, or I'm defending my life. And at that point, it's not going to be fists. It's going to be a firearm, and rightfully so. And why did Paul Begala fuck Dame Edna so that this guy came out? I'm sorry. I'm very angry about this whole thing. I can't believe there's nothing with David Dorn. It really does tear me up inside that no one is talking about it. And we used to say, the victors write history. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not the case anymore, because these people will lose. CNN is losing. Antifa is losing.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter is losing. But right now, they are attempting to write history.
Yeah.
And they're doing it through lies. We saw a proactive lie from Don Lemon. Not omission, which I've complained about, which I think is really bad. It happens all the time. But Don Lemon went up on television tonight and said Donald Trump couldn't take time out of his day to address it. That's a lie.
Yeah.
That is a lie. Now, either we're supposed to believe that he doesn't have the ability to do research, in which case CNN is useless, or he proactively lied and knows that Donald Trump released a video that was then subsequently taken down by Twitter, in which case CNN is useless. Do you understand this? This is the Choose Your Own Path book. And it all comes to Don Lemon should be out of a job.
Well, and CNN should not exist
as a
news organization.
There's one
primarily.
So one thing about the Dorn video that I really did appreciate, and we didn't get to talk about a whole lot, was the guy that was there. That was actually moving. Like, I know what he was doing was he was like, "Come on, OG, come on, OG." But he was with him. He said it was okay. He
spoke over his body after he died,
and he said, This is bullshit. For a TV, we're better than that. And he's yelling at people. This could cost him his life. The people that did this could have been around, right? And other people could have been around that would have been very angry by him saying this. And I really appreciate it. I don't think he's getting enough credit for what he did, but I really appreciated that he was there and that he didn't die alone. He didn't die just by himself. He died with somebody there, at least doing something, trying to push back against darkness to some degree.
I want to see. Hold on, let's listen. I want to see if Shaved Mustache Hayek has anything valuable to say.
He said the federal government is not going to oversee.
It is Gretchen from Recess.
After the Rodney King riots.
Can someone bring up a picture of Gretchen from Recess?
Saying that
side
the
by
Civil
side?
Rights Division of the Justice Department can look at police departments to determine whether there is a pattern or practice of discrimination. And the Obama administration was particularly
Does John Lemon only bring on male guests who are gay? And doesn't mean that you can't be a good reporter, but I feel like he's probably screening out people who could maybe inform him that Donald Trump did release a video because they're eliminated unless they love the D.
Right. Well, he just opens his contacts list. It's a simple booking process.
Just his Grindr profile. Oh, what that guy?
Could you imagine the government using his Rolodex for contact tracing? Like, this isn't even a name. It's just,
there we go.
That is uncanny.
Yeah. That is very close.
That is good.
That's uncanny.
This isn't even a name. It's just first name sex, last name swing.
Oh, wow.
Middle nickname Vietnamese. That's
ready for anything?
Favorite position? I didn't even know that was like a line.
Favorite position, he listed all.
Oh, wow. Didn't even take a select.
All right, here's one thing. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Again, the hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream. We will have more from On the Ground because CNN is not showing it to you. And when we come back from this break, what do we have? We have a 2-minute break, 3-minute break?
We got a 3-minute.
Okay, we have a 3-minute break from our wonderful sponsors, of course, Black Rifle Coffee, and some new sketches that you may not have seen. When we come back, we actually have this week's 7+1. 7+1 most often heard excuses for looting. We'll be right back after this very short break, and hopefully my bladder doesn't explode. Make sure the bathroom's free or someone's getting relieved of duty.
So healthcare and overtime at 2.5?
3.5 in dental.
We can do that.
We did it, guys.
If you're listening on audio, you're probably wondering what's happening right now. If you're not listening on audio, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify.
Hey guys, Whistleblower 22 here. You may know of a recent story from the folks at Plebit exposing Governor Andrew Cuomo's very clearly defined nipple piercings. Pretty open and shut case, right? Not so fast. The real meat of this story began when neocon shill and confirmed twig-armed beta male Steven Crowder had this to say.
Right there.
Well, that might not be nipple rings. He may have pulled out nipple hair, and it has those little like goose bumps.
Come on, Chowder. It's so obvious that only a solid material could make that kind of impression through cloth. So why would he pretend otherwise? Unless he has something to hide. Unless Crowder not only has twig arms, but he also has a Prince Albert.
My wife paid this, my wife paid this, my wife.
Thanks for watching, guys. Huge announcement really quick. I've just been signed with an MCN recently, so prepare yourselves for truth. Whistleblower out.
With Crowder Ranger Panties. Buy yours today at louderwithcrowdershop.com. Hitler, terrible, Holocaust, of course, 6-8 million Jews, the number that you guys give, absolutely believe it. I think it was great injustice, and of course, I'm glad the United States went in with the the axis of evil. All of those things, Hitler bad, zero support. But
can Steven really be trusted? Just say no to Steven Crowder and Mug Club. Paid for by momsgunsmugclub.com.
All right.
Hey.
We
How's it
are
going?
back, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. It's 10:17, and we have no real news to report
Nope,
from
not
CNN.
one bit.
Not
Nope.
one bit of on-the-ground reporting that we can actually come to you and say, hey, CNN's doing their job.
Here, let me see.
Let's, yeah.
You got the long shot going on?
I think I've been proven wrong. I might kneel here toward the
No.
What?
God is not right here.
You hold it in.
He is everywhere,
Don't you
though.
do it.
Stephen is telling me at the break he is feeling compelled to kneel,
got a lot of
but you
feedback on
shouldn't.
Twitter.
You sound
There's
old
also
when you say
something-
the Twitter. The Twitter.
That's by design.
Just Twitter?
Well, I feel as old as Don Lemon looks.
That's freaking old.
Which, I know, I look older than my age. The irony's not lost on me. But you shouldn't hate me as much. You should think, where are my papers? Oh, they're over here.
Your papers are way
So,
far away.
We're gonna go, I think we're probably going to do, this will be the last segment
Last
of the
little
night
segment.
because they're not really reporting on a whole
Yeah.
lot.
No.
Not at all.
You know what? They
As soon
probably
as the
watched
sun
us
went
do the
down,
last one.
gone.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? We got made to look like a fool, and so we might not to do
Is
anything.
it just me or is this a really tone-deaf commercial for Simply Safe?
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, not a great
I'm at the
idea.
best time.
Oh,
Well, it's a
white guy in a
coronavirus
ski
mask.
mask.
It's a coronavirus mask. It's totally okay.
Yeah, coronavirus.
Ooh,
totally
my
opens-
word. They didn't
opens
quite
up.
update it for the new coronavirus. Let's watch Don Lemon for a little bit, see if there's anything of value. And then, Reg, give us something on the ground or something that we're missing in the news here so that we can leave on a semi-high note.
Friends, community leaders, and celebrities as well. The family saying that they are moved by the showing of support.
It's crazy, man. All these people came to see my brother, and that's
Felonious.
amazing to me that he touched so many people's hearts. You know, because he been touching our
Philanese is
hearts. Everybody
his name.
wants
Yeah, he's been touching our hearts with guns, you know.
He's going to
Trying
get
to work
it.
with what I've got.
He's going to get
What's
it.
with all the signers lately?
Yeah.
Have you noticed the
They've really
pandemic
up-
of signers?
they've
What
up-
happened to
up
closed
signers,
captions?
Apparently, they don't exist anymore.
I am joined now by George Floyd's friend and his former NBA player as well, former NBA player Steven Jackson. Steven, thank you. I appreciate you joining.
George Floyd had connections.
Yes. And co-star in Big Wet Booties
It pays
5.
to rob pregnant women.
He could have had a good life without, being a robbing person.
You called George Floyd your twin. You were at that memorial service today. His brother said he was just he couldn't believe so many people came out, for his brother. What was it like to see such beautiful tributes to your friend?
It's a testimony to who he was. He was somebody who always spread love. He was a protector and a provider for everybody.
Really?
And
Okay, listen, and people get mad at me.
this was
Do
only
you
right,
not think it's important when everyone goes, he was nothing but love, man? He was a protector and provider. He robbed a pregnant woman and did 5 years and had multiple offenses. This was a violent man who hopefully as a Christian, we believe that every man, black or white, can be redeemed. Now, I tend to lean toward if you have a history of violent criminality and then the autopsy reveals multiple drugs in your system, not saying you're a bad person, but you're probably still struggling.
Yeah.
You're probably still struggling. You probably you have yet to be perfected. And that's why I believe that all of us, we can only be clean through the blood of Christ. That's what I believe as a Christian.
Yeah.
And you can't hear that on CNN.
No.
Which,
No
you
way.
know, is probably the whole funeral is probably littered with it because the black community is by and large Christian. But
That's
that's
true,
something
yeah.
we suppress right now. That's a message that could be unifying, but we can't have that. But when everyone goes on and says, man, it was nothing but love, let me ask you this. Do you think they'll say that about Donald Sterling?
Right.
His crime was saying, you can have sex with black guys, just don't put it on social media. And that's enough. And that's enough.
Just don't be an
that he
actual
Just don't tell
whore.
anybody about it.
And that's enough that he will never be honored when he dies, regardless of
Yeah.
impact. And I'm not saying that wasn't wrong. But I am saying it's not as wrong as robbing a pregnant woman violently at gunpoint.
Right.
And we have to act like this was a
Yeah.
saint. Listen,
Exactly. We
here's the
can't do
thing. Black Lives Matter. Mike Brown, violent criminal. Trayvon Martin, committing violent assault. George Zimmerman is an asshole. Everyone knows that. But your guy was a bigger asshole.
You won the asshole contest that night.
Mike Brown, that's
You
the
didn't
big
want
difference.
to.
That officer, Darren Wilson, borderline saint. That guy didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong at all.
Just trying to serve.
Hands up, don't shoot was a lie. And then in this case, you had a lot of sympathy from people. You still do in the sense that no one thinks that this man should have died in the custody of these officers. But you're actually going to lose that because people feel like you're laying it on so thick that they're gonna say, yeah, well, hold on a second. He did strong arm rob a pregnant woman.
Yeah. You can't be a saint.
Come on, let's say what's going to happen is that's what people are going to say about him who care about the truth. They're going to focus more on that because people tend to focus on correcting a lying narrative more than what we all might agree upon because you're pushing a lie so hard. That's why it matters.
It very easily could have been a very unifying moment.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So everybody sees the video, everybody unites around this was a horrible act and shouldn't have happened. Let's all unite around against police brutality. Right? And we can watch this video and all condemn it. But again, if you paint a bunch of murals of this guy and act as if he's some kind of exemplar of your community, then it's a little at least fair to point out that he wasn't a saint.
And they also took like T-minus 1 second before they started looting stuff. So
it was
kind of made it hard to go.
For everybody who was like, no, this was nothing but
point.
peaceful protests. There have been peaceful protests that end up turning into violent protests. Night 1, Minneapolis was on fire. Night 1, right? Night 2, on fire again. They were burning stuff that they had burned the night before that apparently had not burned enough.
Can you imagine if the Tea Party, because of course they were excoriated.
Oh my God!
Can you imagine if the Tea Party, rather than leaving places cleaner than they found them, set the city ablaze?
Right.
Yeah.
What
the only thing they would have been talking about is you have to denounce these rioters and these looters and these thugs. They would have been saying the exact same thing. Right, so everybody was already on your side. Now you've pushed everybody away.
Well, I saw one big story today was Oakland, and I think police released tear gas there. but it was like, the mainstream media is only airing that clip, and not the clips of the courthouse on fire, and not the clips of Target being looted and CVS being torn down.
Sorry, for anyone who remembers, that's my special needs friend.
So but the issue is that both things happened, and again,
just be honest that they did.
And you should play both videos. It's not don't just pick which one goes with your narrative.
It's not just kind of your job. Information. It's because that's what you tell us you do every single day.
Right.
Trust us. We're giving you all of the story, every bit of the information that you need to make a decision, and you're not.
Let me give you a very personal example of this. As to this, first off, this is clearly an entertainment show.
I don't know if you noticed.
Right, but then for some reason it becomes news when I go down to Muslim bakeries and ask them to bake a cock cake.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what I mean? And it's funny, but I didn't expect it to be presented as news. And when I did that piece, I went out of my way to say, now to be fair, there were some bakeries who were willing to bake a gay wedding cake.
Right.
But the majority weren't. And the point is, the media has absolutely destroyed the reputation of just one bakery who, by the way, didn't refuse to serve gay people, but refused to take part in a gay wedding cake. I went out of my way to say some bakeries would, some were very friendly, but the majority didn't, and that's what you see here. And what comes out in the news? Well, this was selectively edited. I said that. Even Antifa, when we infiltrated Antifa, and they handed us knives and ice picks, right? We took the footage to the police officers. What happened? The officers were then watching this person. One of them handed my producer at the time, Not Gay Jared, a taser. So the officers, no media, by the way, had any interest in this footage.
No.
And then the officer said, thank you for infiltrating, getting on there. And I understand that James O'Keefe has sort of done a repeat of what we've done as well recently. I think we did it about 3 years ago, but I'm glad, they have more infiltration capabilities than we do. Again, because we're a comedy show. That was literally a portion of a show with 4 shows that week. So I assume James O'Keefe will obviously do a better job, and thank God that he is. But we released the info. We said, so listen, this is the footage that we had of them handing out weapons, planning on baiting people to the cars and shooting them with sawed-off shotguns. That footage itself didn't result in the arrest of this girl, but the girl used the same taser that was used on camera later on, and they were already watching her because of her video. That led to her arrest. The media said, no arrests. Steven Crowder lied about it. We go out of our way to be clear about it, and in this case, they are proactively dishonest. They cover it up, and they're never called on it. That's my issue with them. It's the dishonesty and a complete lack of accountability, and that's why you see Twitter fact-checking Trump, removing his statements and videos, calling for unity. That's why you see YouTube and Facebook. Although Mark Zuckerberg now, his own employees are mad because he's not politicizing everything as much. That's why you see them wanting to make room for the big boys, because they have a stranglehold on information they don't anymore. And so now they want to have a stranglehold on the new media. That was an alternative. It used to be called alternative media. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was called alternative media. Then it was called new media. And then the old school media realized, well, this is just media. And they said, we're going to use all of our dollars and we're going to exert pressure. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you better play ball with us. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, people who organically built the platforms themselves can no longer be heard because Ted Turner and Moonves have an opinion. We're going to go to Reg the Bandit really quick. And then we're going to go to our wrap-up, of course, exclusively at the Blaze. If you're a Mug Club member, go to, what is it,
BlazeTV/Stephen Crowder.
Is it blazetv.com/live? I'm trying to think of where
Let me bring it up. There is home/live.
So home/live.
You'll find
or,
it
of
there.
course, you can watch on the app, and you can join at loudwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Promo code Viking. You get $20 off. And send us which countries you would like to most see in the coming weeks for Cultural Appropriation Month. Hold on, I got to take a thing.
Nice.
Crowder Riot Stream. Tweet using the hashtag.
Oh, that's such a good cigar, and it's my favorite cigar, and you will never know.
I have the
the band is off.
wrapper.
If you do it,
I'm posting it later.
I will wipe out your bloodline.
Wow.
Yeah.
The link to the
wife's
stream
pregnant,
on Blaze TV is in the description.
Is in the description.
Okay,
so we will
good.
be there in a little bit.
Hey,
But
there we
before we do that and wrap this up here on YouTube, it is time for tonight's 7+1.
You forgot the one in the chamber.
Do not forget the one.
No,
in the
it's
chamber,
it's an important round.
especially if you're a rooftop Korean or German.
Yeah.
Great point.
7+1. 7+1 most often heard excuses when caught looting.
Oh.
Right. These are the 7+1, and these actually come to us, I believe, from the DOJ database.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's top notch.
Yeah, and if you don't believe me,
accurate.
just ask Don Lemon. So most often heard excuses when caught looting. 7+1. Number 7. Oh, you mean it isn't Looting Tuesday? Yeah, that's one right
I love
there.
Looting Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, Looting Tuesday.
7+1 most often heard excuses when caught looting. Number 6. Sorry, officer, I can't be tear gassed. I have a doctor's note.
That seems like
You've
it's
got a
important.
doctor's note to you don't do the tear gas.
Right.
I assume that also means for the projectile in the eye.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's a separate note.
I have myopia. Please don't put the canister in my eye. 7+1 most often heard excuses when looting. Number 5. Officer, that windshield was like that when I got here.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I don't think it was.
Number 4, excuses for looting.
I don't think it was.
Wow.
Number 4,
Reporting.
I needed size 10.5 Air 1s, but they closed early. So that's a tough one.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know what? It's not without compassion from my part.
Somebody's got a Jordan. You know what I mean?
Somebody
gotta get the right
gotta get
size.
the
I mean, I have a wide foot.
Because
What are we going to do?
It's
Alan
difficult.
Edmonds closes early. Am I not going to break the front window?
Yeah.
If you
Right.
didn't want that, you should have gotten reinforced
essential.
glass.
Sorry, I work till 5.
Yeah.
whatever.
Especially when you pull that shit where it closes at 9, but you close at
Yeah.
8:55.
Well, now they're closing
no.
earlier.
Now, I rob you at home. Number 3, 7+1 most heard excuses when caught looting. Look over there, officer. Churchgoers. Get them.
That's actually pretty good.
Get them.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Get the churchgoers, they say.
Oh, okay.
These are, and again, they come from the DOJ.
These are from
this
DOJ.
is from
DOJ, yes.
Yeah, the Bureau of Crime. Hold on.
Very
Bureau of
good.
Crime statistics. That's just. Hold on. Let me see. I have 3 things here.
3.
This is a picture of Don Lemon's dick. He
Wow.
How did he
Why
get
do
it
you
in
keep
there?
looking
It's
at
the.
that? That's,
Why do we have a fax
that's crazy.
machine?
Oh, wait. Hold on a second. What's this? Video
Antiquated.
showing
That
Australian
was
journalists
Monday,
being attacked.
yeah.
That was Monday. Wow.
He came around the corner, and I don't know if he knew who it
photojournalist
was.
Tim Myers.
It's a good shot.
I love how he
yourself.
used that shield as an edge.
Journalist, he's got a camera.
Then his guys say, no.
The pair were
Just
against
push him
the
out.
wall.
And
They
that
were out in the
camera
middle of a
was
group of violent
black.
protesters.
Just want to
Yeah.
Protesters
make note of
were
that.
At the White House.
And they stopped.
So I guess there
Immediately
must
stopped
be,
him.
by the way, because this
They
is
were
seen as
peaceful.
America's original sin, slavery, and
Right.
they must have it everywhere. Australia, Paris, London.
all over the
Apparently
place.
the cops all had a secret meeting and said, listen, even if we don't necessarily have a culture of slavery with black people, we're gonna be brutal, right? With the with the
across the
POCs, the
board.
people of color. This will be an international coalition.
Let's do it. Let's export this.
7+1 most often heard excuses when people are caught looting from the DOJ. Number 2, wait, you mean that was your window? That seems like, you know what?
Yeah.
He can't know.
They
Sometimes you
can't
get a little mixed
possibly
up.
know if
It's
you're
not
on their
fair
side
to-
or not.
to know
you know,
who
before
owns
they
it, who
throw the
doesn't own
rocks.
it.
I
Come on.
can't be keeping track of
Yeah.
whose windows belong to who.
You know, let's not focus on whose window was broken
God,
tonight,
no.
okay? I mean,
You go there, guard the windshield, and make sure it doesn't get cracked in. Oh, you're talking about the trunk? No. The windshield. You make sure
On the
the
front.
windshield doesn't get kicked in.
Oh,
That's right. I'll kick in his windshield and then make sure he doesn't get out. No.
I thought you were talking about him to the windshield.
I thought you were talking about him. Where are you going? We're going with you. No. 7+1 most often heard excuses when caught looting. Number 1, officer, I misunderstood the term fire sale. And that's an easy mistake to make.
Yes,
and
yeah.
the
Me
plus
too.
one that is most often heard in most often heard excuses when caught looting. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America. Yeah, that has been this week's 7+1.
You forgot the fan in the chamber.
Don't forget it.
Don't forget the
Never.
one in the
Don't forget
chamber.
It's really just a public service. We want to hear
We
all the
want
excuses.
people to be safe.
Oh,
We're
no, now
informing.
they're showing the guy who got pushed by the officer, which again, we all said here, way out of line,
Yeah.
way out of line.
That sucks.
That's terrible.
He's out.
That
Bleeding
is
from his
terrible.
head.
Cold too.
You see all the people helping him and calling for medical assistance?
That guy was calling
yeah,
for medical
actually-
assistance. Okay, so stop.
Yeah, the guy was calling for medical
They
assistance.
should be
The
helping
first
him
guy
more.
stopped.
But
They've
this
also
guy
got
is attacking them.
They've also
so-
got protesters attacking them.
Oh, and the medic that's right there kneeling down.
Right now,
That's
they're
exactly.
helping him. Don Lemon doesn't understand.
person
Oh, yeah,
was
by the
being
way.
arrested.
How
drink.
do you
Sorry.
lie and
Drink.
it happen at the same time?
Won't tolerate your racist shit.
Is that what you
No.
Don Lemon has trouble. He has trouble reading. He's like, Asperger's.
Yeah.
In that he has trouble reading some cues. So you can see when the officer goes like this, right away calls over a medic. Don Lemon has a difficult time reading communication unless it involves a yellow bandana out of the back pocket.
Oh, okay.
Which, by the way, means you pitch and catch.
Right.
Wow.
So
Symbolism.
He picks up those signs.
terrible, but right away the guy's being tended to.
Yeah,
Which,
immediately.
What is that? Now that's important. Why?
Yeah.
One officer out of line, and other officers recognized it
Picked it
and
up.
right away tried to step in.
Exactly.
The guy who pushed him leaned down to stop, and then another guy pushed him along and started calling people.
Well, because there were
So it was like
because there was
the
people
guy who
coming
did
at
it
them.
realized what he'd done, started leaning down, and he said, "No, I'll call him."
I'll take care of it
Now-
because,
Yeah.
because they had protesters right in front
Right,
of them.
'cause there were
They
people
went
coming
right to
at
it,
him.
Right.
You
Or
can't see
coming
him
at them.
off the
Now, I
camera.
will say, maybe I'm in the minority here because I know that seems excessive, but again, those police officers are clearly moving to clear away. Does it change the context when fire trucks can't get through?
Right.
Yeah.
And buildings are being lit on fire? Does it change the context when people have been taking shots at officers? Does it change the context when there have been Molotov cocktails and the police say, move back, move back, move back? Could that have been an example of what we saw earlier today with a very peaceful officer saying, please don't go into this perimeter, and one guy saying, we don't curfew at 9 o'clock, another guy saying, y'all can leave or stay. No, you can't. Y'all leave.
Well, and this is not happening in a vacuum either. This is after 9 nights of rioting,
Right.
and killing people and hurting people and burning stores down and breaking everything that you can find and burning cars.
Yeah.
Like this is not like, oh, hey, this is going to be another peaceful night. This
Right.
this is night 9 for officers living on the edge every single night.
Instead of one day of justice, we got 9 crazy nights.
Okay, so I actually have an update.
Okay,
on
let's
the
go,
guy.
Reg. Let me see you. Look at there, Burt Ward. What a good-looking
Wow.
man. Look at his hair. I'm jealous.
Just perfect all the time.
Perfect.
All right.
Stop
So,
it.
The officer, or rather the old man that was pushed on by the two officers, the officers have already been suspended.
Yeah.
He is in stable condition.
Okay.
And it is worth noting that the curfew was already in place then.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? So you're already violating curfew. So again, not to say that, that was fine or whatever, but we've been through months where salon owners have been sent to prison for daring to cut hair.
Right.
Right.
So
yeah.
Right.
these insane enforcement. So you have tons of people violating curfew. And I do have a clip from New York where the NYPD finally started enforcing the curfew and rounding people up.
Can you pause that real quick? Because let me say, I want to restate my position here a little bit, because I think I honestly might have been unfair, and I know this will be unpopular because there's a visceral reaction to seeing a man get hurt. Because he falls back and he hits his head in the concrete.
Yeah.
I've shoved you harder than that on a daily basis when congratulating you. Like, when you said you were having, I go, you're having a baby? Whoa, cool, you didn't tell me, congratulations,
And I
man.
fell and hit my head.
Right,
too.
you fell and
And you were bleeding out and everything.
But
you
the
just
point is,
kinda
like,
walked past
that
it.
is not, that
Don
shove,
Lemon
if you
cried.
watch it, was not the kind
not
of,
brutal.
you could deliver that shove to 100 different people 100 different times, and that happens once.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. If an officer is enforcing a curfew and you are still there and you are refusing to move, and again, there have been acts of violence beyond comprehension for nights, if you can't shove somebody back what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you pick him up and firemen's carry him out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you do?
That guy didn't look very spry. I mean, what did he think was going to happen at a protest or a riot when he's staying there when police are moving forward? He is just looking for a place to fall down, essentially.
Well, and
it doesn't
again-
justify their behavior at all.
Right.
But this guy was going to move. He was going to fall over some way, somehow during a protest.
But an officer who shoves a man on his chest, not that hard, by the way.
Yeah.
Can we show that clip? Can we see the clip again of him shoving the
just
officer?
give us a second to pull it back up.
Let's pull that back up.
And I wish that he had.
Did he one arm shove him or did he use both hands?
I think he uses both hands.
Does he use
Kinda
both
push him
hands?
up.
Well, there was two cops in it. I can't tell which one actually did the shoving.
It makes a difference if you actually understand what these people are reacting to. Like
Right.
if you
Right.
just show the police officers doing one thing and you don't have 9 days before
Context
this and all
matters.
this sort of stuff that's happening.
Well, what do you
Plus,
do if you
the
say this
cops
is a
are seeing
curfew? And
people
we
coming
saw
in.
it tonight. Keep in mind, rewind the tape.
They've
That
got
this
the
is a
video,
curfew,
too.
and they said,
Yeah, we
well,
got
we're
that.
not going to honor the curfew. You can
Right.
leave or you can stay. If you're an officer and you're trying to clear a way for first responders, you're trying to make sure that it's a safe area, and you say this is the curfew. It's already been set. It's already been sent out like an Amber Alert from the governor, and then you've reiterated it peacefully and respectfully.
Yeah. Right.
And we've seen people say, no, we're not going to honor it. What can you do if not a shove?
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah,
question.
exactly.
What else would be better? And I don't know. So let's see the shove again. I
Be
know it's
interested to
disturbing.
what does he do? He's
walking up to them as they're trying to do it.
That's a one-handed
one-
shove.
yeah, one-handed.
That's a one-handed shove. I'm sorry. That's a one-handed. Go back to that. Let's play that again. That is not an officer trying to kill somebody.
No.
That's an officer who's shoving him off of the other officer. Yeah, come on. And then right away when he realizes he hit his head, he calls for for a medic and they start
Immediately.
tending to him.
And by the way, this is like on a morphine drip from CNN. Do you know it's not?
Right.
It's Dorn laying on the ground actually dying.
Yeah,
After
not
being
that
shot.
one,
They're not
of
going to
course.
show that. They are going to show a guy who did hit the back of his head and is bleeding, and officers tended to him immediately, and medics were called, and they knelt down, even though Don Lemon says it didn't happen. It was on video. Don't believe your lying eyes. They're not going to show Dorn.
How
now.
do they lie so blatantly?
It is
blows
amazing.
my
to me, and
mind.
I wish that it hadn't happened, but this is my question. You guys can tweet me. What do you do if you are a police officer? You are in a city that has been turned into a war zone. We have over a dozen deaths. We have over 370 officers, probably 400 now, who've been violently attacked or seriously injured. You have $25 million in property damage in Minneapolis alone. My guess is it's probably going to be in the billions as far as property
When
damage.
this is all over,
By the time this
Businesses
is
that'll
done,
never open back up.
Economic damage
yeah,
that we
well,
couldn't
the-
afford to
What do you
take
do?
right
This
now
is a
anyway.
real question. What do you do? We talk about de-escalation. Well, as far as I'm concerned, de-escalation is governor sends out curfew.
Yeah.
Officer says, please, you can stay there, but this is the curfew, this is the police line. And then when officers are marching, and there are several instances there where the officers are not being violent with him, as they continue to move, they keep, and they're, by the way, they're not walking up to him to shove him. It's basically a stiff arm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're
It pushes
saying,
him
no,
back as a
no,
human
we're walking
wall,
forward. Are they
right?
supposed to let that man mingle
line?
in through the police line at that
Right.
point?
Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
Is it terrible that a man hit his head in the concrete? Am I glad that he's in stable condition?
Yeah.
Yes. Is that an example of a cop who tried to physically harm somebody or end their life? No, I don't think so. And I don't think that that's a police officer who should be removed from the force. I'm sorry. I don't. May not be popular, but you have to answer me, what should the cop do in that instance? If not a shove with one arm, what's allowed?
Well, the only reason that any cop is having to make any of those decisions is there are a bunch of things that went wrong upstream from that.
Yeah.
Right.
So a bunch of people have made a bunch of bad decisions. We talked about earlier. Imagine
the
if
salmon of Capistrano.
exactly. So imagine if you are. You were talking about this, like you had a sniper rifle. You're up there and what is it? A fire
I said
engine.
firefighters.
Yeah.
You see the firefighters.
Yeah.
Your child is in a burning building, which
Right.
actually
Yeah.
happened, and then they're
Right.
swarmed by protesters who don't allow the police line through.
Right.
What do you do to save the life of your child in a burning
Exactly, and nobody's wants to get into that situation. Nobody's
Right,
trying to get there. But again, if you've been put into that situation, you have to make a call, and getting your hands dirty might be the most, moral thing to be doing.
So
in, that
in this situation, did the cop wake up that morning going, "Oh, I'm going to find me an old white guy to kill"?
Right.
Right.
Like what?
Oh, hey, you know what? Also,
You know what? Today, I really want to mess up a James Carville lookalike.
Right. I'm going to push
Yeah.
a guy who can't take a step back to steady himself. Right. And that's not his fault. He's just old. Right. But you know
Why
what
is he
they're
out
also
there?
you know what they're also not showing? They're not showing that video of the Chicago police officer, the female officer, trying to be dragged on the ground into the crowd of people. I didn't see that on CNN to talk about the violence that is going on right now in the riots. I didn't see that either. But we're going to play this 100 times over. And the reporter
And then
that
lie
got
about the
shoved
fact
in
that
the
they didn't
reporter got
lie.
hit in the
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah.
Right? Like the reporter that got hit in the chest. I'm sorry that happened. It probably shouldn't have happened. But you didn't die.
Well, I don't know what should have if it shouldn't have happened. This is my question, because at first it goes, "Oh, that was too much." But I'm saying that I think I might have been wrong. What should have happened? There's a curfew.
Oh, with the old guy. I was talking about the reporter that got hit.
Oh,
Sorry.
the reporter. Sorry, yeah.
Should have happened.
No, you're right. With the old guy, there's a curfew and there's a police wall coming through saying, and you can see them clearly saying, "Go, go, move," and then a one-arm shove. So, is it tough to watch? Yes. Should it not have happened? What should have happened? Do all the police stop and go, oh
crap.
They're burning down the...
John, there's an old guy
or was it in
again?
New York? Where was that? Was that D.C.?
That was in Buffalo.
It was in Buffalo,
New York.
They go, oh, they're burning down the original wing hut. Sir, could you please move? Jeez. Could you please move because I'd like some blazing sauce? What are they supposed to do? And like I said on Thursday, I said, please stop, because it's only going to result in more deaths, in more harm. We were the ones who wanted peace. We were the ones who encouraged you to take a page from the modern Tea Party. To take a page, yes, from the armed protesters at the Michigan State Capitol. Even though I don't like the optics. That never happened.
Yeah, but if anyone were to have that sort of take on this clip on CNN, then CNN probably wouldn't be as friendly to all of the different advertisers that they have coming on.
Yeah,
but it is much easier for them to get advertisers if they take on this opinion for some reason. For some reason, one is allowed and one is profitable, and one is not allowed. One is not
I fully
profitable.
expect to get flack for what I'm saying here
Certainly.
tomorrow.
Well, and
I'm just saying, does anyone have an answer? What else can a cop do? Rubber bullet?
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Mace?
Yeah, if he's not going to move.
What?
I mean, it seemed like a very benign push, right?
Right.
Just to get somebody going the opposite direction. And they were talking, and the guy wasn't just standing there and the police walked up to him. This guy approached the police officers as they were coming, right? Exactly. So
show that clip again.
He's not
His hand comes down here. He stops short. So let's see that. Can we see that
something
clip
in his
again?
hand. What's in his hand?
I think it's like a cell phone.
Let's see what it is. What it is that he has in his hand. Let's see the clip.
That's loading.
Oh, it's loading.
Okay, but that's actually a perfect freeze frame right there.
Yeah.
Would anyone here ever dream of approaching a police officer like that? By the way, keep in mind, see that cop on the left? Run that cop on the left, our left, looking at the screen. He's looking over. All the cops are looking over, saying, "What's going on here?" Because they've had too many close calls.
Right.
Would you ever imagine of walking up to an officer with a mask on like this?
Right.
Ever.
With something in your hand?
Right.
Nowadays, there's tasers that are in phone cases. Like,
right.
Get away from my police officer.
Nowadays?
Hands up, don't shoot. The hands were never up. That's a big thing with the police
I don't even
officer.
understand them.
Yeah, let me see the way he walks, because that does matter as well.
We're going to look at his gait.
Like the guy walked just fine.
Yeah, do you see that?
Yeah.
They push him after he does this with his hand.
It's unfortunate that he fell and hit his head.
And by the way, play that again, and then if you can pause it when he reaches his hand out. Play it again. Okay, now his hand comes out. Pause.
Oh, wow. It looked like he was hitting
Where's
him.
the cop's
he
gun?
was like pointing.
Where's the cop's gun?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, on that hip.
Yeah. Right. Just getting a little bit too close.
Where's the police officer?
He just puts his hand out to kind of distance him, to get a little distance.
No,
and
I don't
then the
think
guy
he's trying
won't
to
move.
get
And then
It's within
No. I'm saying
2
the cop.
inches.
The
of
cop
where
is
his
putting
hand
him
is,
like,
yeah.
hey, you're getting too close.
Oh, yeah, and the
like,
dude's
stop.
going like this.
Yeah.
He's swinging at him. Yeah, swinging his
He's
hand
doing
at him.
that. He's doing that several times. And
So
maybe
he
he's
pushes
saying,
him away.
hey, your shoelace is untied. And the cop's like, I'm not falling for that old trick again, buddy boy.
The banana in the
I don't
tailpipe.
know, but that guy walks up after curfew. Police have already asked him to leave. You can clearly see they're saying, hey, move, move, move. They don't shove him even right away.
Yeah.
They're in contact there for a while. Then when he starts going like this to the cop's utility belt, maybe he was reaching for a shark repellent spray. Look, reaching. Hey, he reacts right there.
Yeah.
And by the way, cops are trained for that. Cops are trained if someone reaches toward your belt,
back.
zero tolerance. Not saying that it's the ideal situation.
Yeah, nobody's
But
happy this
it's
happened.
not
no
good
one's
that he
happy
hit his
that this
head.
happened, but I don't know what a police officer can do other than shove you back and then, oh my gosh, he hit his head and get medics to you
Immediately.
right away.
Well, yeah, and the only reason that Don Lemon here, his reaction would be justified is if the cops walked away and went ha 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 ha.
Right.
But they
got me an
called
old man.
for help.
Right. No.
Right. And the only reason we're talking about this is because they're like, see, this is just further evidence of a brutal
Hold on a second.
police
I
force.
bet you they're going to say Donald Trump's tweeting about this rather than talking about the riots.
Oh, of course
Lisa
they are.
Murkowski's re-election prospects in 2022 look somewhat better at this moment than President Trump's do.
That
in
guy on the
November.
right looks like
So
an
you'll
older
know
James
whether he's
O'Keefe
gonna
if
be
he were a
president
hockey
by the
fighter.
time
Wow.
he's in 2022.
Been through some rough days.
these isolated criticisms from Republican senators don't mean all that much unless a few of them get together and decide to do something about it. Republicans have 53 seats in the Senate. If 4 Republican senators got together and said they're going to stand with the Democrats to stop things that the president
This is going to upset a lot of people.
is doing,
did they darken Don Lemon with more makeup? Just me, or does he look significantly darker than before?
He was very, very light earlier.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it's
very ghost-like.
Do you think they're watching this stream like they did that time we did the CNN fact
Like,
check
oh,
and they removed?
Don,
They
you
removed
need more
the-
color.
Remember they removed the Aryan Nation tweet?
Yeah.
Like I think one of them is watching this right now and they're like, Don Lemon's looking pasty.
Put the makeup on
exactly.
quick.
Well, yeah. So the Chiron was like former military leaders criticized President Trump's response to the protest response. But again, you play a clip of 2 people, and that's supposed to be representative of the military's response to this. No, the military is sort of going, "Yes, sir," and going and doing their job.
Yeah,
right?
well, they're finding this because those people are anomalies. Because the military, members of the military, overwhelmingly vote Republican and then overwhelmingly support Donald Trump in comparison to Barack Obama. No one can even argue that.
Right. They do the exact same thing with churches, right? So they bring on 2 ministers who are criticizing Trump. But that doesn't mean it's representative.
Here to discuss the current situation in relation to the American congregations and COVID is Unitarian lead pastor.
What songs do they
Freud
sing?
Futbucker. Mr. Futbucker?
Congregation of 3,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right.
this is the representative of the Christian community.
Pastor
please.
Bill Ayers, what are your thoughts?
Oh, geez.
Let's go to not Don Lemon. Let's go to Reg the Bandit. Reg, you almost called him. You said you had a clip. I'm very tired with the hockey fighting James O'Keefe. You said you had a clip for us, and then we are going to go to Blaze exclusive for Mug Club members. Reg, unmute your mic. What do you have for us, sir?
Oh, I just have a final clip of people sort of just rounding up the protest in New York, and the NYPD is just sort of encouraging them to leave.
Wow. Encouraging them to leave.
That looks like the Stampede and the Elephant Boneyard in Aladdin. In The Lion King. See, they're doing this right now. People who are refusing to get in line.
Arresting them.
They just grabbed them.
Yeah.
And I
What are
think
you
this
supposed
is
to do?
like, I think it's at least an hour after the curfew is supposed to be in effect. So they gave them plenty of time to comply.
Right. Well, don't you love? They're like, this curfew is ridiculous. It's trying to silence protest, as opposed to barbers who were protesting in the middle of day.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And they go, well, why? Is it because they're white people that didn't get arrested? No. Again, the through line here is crime. They were not committing crimes.
Yeah.
You are committing there have been so many crimes committed that a curfew is appropriate to protect the rights of citizens who are not committing crimes. Why is this hard? When you commit crimes that infringe on the rights of non-crime committing citizens, there's a good chance you might get your ass beat.
Well, the people getting their haircut in Michigan did get fined.
Yes,
There were consequences for their actions as well. By the way,
up to $1,000.
Right.
If they weren't
It was one hell of a flat top.
if they weren't burning the cities down, they probably would have not put in curfews. They probably would be still out there able to protest and able to peacefully march if they wanted to. But that's not what's happening.
I think you're saying it's a racial thing. All right, we are going to. And by the way, you can tweet me. I am. If you think I should kneel or not, let me know. Tweet me. At
Oh my God, you're gonna leave it up to the mob?
on the Blaze live stream. I think I might. I think because some people are saying, well, you know what? If you kneel, you remove that card that they have to play against you.
I think
so. I don't
for all
want to
your white
kneel.
guilt.
I do think that there may be a reason to kneel, just so that I can get it over with and be considered an ally. Thank you so much for everyone who's been watching. The hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream. The promo code is Viking through the end of the night. You get $20 off if you want us to continue doing the job that journalists won't do. Right now, we are going to go exclusively to Mug Club at the
Link
Blaze.
in the description.
So the link is in the description. YouTube, you can go piss up a kite.